Out of bullets and with nowhere to run, Zhou Tianxian is literally the last human alive, until a giant zombie shows up wanting to take that title away from him. But the dude lands a clean hit on the bastard's head and sends him straight back to the lobby. The problem is that there's an entire horde craving a piece of our boy G. That's when he wakes up at school with an absolutely pissed off teacher calling him out. The guy instantly jumps up with his eyes wide open and, looking around, wonders if he had actually died. In the bathroom, Zhou splashes some water on his face and, staring into the mirror, wonders if he really traveled 10 years back in time. Suddenly, he senses the presence of an infected and immediately smashes the mirror to grab a shard of glass as a weapon. But just as he's about to eliminate the target, he stops. Because standing there is his bro Gao Fei, the god Usopp of this story. Leaving the bathroom, Gao patches up his hand, while the MC thinks he couldn't properly remember his friend, probably because those memories were painful. Gao asks if he confessed to Duan Churu, catching the protagonist off guard since today is Valentine's Day. This was the exact day he suffered the most legendary rejection on the planet from the girl he liked. But that's not why he remembers the date. It's because it was the day the outbreak began. Out of nowhere, the annoying girl shows up holding a letter, saying that receiving a love letter from a guy like him is disgusting. But our boy G just snatches the letter from her hand and says she's the disgusting one, and wonders what he ever saw in this loser. Because thanks to her, a lot of people died during the apocalypse, including his brother. The apocalypse started because of a meteor that entered the atmosphere and shattered into countless pieces, falling all over the world. At first, people simply passed out, but when the first victims started waking up, they found that 70% of the world's population had transformed. Nations managed to fight back against the zombies at first, but they never expected them to evolve and multiply so quickly. After hearing all of this, Gao thinks his bro is writing a manhwa. But the protagonist doesn't care at all. He just hands the guy some money and tells him to buy foods high in fat. The blonde kid just assumes the protagonist has completely lost it, while he runs toward an abandoned warehouse at the edge of the school. The guy barely runs a little and is already dying from exhaustion, just like me in my prime. Since time waits for no one and there's only 30 minutes left until the apocalypse, he grabs a crowbar and runs a few tests, since for now it's going to be his best weapon against the zombies. But that's when they hear people calling for him from outside, and when he goes to check, there's a bald guy full of rage because he embarrassed the school's beauty. The idiot extra immediately charges at him, wanting to teach the protagonist a lesson, but he simply points the crowbar at the guy and tells him to get lost, or he's getting sent straight to the game over screen. I hope he brought a spare pair of pants because those ones are done for. Looking at the rest of the crowd, he tells everyone, especially the annoying girl, to leave immediately. Watching his lackeys walk away, she asks what they're doing and whether they're men or rats. But the smart bald guy just says he's a rat, and that anyone could tell from the MC's face that he wasn't joking. That's when everyone looks up and sees shooting stars falling from the sky. All around the world, people see these stars and think it's an incredibly rare sight. But our MC knows very well that this is when the real shit begins. The two are caught in an earthquake, and soon we see a devastated city with Swa calling out for Xian Xian. But when the girl turns around, she's already gone over to the dark side. The protagonist then wakes up and realizes it was all a dream, while Gao stares at his phone in shock because they slept for an entire day. No need to worry about missing class, bro. Gao comments that the MC has been acting strange since yesterday, and that's when a brain eater appears. The blonde guy immediately rolls a natural 20 in charisma and, thinking it's a teacher, tries to talk his way out of getting scolded. But our boy G jumps at the guy and lands a clean hit to the head, leaving his little brother completely shocked since he just witnessed a murder. He knows the teacher was annoying, but that was a bit much. Since explaining is harder than showing, Swa tells him to grab his backpack, and shows him the hell the world has become. One of the ugly infected even tries to rush the MC, but he drops after the very first hit, and he tells his brother to stay sharp if he doesn't want to become another statistic. Now the Last of Us on hard mode has officially begun. Meanwhile, a pink-haired girl and her friend are desperately running from zombies. A bald guy smacks a zombie with a baseball bat, urging Churu to keep running. Gao notes that the girl's friends are in trouble, but the protagonist insists they focus on their own safety for now. Suddenly, the hero shoves a zombie away to protect Dawn, with his back to her. Zwa tosses the zombie aside, and a girl, in tears, calls out to him. He tells Gao to stick close and not stress too much about the zombies. Duan Churu feels heartbroken seeing her friend's headless body after the infection. She gets up and decides to follow them. At the school, zombies are crowding around a locked room. Inside, a group of kids is hiding. Zwa tells his buddy to take a breather. He realizes his stamina is nothing like it was 10 years later. Meanwhile, Duan starts crying, and he tells her to zip it. The idol's friend points at the boy, threatening him. But Zwa spots his bleeding wrist and asks if he's hurt. The bald guy mentions he's bleeding a bit because of Deming. Then, the hero explains the first infected came from the meteorite, and the rest got infected through bites. He calls the virus Abla. He breaks down that the virus only hits humans and spreads through water, air, and direct contact, with direct contact being the worst. Basically, if they bite you, you're gonna turn into one of them. The idol gets annoyed and accuses the main guy of watching too many horror flicks and imagining things. He quickly fires back, saying the bald dude will change in 10 minutes. With a baseball bat in hand, he asks if the guy wants him to end his misery. But the man isn't having it and tells him to back off. So it calmly points out that he's already changed since he doesn't even feel pain. Right then, the guy glances at his hands gripping the bat, noticing the veins popping on his arm, and his eyes go wide. He assures the pink-haired girl he'll be okay, but she insists he keeps his distance. Gao figures out she turned on him real fast, despite him risking it all to protect her. Out of nowhere, they hear a crash and see the principal's car wrecked, surrounded by the infected as he tried to escape. In a cold, detached voice, the main guy offers to put him down to solve the issue more efficiently, but the boy freaks out, hoping he's just bluffing. So it tells Gao it's time to leave, but Duan quickly grabs his arm, asking to join him. She releases her infected friend's arm, warning him not to touch her. He just wanted to talk. With tears in his eyes, he starts to open up, looking all sad and stuff. Out of nowhere, a box cutter slices across his face. Duan did it, telling him he should die alone and shouldn't have messed with her escape. He reaches out to her, but meanwhile, they make a run for it, and the protagonist tells them that zombies, before they evolve, can be taken down with hits to the head and spine. After a lot of hesitation, his best friend finally finds the courage to attack a zombie. He smashes its face with his axe, taking it down easily. Watching the blood drip from the axe, he sighs in relief, feeling pretty good about it. The girl asks them to wait up because she was so worried she couldn't keep up. Swa holds the blood-stained crowbar right in front of her face. He asks her why she's tagging along again. Instead of answering, she just pleads to go with them. Gao wants to bring her too, but Swa doesn't really care. Honestly, they don't have time to deal with her right now. The main guy says she can come, but only if she follows his orders. If not, she's going to be in serious trouble. Outside, there's still a horde of zombies hanging around. Gao thinks about jumping the wall, but his buddy says it's too risky. The plan is to use loudspeakers to lure the zombies away so they can escape. His friend wonders what'll happen to him, but Swa tells him not to worry and dashes toward the room. Meanwhile, Gao checks if the girl is okay, and she nervously says she is. Duan starts acting weirdly flirty with Gao, thanking him for his earlier help. Gao feels awkward as Duan throws herself at him. With her chest pressed against him, she starts saying how Swa is really tough. Gao is the total opposite. She's scheming to manipulate him, thinking it's easier since he's a virgin. The guy chuckles, admitting he's a nice dude, but then gets serious and tells her to quit talking about his buddy. Meanwhile, zombies are munching on a teen's body until they spot a couple of soda cans. Drawn by the cans, the zombies shuffle over. Sua, who set up the trap, mentions that dealing with zombies is still a breeze at this early stage. When he reaches the broadcasting room, he's puzzled about which button starts the broadcast. Suddenly, an infected person sneaks up behind him. He's so focused on the screens that he doesn't notice a thing. The infected lunges at him, but he manages to grab it by the neck with both hands. As he struggles to hold the zombie, he suspects it might be a semi-evolved one. Pinned against the table, he knows he can't afford to get bitten since he's got no immunity to the virus. His eyes widen as he fights to control the creature. Then, he spots two sharp metal knitting needles nearby. As he stretches to grab the tool, the infected lunges for his neck, but he swiftly jabs it with the metal needles. He drives the tool straight into the infected's head with all his strength. In no time, the zombie drops dead, and he breathes a sigh of relief, thankful he's still kicking. Realizing how close he came to dying, he glances at the fallen creature and remarks on the oddity of finding a zombie in the broadcasting room. He feels relieved, grateful the infected was only partially evolved. Spotting a framed photo in the hand of a pink-haired girl who resembles the zombie, he wonders if it was her. He figures she was the school's announcer, knitting something for her boyfriend, which explains the metal needles. Suddenly, an announcement blares over the school speakers, saying the exercises are about to begin. Swiftly, the loudspeakers start blaring instructions for stretching exercises to lure the zombies. And outside, Gao and Duan see the plans working but notice the gates locked. Gao swings his axe at the gate's lock, smashing it effortlessly. He pushes the gate open, clearing a path. The blonde kid asks Duan to guard the gate, but she's anxious about what to do if the monsters return. Suddenly, a school bus shows up, and the driver tells them to hop on. Duan urges the boy to board the bus, but he insists on waiting for his friend. She bites her lip, clearly unhappy with his decision. The bus driver tells Gao to get on board. When the boy mentions he's waiting for Zue, the driver claims he saw Zue kill someone, and Duan suggests they shut the gate right away. Another passenger backs Duan up, saying they should close the gate, while the driver keeps pushing Gao to get on. The girl tries to convince Gao to leave his friend behind, but Gao catches on and calls her out for being deceitful. Furious, the boy declares he'll fight anyone who tries to close the gate. Duan's demeanor shifts, and she looks annoyed. The passengers are totally freaked out by what's happening. Everyone's just staring, confused, trying to figure out who this guy is and what he's up to. Even though the driver warns about the consequences and insists they head to the city, Gao stands his ground unfazed. The kid yells out, claiming he got what he wanted, as the bus starts moving. Just then, a creepy hand sneaks up behind him, grabs his jacket, and yanks him back. His eyes go wide in shock. That's when he realizes a zombie is trying to attack and bite him. The infected knocks Gao down and pins him, trying to take a bite. Gao quickly jams an axe into the zombie's mouth to stop it. He uses all his strength, gripping the axe with both hands, to keep the zombie from biting him. In his head, he's panicking, thinking he can't hold out much longer. He really doesn't want to die like this, especially without ever having a girlfriend. Out of nowhere, the zombie's head flies off, separating from its body. Gao lets out a relieved sigh. Sui stands in front of him, holding the crowbar he used to save Gao from a zombie. With a calm demeanor, Sui reaches out to Gao, mentioning he almost didn't make it in time. As they walk through the forest, Sui tells his friend that skipping the bus was the right call. If someone infected had been on board, it would have been a disaster. Plus, heading to the city is like signing your own death warrant, according to Sui. Gao vents his frustration about Duan, and our main guy suggests they find a place to crash for a bit. Our hero, talking to himself, feels relieved that F didn't board the bus. Last time, a student with injuries started transforming during the ride, causing chaos as everyone panicked and scrambled to escape the bus. The noise from the crash drew a swarm of zombies, who then chased after the students. While Gao and Sui were frantically looking for a safe spot, the pink-haired girl refused to let them in. At this point, F resigns himself to the situation, saying there's no way the girl will open the door. Overcome with tears, the protagonist's friend urges him to run and leave him behind because he's injured. Back in those days, the protagonist was weak and abandoned his friend to save himself. Now, in the present, his buddy snaps him back to reality, offers him food, and mentions knowing a safe spot. The protagonist takes the food, feeling like fate is giving him another shot to make things right. Standing in front of a garage, the protagonist asks if this is the place his friend mentioned. His friend confirms, saying it belongs to a relative. By luck, they left the key with him. As the protagonist opens the garage, he warns them to be cautious. When Gao steps inside, Sui tells him to secure the door and scope out the place. When asked about their next move, Gao mentions wanting to see his family, but the protagonist says he's got someone else to find first. His friend, grinning, teases him about whether it's a girl or maybe a girlfriend. With a smirk, the protagonist tells F he's being overly optimistic. The moon is lighting up the night over the streets of Japan right now. Outside F's family garage, a bunch of zombies are pounding on the door, trying to get in. Sui reassures his worried friend, saying there's no way the zombies can break through. The main guy explains that they got hit with the same virus as these zombies, but they ended up mutating differently. Most folks mutated so fast that their bodies just couldn't handle it. But a few lucky ones managed to resist the mutation and even control it. By controlling it, they can boost their bodies and build some resistance to the virus. Gao asks how our guy knows all this. Sui tells him not to stress and says he'll teach him a breathing technique to speed up his evolution. He starts meditating and calmly instructs Gao to focus on each part of his body and to fight any pain he feels. He adds that the virus will gather in one spot, and that's the path to follow. Just like before, Sui's palms have leveled up. People like him are called palm lions. This is a universal evolution, meaning his skills have gotten a boost. Now he's pretty average across the board. Last time, he had to jump through hoops to learn this breathing method that triggered his evolution. But this time, he's got a serious edge. He's already lived through the last decade before anyone else. The scene is a chaotic, wrecked cityscape. A boy in a blue striped jacket is running, holding the hand of a red-haired girl. The girl trips and falls, crying. The boy asks if she's alright, and she says she twisted her ankle. Suddenly, he glances back and spots a horde of zombies closing in on them. In a heroic move, he picks her up and carries her on his back. The girl tells Tianxin to leave her and save himself, but he insists he'll make sure she survives. He starts running like crazy, but up ahead, he notices the bridge is out. The zombies are closing in fast on the pair. He insists there's no other choice. The girl pleads with him to leave her and escape alone, but he refuses once more. Gathering speed, he tells her to hang on tight and makes a daring leap across the bridge. With the right momentum, he successfully lands on the other side, the girl still clinging to his back. Or so he thinks. Suddenly, the girl slips and starts to fall from the bridge. He desperately reaches out to grab her hand, trying to stop her fall. Both stretch out their hands, but it's too late. Xianxian plummets, and Zui can't catch her. Drenched in sweat and fear, he jolts awake from the nightmare, shouting Xianxian's name. Meanwhile, his buddy seems to be enjoying a rather thrilling dream of his own. As dawn breaks, Tianxin gets a motorcycle ready to chase after someone he mentioned earlier. Just before he leaves, his friend calls out. With a confident grin, he tells his friend to bring the girl back quickly. Tianxin, with a hint of sarcasm, replies he'd do it even without being asked. In a typical Japanese neighborhood, our guy doesn't spot any zombies around. He hops on his motorcycle, making the final tweaks before chasing after the girl through the city. He tells his buddy to stay safe and not let anyone in. His friend shoots back, saying he's not a kid. Before he can finish, Zui revs up the bike, and his friend shouts for him to come back soon. With determination, he grips the handlebars and takes off in a flash. Gao tells his friend to stay safe. As he cruises through the streets, he thinks about how he didn't tell Ifai the truth. The girl was his girlfriend in a past life. Her name is Xianxian, and she's the most important person to him. But right now, they're just strangers who haven't even met yet. He pulls up at a 24-hour convenience store. He mentions he doesn't remember these streets from a decade ago. Suddenly, a kin collapses to the ground, catching our protagonist off guard. Two zombies rush at him, hungry for a bite. Our hero grips the axe tightly, keeping a calm and neutral expression. Suddenly, he unleashes a fierce and powerful strike on the zombies. In no time, he's dealt with the zombies, but then a loud scream echoes from a distance. Gao wonders if humans are involved. Inside a car surrounded by zombies, two terrified sisters huddle together. The older sister tries to soothe the younger one while zombies relentlessly attempt to break in. The window shatters, and fear grips the older sister as a zombie climbs into the passenger seat. Tianxian shows up, grabs the zombie by its pants, and hurls it away. The zombie smashes into a wall, breaking it. The hero's strength has clearly increased after meditating. The sisters are shocked but relieved to see the hero arrive. The other zombies stare in disbelief as he delivers a powerful kick to their heads. His kick sends the creatures flying. The little girl gazes in awe at her rescuer. He swiftly maneuvers behind another zombie, grabbing it by the torso and slamming its head into the ground with a suplex. To the girl, everything her hero does seems incredible. After these moves, he realizes his strength and reflexes have truly skyrocketed, making him one of the strongest around. 2 more zombies rush at him, but he stands his ground, and in no time, the threat is neutralized. The zombies are down for the count. He looks a bit worn out, with blood on his face, as the girl's sister thanks him. Tianqin suggests they find a safe place. He recommends heading to the 24-hour convenience store. The sister asks what his plans are, and he tells her he'll join them later. As they make their way to the store, the little girl mentions her teddy bear is missing. While pouring gasoline into the car, he notices lines on his hands, a sign of his new powers. With a kind of sixth sense, he senses there are still zombies lurking nearby. The younger sister is worried about the boy and wants to leave the store to check on him. She decides to take her older sister along, and grabs her hand. Meanwhile, a swarm of zombies charges at the protagonist, who calmly evaluates the situation. With a cigarette hanging from his lips, he flicks it toward the gasoline he spilled on the car. The car erupts in flames instantly, creating a massive explosion that engulfs the zombies. As the chaos unfolds, the hero stands with his back to the scene, maintaining a stoic expression. The older sister clutches something in her hands, watching the car explode. In her eyes there's a mix of doubt and despair about the protagonist. He asks why they're not waiting inside the store. Back at the convenience store, the boy asks the little girl if her brother is her mother, and she clarifies that it's her sister. He shows her a teddy bear he found inside the car. The girl expresses her gratitude to our hero, who is pleased with her appreciation. As he's sipping water, the girl casually asks if he thinks her sister is cute, and he admits he does. She then bluntly suggests he should just become her brother-in-law and start dating her sister. Annoyed, he tells her that kids shouldn't talk like that. The older sister feels uneasy about taking food like this, calling it stealing, but the protagonist argues that if she doesn't, someone else will. She mentions she was a teacher at an all-girls school until yesterday, and now society's just crumbled overnight. Surprised, he excitedly asks if it was Xing Xing's school, and she confirms it. He grabs her shoulders and eagerly asks if she knows Su Ruoxian. She asks him to let go first, and he quickly apologizes. She then mentions that yes, she's Xian's teacher and wonders if he knows her. With a hint of sadness, he says they're friends, but deep down, he knows they aren't that close yet. The older sister reassures him that Xian is smart and likely safe, possibly still at the school. Seeing the danger looming over Xian, she asks if they're just friends or something more. Out of nowhere, she plants a kiss on his cheek, leaving him flustered and puzzled. She explains it's a thank you kiss since they're parting ways. Her younger sister, in tears, wonders if they can tag along with the boy because he's kind and will keep them safe. The older sister advises against bothering him, reminding her that he has his own issues to handle and they might cross paths again someday. The boy gently pats the girl's head and asks if her sister can drive, to which she nods. He urges them to hurry up as they're about to head out. Outside, the 3 of them hop on Tianjin's motorcycle, with him at the helm. The woman remarks on how terrifying it is to see the world in such ruins. To ease their nerves, the protagonist suggests they imagine it's just a horror movie virus. He quickly parks and announces they've reached their destination. He stops by a car and casually mentions that breaking into this kind of ride is his forte. His older sister isn't having it, reminding him he's just a student and that this is totally illegal. She suggests they hit up a police station to find Xian, but he's clearly not a fan of that plan. He points to a zombie cop and sarcastically asks if that's who they should be asking for help. The teacher is absolutely stunned. The main guy asks for her name. Staring at the zombie cop, she says her name is Luo. He steps up and smacks the zombie cop in the face with a crowbar, taking him out. He tells her the world has turned into something she couldn't even imagine. Luo is freaked out, the little girl is amazed, and Luo's face looks even more intense. While rummaging through the cop's stuff, he notes the gear is solid, but there's no weapon. Now wearing the cop's uniform, he points out that regular zombies shouldn't bite through it. He hands a weapon to the teacher, saying public order is gone, and she needs to look out for herself. He tells them he's done all he can and has even modified the car. He urges them to go find Gao. He mentions they came because of Zhuotianxian. The teacher figures out his name is Zhua, and he confirms it. The sister introduces herself and her younger sister, Luo Xiaoxue, and asks the hero to stay safe. As the teacher floors it, our hero revs up his motorcycle. She tells him to come back in one piece, and he promises he will. The teacher drives on calmly until her sister mentions she might miss out when he finds his girlfriend. The older sister, sounding a bit down, admits she knows but can't do anything about it. The younger one comments that adults are weird. The city is caught in a massive and unusual traffic jam. The protagonist realizes even his motorcycle won't cut through this mess. He hops off to walk, but something ahead grabs his attention. Spotting a police car stuck in the line, he thinks there might be a weapon inside. Peering out the window, he spots a dead cop slumped over the steering wheel. On the seat, he notices a gun just sitting there. Out of nowhere, a zombie slams its hands on the glass, making a loud noise. In a split second, someone bursts out of the car, shattering the glass right in front of Zhua. A super strong guy in a suit seems to have pushed the zombie away, muttering about how the cars are everywhere, making it impossible to escape the infected. The zombie lets out a massive scream when a shard hits its forehead. Our protagonist, looking shocked, quickly smashes its head against a nearby car. But as soon as the zombie's head hits the car alarm blares, setting off all the others. We see the protagonist using a combat knife to take down another zombie. Crouched by the fresh corpse, he mutters that fighting here, surrounded by cars, is a no-go. He realizes he needs the cop's gun. Meanwhile, he realizes fighting here, surrounded by cars, is impossible. He needs the cop's gun to stand a chance. Meanwhile, at school, there's this dark hallway that leads to a specific room. It's the first grade class 4 room, and inside are 3 high school girls. One of them, a red-haired girl with yellow eyes, is in a catatonic state, hugging her knees. Another girl mentions she sees someone out on the street. They talk about how he took down several monsters but set off car alarms, attracting a horde. Standing on a police car, he counts his bullets and realizes 35 won't cut it. He jumps from car to car, trying to escape the zombies, but they're closing in on him. One girl wonders why he's on top of the bus instead of running, and her friend explains it's to avoid getting surrounded. But then a bold zombie climbs up the bus, coming face to face with our annoyed protagonist. In one quick move, he swings his crowbar and sends the zombie flying. He notes that he won't use his pistol unless absolutely necessary. With that, he keeps taking down zombies with his crowbar, smashing their skulls and sending them to the afterlife. He yells at the zombies to come at him, promising to take them all down. The girls are debating whether to ask for his help since they're unsure of his motives or if he'll even make it out alive. In a wild frenzy, the protagonist goes on a rampage, taking out the zombies with relentless fury. He assures himself he won't die here, as the sun sets and the ground is littered with hundreds of infected bodies. Zua leans on his axe as dusk falls, facing the last zombie. He's exhausted and knows he needs rest, but the zombie charges at him. The creature picks up speed and leaps toward him. Quickly, he shoves his crowbar into the zombie's mouth, forcing it to bite down on the metal. He pushes the crowbar against the zombie, annoyed at its weakness, mocking it for not even reaching the second stage of evolution. Then he delivers a powerful blow to the monster's head, killing it instantly. The infected is sent flying off the bus with a massive crash. A gunshot rings out, exploding the head of another infected. Exhausted, the protagonist finishes off the zombie with a shot to the head. Completely drained, he collapses to the ground, using this moment to test his resistance to the virus. The black-haired girl tells Big Sister Xia that the boy took out all the zombies. She's shocked and asks how he's doing now. The girl says he looks like he's resting, and the other wonders if he might be their savior. Meanwhile, deep in his thoughts, he realizes the moment has come. It's time to organize and modify the Ebola virus cells, gathering them at their origin. After the first stage, these spots will form something that boosts his physical abilities. He activates the 10,000 abilities system. He figures he should now be able to take down non-evolved infected way more easily since he's got twice the strength of a regular human. Even without testing his other skills yet, he assumes they're stronger, especially his recovery and immunity. Now, he can sense objects within. He has a perception radius of 5 meters, but when he activates his enhanced mode, it extends to 20 meters, though it limits his movement. The spiritual system is way more impressive. Xian used to be able to see up to a kilometer away. He wonders if Xian is at school. Looking in that direction, he decides to go meet her. The moon lights up the sky on this dark night. As Zua sharpens his senses, he picks up on 2 nearby vital signs, which he suspects are infected. Realizing his range isn't the best, he figures there are more out there, so he tosses a can to divert their attention. The 2 zombies are drawn to the noise and rush toward the can. Then, he spots about 5 zombies perched on a wall. He sees their 5 undeveloped types, and with his current skills, he feels confident he can take them down easily. It's the perfect chance to test his powers after evolving. He leaps off the wall toward the group of infected. As he lands, he slams 2 zombies to the ground, crushing their heads. He notices his coordination and reflexes are now 3 times better. While still holding the 2 bodies, more zombies charge at him. He realizes he can now pull off those crazy moves from action movies. With a precise swing, he takes out 3 zombie heads in one go. In his current state, these first-stage zombies are no longer a challenge. Meanwhile, inside the classroom, the girls' supplies are running low, and they're worried about starving. They debate whether to venture out into the corridors at night to scavenge for food. The red-haired girl with yellow eyes, the 3 of them head into the corridor with their flashlights guiding the way. They quietly move through the corridors and decide to split up to find supplies. The girl with yellow eyes starts rummaging through her classmates' backpacks for anything useful. She discovers a bottle of water under a desk and celebrates her find. Suddenly, one of the girls gets startled and lets out a scream. Tianxin, who's just entering the school, hears it and realizes there are people inside. The pink-haired girl is worried and asks the hamster to let her go because she's really concerned about her friends. Outside the classroom, one of her friends is running like crazy with an infected student hot on her heels. The girl is running for her life, while the yellow-eyed girl is shouting Xiaoling's name over and over. But it's no use. In a flash, Xiaoling gets bitten on the neck by an infected student. Behind her lies another dead friend, and in front of her, Xiaoling is being devoured alive by a zombie. The zombie is going for her neck. The other girl is on the ground, agonizing as her life slips away in front of her surviving friend. The infected notices the only girl still alive. The girl quickly starts running frantically, but the infected is right behind her. Inside the school, Zua realizes the noise he made earlier has attracted way more infected than he expected. He pulls out both pistols, finally ready to use them because he doesn't want to get hurt. He starts blasting away at the zombies. As the gun cools down, he notices the infected are evolving and wonders if it's supposed to happen this fast. While reloading, he realizes he's down to just 25 bullets and knows he has to save them. In the dim corridor, lit only by moonlight, several zombies lie on the ground. Glancing to the side, he spots zombies trying to break through a window. To see if anyone's inside, he uses his detection ability. The area is clear, but inside the room, he senses a girl's presence. He grips his weapon tightly. The girl, crying and hugging her knees, pleads with the zombies not to come in. Suddenly, she notices the noise has stopped. Feeling relieved, she wonders if the infected have left. Someone knocks on the door, startling her, and she falls back. But hearing a human voice, she relaxes. She opens the door with a smile and comes face to face with Tianqian, who looks serious. She quickly asks if he has any food because she's starving. The protagonist hands her some food and water for her pet. As she devours the meal, he asks if she knows Xian. She replies that everyone knows Xian. She's the queen of the school. She then asks if he's looking for her, and he nods. She mentions that a lot of people ran away earlier, and others are hiding. If Xian's at the school, she's definitely in hiding. The protagonist is caught off guard by the girl's necklace and asks where she got it. She tells him to let go, insisting it's hers, and demands to know what he's trying to do. Our hero asks if her father is Luo Rihang. The girl asks if he knows her dad, and the protagonist says they're friends. He puts a reassuring hand on her shoulder and says he'll take her to see her father. She pulls away and says she doesn't want to see her dad, but she'll tag along since he has food. With a cigarette and a half smile, he says that's good enough for him. They shake hands, sealing their agreement. We glimpse a desolate, abandoned place from the protagonist's past. Zhua and Luo, the girl's father, are out scavenging for resources, but they're not having much luck. Suddenly, our hero senses something off. He tells Uncle Luo that something feels wrong, and Luo admits he feels it too. Out of nowhere, a creepy green creature with a chaotic form emerges from the shadows. Its body is made of tangled green roots, and it has glowing red eyes. The protagonist notes it's one of the claw types and thinks they might be outmatched. Luo tells him to stay calm and asks for cover while he handles the creature. They agree they need to wrap this up fast. In a flash, the creature lunges at Uncle Luo, who's already got his 2 machetes ready. He swiftly lands several powerful slashes on the creature. It screams in pain but fights back, sending Luo flying. As he gets tossed, he crashes through the walls. He calls out to Tianqing, who gets the hint and starts firing at the monster. The monster glares at the hero with pure hatred as he runs out of ammo. Out of nowhere, the beast charges at him with everything it's got, leaving our guy looking totally desperate. Just before it strikes, Luo swings his machete and chops off one of its arms. He pivots back, gaining momentum, ready to strike again. With a swift move, he slices the creature into pieces, finishing it off. They both breathe a sigh of relief because that was way too close. Luo, surprised, asks how he suddenly got so fast. He opens his shirt, showing off his ripped physique, revealing that he's evolved. Tianqing says he expected nothing less from number 1, and Luo, being modest, suggests he should practice the breathing techniques he developed. In the middle of a military fort, they start chatting. Luo seems distracted, staring at something, and his friend notices, asking what's up. Luo is looking at a pendant he gave his daughter for her birthday, a pendant they both share. The protagonist is shocked and asks why he never mentioned having a daughter. The man reveals her name is Luo Lanxia and explains that, as a soldier, he hasn't been around much for her. Zui wants to know where she is. Her father, with tears in his eyes, guesses she must be 18 now, if she's still alive. Tears keep falling as he smokes, his hand covering his face. Regretfully, he shares that when the virus hit, he was on a mission. If he'd been with her, he could have protected her. Trying to lift his spirits, the protagonist assures him that a daughter of someone as strong as him must be strong too. Fast forward to the present, we're in a classroom. The girl starts meditating, using a breathing technique. She follows the boy's guidance, continuing her practice. He tells her they'll head out the next day. He notices she's managing to gather some virus cells. It's not a lot, but it'll do. He lights up another cigarette and heads to the window for a smoke. Before his rebirth, Uncle Luo, the mentor and buddy of our main guy, went through a lot to master these exercises. Zui was his destiny. Meanwhile, at the top of the school, inside the emergency stairwell, there are bloodstains on the door. The blood-covered stairs lead down to a particular spot, a slightly open door. Inside, there's an infected person on the floor who seems to be radiating a strange energy. Its cells are changing, multiplying and getting stronger, moving to the next level. Suddenly, what was just a regular infected turns into a way bigger threat. Back in class, our main guy chats with his friend's daughter. He asks if she knows how to handle a gun, and she figures her dad probably taught her. He suggests she keeps the safety off, as things could get dangerous anytime. When he mentions she caught on fast, she replies it's because she's witnessed a lot of people die. He tells her to train quietly, and she asks if he took out all the zombies with his skills, declaring she wants to surpass him. He says she'll need to practice hard to do that and then asks where the generator is located. She points out that the generator is in the basement behind the storage room, mentioning it's pitch black down there. Using his perception skills, he senses no zombies around. He considers making an announcement over the loudspeaker to check if anyone else is still in the school. Although finding the generator room is crucial, he feels something's not right. He recalls the rope he found in the police car, thinking it should be enough to reach from the 3rd floor. He sets it up and starts climbing down, knowing he can't waste time on zombies. As he descends the rope, he quickly reaches the storage room. The unsettling vibe in the air seems to be coming from here. This eerie feeling makes him wonder if the infected have already started mutating. With his weapon ready, he knows he has to go in, so he activates his perception ability. Even with his heightened senses, he can't detect any infected around. He calmly opens a door, keeping his weapon aimed at any potential threat ahead. He realizes the basement is pretty big, and his detection might have missed something. So, he stays on high alert. 2 glowing red eyes seem to be watching him. Behind him, a creature is poised to attack. He finally reaches the generator room and carefully opens the door. Right away, he spots an infected woman who springs up aggressively. In a split second, he fires his gun, hitting the zombie. However, out of nowhere, an evolved infected shows up behind him, trying to land a hit. He notices the attack just in time and realizes it's a second stage infected. The monstrous creature smashes the ground with a huge punch, causing massive damage, but he dodges it. He takes off running at top speed, frustrated by the zombie's rapid evolution. This guy knows all about the infected, especially how their bones toughen up in stage 2, making the skull super hard. He figures a heavy weapon would help, so he swings his axe at the zombie, but it doesn't work, so he bolts. The monster crashes through a door, while our guy makes a strategic dash upstairs. The creature keeps screeching at him. He mocks the creature, asking if it really thinks it can take him down now that they're above ground. Out in the open, he's got the upper hand. He smacks the zombie's jaw with a crowbar, making it spin and tumble down the stairs. The zombie takes a nasty fall down several flights, looking pretty banged up. But then it pops right back up like nothing happened, unleashing a furious roar that echoes through the whole school. Luolan Xia jumps at the sound of that roar. The noise seems to draw the zombies in, and they start charging through the hallways like they're in a trance. They head towards the noise, making their way through the courtyard to the storage room. The protagonist figures out that the zombie's constant screaming is a call for backup. He jumps in and strikes the evolved zombie to shut it up. The attack lands, and this time the zombie seems hurt. He quickly steps on it, ready for another round. Fueled by anger and adrenaline, he unleashes a flurry of hits with his weapon. Clenching his teeth in rage, he shouts for it to just die already. But then he spots more zombies coming up the stairs. The evolved zombie gets back on its feet fast. Seeing he's outnumbered, our guy thinks about climbing the stairs to get the upper hand. He swiftly dodges another swing from the buff zombie. Deciding it's time to bail, he retreats at top speed. The buff zombie, along with 4 others it called, starts chasing him. Using his skill, he senses the 4 zombies. He realizes this one isn't fully evolved since second stage zombies can summon 10 at once. He gains speed off the wall, planning his next move. Our protagonist is determined to wrap this up fast. The zombies stare him down as he fires off a series of shots. He nails the buff zombie with his shots and swiftly switches to another weapon. He grabs his crowbar and starts whacking the first stage zombies. They all look pretty banged up, but the evolved buff zombie just seems to be getting angrier. With a bullet stuck in its forehead, it looks seriously ticked off. The protagonist knows the pistol shots won't finish it off, but they'll slow it down. This gives him the perfect chance to go in with his crowbar. They lock eyes just as he makes his move. He manages to take down and finish off the buff zombie. The scary part about these second stage zombies is their ability to call reinforcements and launch sneak attacks. With the zombie dealt with, he decides to head back and switch the power on. Looking down, he notices the zombie drew all the others to the school's first floor. Wandering through the school corridors, he stumbles upon an infirmary. He goes inside and grabs a medical emergency kit. He takes out some medicinal alcohol and other supplies. Then he opens the window and starts tossing the alcohol out. The zombies freak out when bottles of alcohol start flying their way. A few bottles even smack some of the infected right on the head. Then, he lights up a bottle with a lighter and chucks it out the window. The Molotov cocktail sets all the gathered zombies ablaze. Lua watches the fiery chaos from the top floor, totally impressed by the intensity of the flames. Just then, the school lights flicker on, catching the girl's attention. Our main guy starts messing around with the school's loudspeakers, and the girl gets what's going on. When he calls out for Xian, he realizes he used a nickname, and quickly corrects himself. He then calls for Suruashin, letting her know he's there and asking her to meet him at the gate the next day, even though they don't really know each other. He asks her to trust him. He's hoping to see Xian at the school the following day. Night falls over the school. Our hero returns, and she mentions she heard the announcement. Luo figures out what's going on. He thinks Su fell for Xian at first sight, and is now acting like a stalker. He cuts her off with a pat, saying she's just imagining things. Then, he suggests she get some rest since they have an early start tomorrow. Morning comes, and Luo Lanxia wakes up after a rough night's sleep. Su is already up and ready to go. Luo mentions that Xian is waiting at the gate. Without thinking, he dashes toward the school's entrance. He passes by several people he had killed the day before. With his back to him, he spots Xian, the most important person in his life. Inside, he's thrilled to see her again. He excitedly calls out her name, but when she turns, it's someone else entirely. He's left baffled, trying to make sense of it. Once he regains his composure, he asks the two if they've seen Suruoxian, but they haven't. The 2 random girls start flirting with him, urging him to hang out. He sharply tells them to leave him alone right away. They're freaked out by how he talks, and even Luo's hamster is like, "Get out of here!" Luo tells her hamster to chill out. Our main guy snaps at the weird girl, asking if she got bitten. He starts losing it, yelling at her for not mentioning a bite. He points a gun at her, figuring she got bitten about 20 minutes ago and will turn in an hour. The strange girl insists it was just a scratch and she's fine, but her friend gets mad and shoves her. Another friend jumps in, saying she wasn't scratched and wants to come along. Her best friend grabs her arm, reminding her she gave her water, while the other pleads not to be left behind. The backstabbing friend promises to do anything, calling her a monster. Then, out of nowhere, the almost transformed girl bites her friend on the shoulder. All 3 of them are just standing there, totally stunned by what just went down. The bitten friend yells at her to let go because it hurts like crazy. She calls her a monster and says they'll both transform. The survivor admits she's almost changed, hinting the other is infected too. She drops to her knees, whispering that this can't be happening and she doesn't want to die. Her friend just laughs like a maniac after pulling off such a wicked move. The protagonist seems unfazed by all this and mentions that Xian isn't around the school. As the girl sobs, he and Luo casually head out through the school's front gate. The protagonist is stunned to find his motorcycle missing, realizing they'll have to hoof it. Eyeing the hamster, he asks if it's called Xiang Biao and notes it'll be super handy because it's unique. He feels something stirring inside Xiang Biao, suggesting it's undergone some kind of evolution. He mentions that their only apocalypse research comes from their own experiences. Luo wonders how he knows so much when it's only been 4 days since the incident. The protagonist explains he traveled back in time and suggests the hamster might have some unknown powers. Out of nowhere, Zoe catches the sound of gunshots echoing in the distance. Luo mentions there's a police station nearby. She suggests they head there, thinking they'll be safe with the cops around. He just nods and lets out a sarcastic laugh. As they get closer, they witness a shootout with officers firing at zombies swarming the place. Zombies are dropping like flies as they're shot in the head. The officers' guns are blazing, spitting bullets at a crazy speed. They're taking cover behind police cars, firing at the infected, while Luo is shocked and Zwa seems unfazed. An officer tells Mr. Lin they're low on ammo and can't hold out much longer. Mr. Lin urges them to hang in there, saying they've only managed to evacuate half the citizens. The officer then orders everyone to form a defensive line. Luo, sitting on the ground, laments that she thought this place was safe. The protagonist tells her there are no safe places anymore. He puts out his cigarette, seemingly making up his mind, and Luo asks where they're headed next. Using his detection ability, he spots 4 zombies lurking in the area. He tells her to stay put and stay alert. As he steps inside, he finds only 3 of the 4 zombies he sensed earlier. The zombies spot him and rush forward. He swiftly takes them down, sweeping their legs and ripping one of their heads off. Luo's hamster starts growling when a muscular zombie tries to attack him. He responds by swinging his crowbar right into the zombie's face. Just as he's about to finish off the buff zombie, he notices something. The 4th zombie sneaks up behind Luo Lan Xia, ready to bite, but he warns her just in time. Luo turns around, terrified, as she faces the zombie. She reaches out to help Luo, but the zombie blocks her attempt. Annoyed, the protagonist smacks the zombie across the face. The slap is so powerful it shatters the zombie's jaw, and then he crushes its skull. With superhuman strength, he twists and breaks its neck. He urgently shouts at the girl to shoot the zombie behind her as fast as she can. A girl, shaking, points her gun at a zombie, telling it to stay back. But as soon as it growls and charges, she pulls the trigger without a second thought. The shot is so powerful it takes off half the zombie's face. It drops dead instantly. With smoke still rising from the barrel, she lets out a relieved breath. Just then, while she's still in shock, the protagonist offers her a hand with a friendly smile. She says sorry for losing focus, and he just reminds her to always stay alert. She just killed her first infected, and he mentions they can see the fight through the window. She wonders why they don't jump in to help. He explains that gunfire draws zombies from miles away, making it super risky. He adds that it would be suicide since it's 10 cops against 10,000 undead. Luo tells them to get out of there, but our favorite survivor suggests they wait. While smoking on the balcony and watching the police, he says they'll grab the weapons when the cops leave. Outside, the gunfight rages on. The officer warns Olin that they can't hold out much longer and need to fall back. He's shouting over the chaos. Olin orders all units to get ready to retreat and regroup back to their original positions. Luo, observing everything, tells the protagonist that the troops are pulling back. He mentions he's searched everywhere. He shows what he found, just a knife and a few odds and ends. Luo suggests they try using the car key to find the matching vehicle and make a getaway. The protagonist gives her a knife as a backup since they're almost out of ammo. Suddenly, out of nowhere, she swings the knife at Luo, but he effortlessly catches it between his fingers. She snaps back, saying she's just taking his advice to gain experience through tough battles and doesn't want to be dead weight. She also wonders why they haven't run into any evolved infected, and he explains that only 1 in 100 actually evolve. He breaks it down for her. In the second stage, they get faster and stronger, but still within human limits. The real issue is their ability to launch surprise attacks and call in more infected. He mentions that heavy weapons work well against them, and it'll be a while before the next stages show up. When asked how long it takes for them to evolve, the protagonist says the second stage can take anywhere from a week to a month. He notices through the window that the infected are trailing the retreating police, seeing it as their opportunity. With the moon lighting their way, they both leave the building and head down to the street. Using a car remote, they locate the right vehicle. They grab the supplies and drive to the police station. The protagonist tells Luo to stick close because there might still be zombies lurking. He also asks her to leave her pet in the car and empty her backpack. Someone is watching them through binoculars as they enter the building. The guy with the binoculars tells his boss that the police and zombies have vanished. His boss asks for more details. He mentions that a couple went inside and notes that the girl is pretty. Finally, word is out that the duo has already entered the building. The boss, looking fierce, demands to know if someone's playing games with him. He tells his 2 other goons to head over to the police station and grab more weapons. He's also plotting to kidnap the girl. On this chilly, dark night, they stroll down the street, 3 henchmen and their boss, all exuding a tough guy vibe. As they step into the police station, they see mutilated bodies scattered everywhere. Blood is smeared across the room and furniture. The protagonist figures the police have already cleaned up and suggests checking the storage room, while Luo thinks they should split up. Heading to the second floor, he warns the girl to be cautious, and she gives a nod. As he climbs the stairs, using his detection skills, he doesn't spot any infected. He tries the doorknob, finds it locked, and quickly decides to kick it open. With the door now wide open, he discovers the storage room. He can't help but be shocked by what he sees inside. Overjoyed, he declares he's hit the jackpot. Inside a black box, he finds 2 basic pistols. Holding 2 larger guns, he wonders if this is all the police gear. He figures they didn't have time to inspect this batch. So, if he keeps searching, he's bound to find more weapons. After a while, Luo discovers bulletproof vests, batons, and helmets, but no guns. She's clearly frustrated by the lack of gear. Hearing a can being kicked, she assumes it's Tianchen, but instead, she encounters 4 thugs armed with melee weapons. The leader orders his 2 brothers to check the upper floor while he and the others search this one. Spotting the strangers quickly, Luo grabs her pistol. Knowing it could get dangerous, she decides to hide. The moonlight spills into the storage room, casting light on the furniture. A noise signals someone is opening the door. A crack appears, and yellow eyes peer through. Luo sees a henchman talking to his boss about the storage room. The boss scolds him and smacks him to keep him quiet so they aren't noticed. The girl suddenly realizes the men are aware they're in the building. As the 2 guys decide to investigate her hiding spot, she keeps her weapon ready. They walk by, but don't spot anything useful around. Just as they're about to leave and check somewhere else, she lowers her weapon. But then, the door swings open, and a guy in a yellow jacket shows up. Luo keeps her gun aimed at him, shaking. Even with death staring him down, he just smirks. Sun packs everything into his backpack, notices it's full, and figures it's time to head back to Luo. As he takes a step forward, he feels something off in the air. Quickly, he ducks behind a wall to hide. Nearby, 2 people stroll down the corridor. The guy in the hat wonders if the protagonist will cause trouble, but his friend assures him their boss is a martial arts champ. The guy in the red hat wisely asks what if the protagonist has a weapon, and his friend mentions they have 4 people. The toughest guy in the group plans to ambush our hero by sneaking through the shadows. But before he can make a move, our hero is already behind him, ready to strike. With just 1 punch, the tall, dark-skinned thug is knocked out cold on the ground. The protagonist figures there must be more of them since they mentioned a boss. Suddenly, he gets a gut feeling that Luo might be in trouble. Meanwhile, Luo is nervously pointing her gun at the guy. The guy, aiming back with a tense but angry look, just smirks sarcastically. The 2 thugs throw up their hands in surrender, asking her to lower the gun. The guy stays calm, with a slight smile, while Luo, with a furrowed brow and clenched teeth, refuses to back down. In a calm voice, the guy insists he means no harm and just wants to chat. Luo, still firm, tells them there's nothing to discuss and they should just leave. Trying to calm her down, the guy says life isn't as simple as it used to be, but they can team up and explore together. They exchange sly smiles. Luo warns them to stay back or she'll shoot. Boldly, she pulls the trigger with force. The 2 are shocked, but nothing happens. The gun doesn't go off. The boss grabs her hand and says he's going to teach her a lesson. He points out that she should have taken the safety off before shooting. He leans in close and asks what she thinks about going out with him, placing her hand on his. The boss starts getting excited. She moves closer, speaking in a calm tone. Suddenly, her expression shifts, and she knees the boss in the groin with all her might. His face twists in agony, and he's frozen by the pain. Dropping to his knees, his henchman asks if the boss is alright. Seeing her chance, she bolts, making a run for it. She races down the building's corridors, running for her life. But then, one of the goons grabs her by the collar, pulling her into his grip. She struggles and screams, which annoys the thug enough to point a gun at her head. In a nasty tone, he warns her that if she moves, he'll shoot. Suddenly, something catches his attention. A noise echoes from the dark hallway, making the thug wonder what's going on. Out of nowhere, a hamster named Xiang Biao shows up, its eyes glowing with an expression like never before. The thug relaxes, thinking it's just a hamster, but then it starts climbing up his leg. It crawls inside his pants and bites him. As he writhes in pain, Luo Lanxia seizes the moment and bites him too. The thug begins to tremble, giving Luo a chance to make a break for it. Annoyed by the relentless hamster, he tries to grab and crush it, but Xiang Biao bites his hand first. The hamster falls to the ground and scurries back to its owner. Luo Lanxia picks it up, completely furious. He claims he had no choice but to act after what just went down. Then, out of nowhere, he starts firing at the girl and the hamster. She bolts immediately. None of the bullets hit her. She leaps with all her strength to a safe spot. She lands perfectly, dodging every bullet without a scratch. A bit bruised from the fall, she spots a hand reaching out to her. Tian Qing shows up to assist Luo Lanxia. He advises her to stay quiet and keep a low profile while hiding. The criminal yells for her to come out and reveal herself. His boss shows up, calling out to the 4th brother. He checks if his boss is alright, and the boss says he is, but the girl almost messed things up for him. He mentions that now both of them are aware of their presence because of the gunfire. The thug notes that the girl can't be far, and his boss points out that the shots were so loud, the brothers must have heard them. Luo Lanxia asks what they should do next, and Zhua checks if her leg is okay, telling her to stay calm. She reassures him it's just a bit sore, nothing major. Our hero offers to carry her, and she gets all flustered and shy about it. He quickly tells her there's no time for embarrassment. With her in his arms, he takes off running at lightning speed. He mentions that the gunshots will draw the infected, while she's still blushing. Just as they're almost safe, they bump into 2 guys from the criminal gang. These 2 are grinning wickedly, aiming their weapons at our protagonist. Glancing back, he sees the other 2 brothers also have their guns trained on them. On a staircase, the protagonist and Luo Lanxia find themselves trapped with no escape. The guy in the red hat taunts them, saying there are weapons in the storage room, urging the protagonist to put Luo down. The boss is convinced they can't handle 4 opponents. Meanwhile, the hero regrets not taking out the other two brothers when he had the chance. With the girl crying and his teeth clenched, the protagonist realizes he has no other choice. Out of nowhere, the boss is completely stunned. Fiery red lines start forming on the protagonist's bracelet. His arm lights up in red as he takes a firm and determined stance. His face shifts to a serious, almost hateful expression. One brother yells at the other to watch out. Suddenly, the protagonist leaps over one of them, ready to attack. The second brother is left speechless as he witnesses this. Our hero's eyes widen as he sees a bullet being fired. With incredible agility, the protagonist effortlessly dodges the bullet. The second brother is left gaping, eyes wide, unable to believe what just happened. Before he can react, he takes a powerful punch square in the face. The punch is so strong it sends the second brother spinning through the air. In a flash, the thug slams into the wall, already lifeless. His eyes roll back, and blood drips from his head and mouth, showing he's gone. The other brother, wearing a red hat, looks completely stunned. He starts yelling and swearing at the protagonist, pulling out a gun and aiming it at his back. The protagonist swiftly delivers a powerful kick right to the thug's face. The thug spins from the impact, spitting out a lot of blood. Downstairs, the thugs are yelling for the third brother. The third brother tumbles down the stairs, while the protagonist tells the girl it's time to go. Their boss checks if the third brother is alright, as the guy in the blue jacket keeps firing shots. The bullets hit the wall near Luolan Xia, who jumps at the noise. The shots miss both the protagonist and his friend. One brother notes they vanished, and the boss orders him to chase them. Peering out the window, they spot an overflowing trash can below. He tells her to jump into it, and then hide in the car because it's not safe here anymore. She's hesitant about jumping, but he insists she must go. Still unsure, Zwa urges her on, warning that the attackers are closing in. With the window open, he gives her a nudge to get her moving. She lands safely, though annoyed, in the trash can on the building's ground floor. Meanwhile, the three brothers are closing in, armed and furious at our hero. Drawing two swords from his back, he knows he can't keep the virus's boost going much longer. With a burst of speed, he charges at them, weapons ready. Reacting to Tian Cheng's swift move, the thugs start firing in a panic. With superhuman agility, he dodges every shot effortlessly. The boss is terrified, staring at this human who seems more like a monster. As he tries to shoot Zwa, he ends up hitting himself instead, watching his own arm fly off. The boss is losing it, screaming like he's in serious pain. While he's in shock, Zhou takes his chance and lands a massive kick right to the boss's face. That kick sends the boss flying, probably snapping a few bones in the process. The other two brothers are just standing there, terrified by what they just saw. One of them is frozen, can't move a muscle. The other one decides to make a run for it, heading straight toward our main guy. But Zhou is suddenly right in front of them, like he teleported or something. They're stunned, staring at this beast of a guy. In a flash, fingers are flying everywhere. They scream out in agony from the sharp pain as our hero casually puts away his swords. He quickly grabs both of them by the neck. Lifting them up, he tells them he's not really into killing humans. With a serious look, Zhou says they brought this on themselves. We get a cool parallel scene in an artistic oriental style. As the protagonist holds them up in the air, we catch a glimpse of the streets outside. You can hear a ton of footsteps. A zombie horde is on its way. Sensing the danger, the protagonist lets the two drop. Deciding he doesn't want to get his hands dirty, the protagonist lets nature handle the two survivors. Realizing the shots were aimed too high, he figures this place isn't safe anymore. He senses they're already outside. Covering his face, he leaps out the window, landing superhero style right in front of the zombies. Drawing his sword from his back, he figures he can hold out for another minute. He swiftly swings his sword, taking down zombies with precision and focus. He mixes in punches and kicks, switching up his attacks. With a calm expression, he easily takes down a few more infected. Exhaustion starts to hit him, as the recoil from overusing his skills comes on fast. Struggling to keep his eyes open, he can't stop the sweat and heavy breaths. Yet, a horde of ravenous zombies still stands before him. He thinks to himself that bad luck always comes in pairs. A bright light shines toward the zombies, irritating them. The protagonist shields his eyes from the blinding light, feeling totally lost. He spots a massive car with its headlights blazing, aimed right at the zombies. Out of nowhere, the car roars to life and plows through the zombies. Inside, he sees Luo Lansha at the wheel, proudly saying she nailed it this time, and he gives her props. He asks if she knows how to drive, and she casually mentions she's practiced before. They decide to bail before the zombies close in. The car, sputtering sparks and smoke, speeds off. Watching from the window, two survivors see the car take off. The brother in the blue jacket tells the third brother they got away. The third brother, missing some fingers, vows revenge. The other brother is too freaked out to say much more. Paralyzed by fear, he tries to talk about the dead but can't get the words out. Finally, he blurts out that they're surrounded by zombies and sees a horde closing in on the police station. On a remote road surrounded by mountains and greenery, we spot the car carrying our protagonist and Luo. As dawn breaks, the girl wakes up and immediately calls out for her brother, Tianqing. She hears him counting his exercise reps and is completely taken aback. Tianqing is in the middle of his morning workout, casually knocking out 1,000 push-ups. As he hits the 1,000 mark, he wraps it up and turns to see what Luo wants. Flaunting his impressive build, he mentions it was tougher than usual because he broke a sweat. The girl reminds him he's still human, and he coolly replies that it was just push-ups. He adds that if he hadn't overused the virus, he could have done another 1,000. Luo asks about his recovery, and he says he's almost back to full strength since there's no immediate danger, so he can relax. Lighting a cigarette, he mentions there's a gas station nearby and suggests they head there. Luo, looking pumped, tells him to buckle up. She slams the accelerator, making the car rocket down the road at breakneck speed. They quickly arrive at the gas station. Holding a crowbar, he senses someone nearby and tells the girl to stay behind him. He spots 2 iron bars blocking the door, indicating someone must be alive inside. He hands the girl his pistol, and they step into the gas station. Using his detection ability, he senses a presence but can't tell if it's alive. Luo wonders if it's a zombie, but he shrugs it off, ready to handle it regardless. He smashes the glass door with his crowbar, breaking it effortlessly. They step inside, but he notices something on the floor. A middle-aged man lies there, bloodied, making him wonder if a mutation is happening. The man, with bloody holes in his face, opens his half-closed eyes and looks at him. This sight leaves our hero stunned. The man reaches out to Tianqing, pleading for help, and that's when he realizes the man is alive. Luo questions how the man can still be alive, and he admits he has no idea. When asked if he's hurt, the guy only mentions something about his right hand. He rips the sleeve of his shirt, and witnesses a wild mutation happening right before him, amazed the guy's still kicking. The protagonist's eyes go wide as he leans in for a closer look at the mutation. He spots something black and red inside the arm. Pulling out his knife, he tells the guy to hold on. Out of nowhere, he stabs the knife into the guy's arm, and Luo is totally grossed out. Our hero says he was right on the money. He pulls out a piece of meteorite from the guy's arm, a rare, shiny type of Luo. Lan Sha is super confused about why there's a meteorite piece in the guy's arm. The protagonist asks if she remembers the meteor shower, and she nods, recalling how the apocalypse kicked off right after. Tianqing explains that this rock is what started the Abla virus. He mentions they're alive because they have some immunity to the virus, as long as they don't touch it directly. He mentions that this meteorite piece will come in handy later. She asks about the man, and the protagonist replies that he's already gone, and there's nothing they can do now. It's a miracle he even survived this long. But out of nowhere, his hand drops to the side. The protagonist quickly steps back and warns the girl to keep her distance. Suddenly, the supposedly dead man's eyes snap open with a creepy look, and he starts rising in a freaky, zombie-like way. The girl bolts, trying to save herself. The man's zombie form lunges at the protagonist with a black and red arm, mutated by the meteorite inside him. The protagonist reacts fast, using his arm to shove it away, then shoves a gun into the zombie's mouth, apologizing before pulling the trigger. The girl returns, calling for Tianqing, who reassures her that he's okay. Calmly examining his hand, he remarks that he never imagined he'd be this lucky. He recalls that in his previous life, a piece of the meteorite could fetch a high price, so he decides to hold on to it for now. Then, they head to fill up the car's tank. Once the tank's full, the girl asks him about the meteorite's purpose and if it's risky to keep it. He tells her that the guy who taught him the breathing technique was the first to merge with a meteorite fragment. She's stunned, wondering how he could merge with the meteorite. She asks if he ended up like that guy. He explains that to harness the power of the fused meteorite, someone has to evolve 3 more times and reach their limit to manage and use it. The girl asks if anyone's fused with the meteorite yet, and he says no. She then wonders how he knows this, and he reminds her he came back from the future. She just nods, saying it makes sense. Our main guy's thinking about how he's never found a piece of meteorite before, and now, boom, he just stumbles upon one like it's no big deal. Staring up at the sky, he's all pumped, telling himself he's going to climb to the top this time and make a better future for himself. Their car is parked right in front of the Yojia garage. Gao's there, waiting with excitement, and he greets our protagonist with a warm welcome. The two of them lock eyes during this reunion moment, while Luo and her hamster are just chilling, watching it all go down. Gao notices the girl and is curious about her, but she doesn't react much. He straight up asks if she's his girl, and the protagonist quickly denies it. Teasing him, Gao jokes that the protagonist has some unique taste. Annoyed, Gao asks where this kid came from, and Luo Lansha steps in, saying they're like siblings, while stomping on the rude kid's foot. Gao starts whining about the pain, and Tianqing reminds him that he warned him about her. He checks with his friend if anyone stopped by in the last couple of days, and the friend says nope, he was told not to let anyone in. Zhou Tianqing is deep in thought, realizing the two sisters never showed up at the Yojia garage. Gao Aofei wonders who hasn't been around these past 2 days, but the protagonist quickly dodges the question. He then says he'll introduce the two of them, presenting Luo Lansha as the daughter of someone who helped him and Gao Fei as his adopted brother. Luo Lansha isn't too fond of Gao because of some rude remarks he made earlier. When asked if he's found his wife, the protagonist admits he hasn't, blaming the city's chaos, and suggests heading to G municipality. Gao thanks Zhou warmly, but Zhou warns him to mentally prepare for the journey. Gao's face turns somber, showing he's already bracing for the worst. That night, the three of them crash in separate sleeping bags at the Yojia garage. Gao Aofei is also sleeping peacefully in the bed next to them. Meanwhile, the protagonist is wide awake, focused on something else. He begins practicing a breathing technique to control and stimulate the Abilivirus. He knows that pushing the virus now will lead to evolution, but the side effects will be intense. Weakness and injuries don't matter. What counts is that they'll boost the Abilivirus inside him. He knows if his immune system can't keep up, he'll turn into an infected on the spot. He starts taking deep breaths, trying to calm himself down. Glancing at his hands, he realizes he stopped it before hitting stage 3 and should use it sparingly. Pulling 200 grams of meteorite from his backpack, he declares this his biggest win yet. He remembers only Xianxian dared to do this before, and she only managed 100 grams. Suddenly, he jumps as he notices his buddy Gao having a super vivid dream right next to him. His nose starts bleeding when he thinks of something thrilling. He can't help but grin, seeing how carefree his friend is. He soon lies back down beside his friends and shuts his eyes. He finally decides it's time to get some rest. Night falls outside, and the moon keeps shining over the city streets as they sleep. Dawn breaks, showing the outside of the Yogyakarta garage. Before anyone else is up, Zwa is already deep into his intense morning workout. With sheer determination, gritted teeth, and veins popping, he powers through 3,000 push-ups. Feeling accomplished, he realizes he's finally over his fatigue. Meanwhile, Luo is slowly waking up. Seeing she's awake, he tells her to get moving since they need to head out early. He shows her his collection of gear, mentioning he'll give her some items before they leave. He tells his crew he's got 5 weapons, so each person should grab one and leave an extra in the car. Annoyed, the girl looks at him and insists she needs another weapon. She explains she doesn't have the strength to aim properly, so one weapon won't cut it. Still frustrated, Luo lets out a sigh and accepts her predicament. Turning to Gao, the protagonist asks him to suit up in the combat gear. Gao, holding the gear, complains it looks ugly, but the protagonist insists it'll save his life. Gao finally agrees to take the gear, and our main guy hands a knife to each friend, telling them to always keep it close. They both chime in, agreeing that these knives could be lifesavers in a pinch. So, looking dead serious, nods and says it's good they get that. Suddenly, he slaps a map down on the table. Gao uses the map to explain that reaching G municipality will take around 12 hours, and Luo complains they won't make it there tonight. The protagonist points out the quickest way is through the city center, but suggests they avoid it. Luo Lansha questions this, saying they might find supplies there. Our guy, with a cold demeanor, explains that the meteorite's infection rate is 80% among 12 million people, meaning they'll face massive zombie hordes. With 9.6 million zombies in the city center, it's a playground for them and a nightmare for any humans trying to survive. He suggests they take the outskirts instead, which will make the trip longer, but it's safer and they'll have to climb a mountain. Gao points out that their fuel supply is getting low, and they need to be careful. The main guy mentions they've got 100 liters of gas, which is exactly what their car runs on. He suggests they should keep an eye out for gas stations. If they can't find any, they'll have to hoof it the rest of the way. He insists on driving no more than 8 hours a day so they have time to train and rest, planning to reach their destination in 2 days. Suddenly, he jumps up and shouts that there's something they need to do first. His friends stare at Chui Tianqing in disbelief as he stands there with his eyes shut and head down. He demands they do 500 push-ups and 200 jumping jacks, and they realize they can't say no. Outside, we see someone filling up the car with a gallon of gas. While the tank's being filled, the two friends are sprawled on the ground, completely wiped out and gasping for air. Gao dramatically claims he's going to die, and Luo Lansha agrees with him. Our protagonist mentions they've been training with the virus and are already feeling worn out. Gao, clearly annoyed, starts complaining, asking if the protagonist is even human after doing 500 push-ups. Luo leans in and whispers to Gao that he did 1,000 push-ups yesterday and 3,000 today. The hero explains that this progression boosts his endurance, and after evolving twice, he can easily beat the record of 3,877 push-ups. They finally stop procrastinating and hop into the car. The car zooms down the road, with a chain of mountains in the backdrop. While the two friends snooze, the protagonist stays sharp and focused. Chui is behind the wheel, Luo rides shotgun, and Gao is stretched out in the back seat. Out of nowhere, Gao Fei wakes up, feeling a little lost. He offers to switch with Tianqing so he can rest, but Tianqing asks if Gao knows how to drive. Gao replies that his dad taught him. Gao Fei insists he's a top-notch driver, just as good as the protagonist, and warns him not to mess around since it's risky. Chui just tells him not to drive off the railing, and his buddy nods, agreeing with him. As soon as the main guy stretches out in the back seat, he dozes off and starts snoring. Gao steps on the gas even more, making the car roar. Luo jolts awake, startled. Chui wakes up on the floor, having slipped from his spot. He starts questioning if Gao is actually a decent driver. Annoyed at being woken from her comfy nap, Luo Lansha demands to know what's going on. Gao, looking downcast, mentions the road is blocked, and Luo snaps back that it's no excuse for slamming the brakes. Our main guy shoots Gao Fei a sharp, intense glare. He shouts at Gao Fei to hurry up, but Gao is confused about what he means. Suddenly, they spot a zombie trying to yank open the car door on Luo's side, and a horde is closing in to trap the car. Gao is at a loss and starts crying and sobbing. Luo also breaks down, tears streaming down her face in sheer panic. Luo shouts, wondering why there are so many of them, while Chui urges him to hit the gas and speed up. Luo doesn't hesitate and floors it. With a determined look, teeth clenched and sweat dripping, he zeroes in on getting out of there. The big car rockets forward, sparks flying and smoke billowing from the sudden burst of speed. The force of the acceleration pushes the two friends back into their seats. In a panic, Gao asks what they should do about the railing up ahead. The main guy just says they have no choice but to drive right over it. The massive car smashes through the railing like it's nothing, barely slowing down. The car skids a bit as it turns, and we catch a glimpse of zombies trying to catch up. With his head poking out of the sunroof, Chui sees the zombies closing in and yells at Gao to step on it because they're getting too close. Gao, focused yet terrified, is sweating bullets from the pressure. He mentions it's tough to go any faster with the road being so bumpy and full of rocks. Our survivor reaches into the trunk to grab some weapons, telling everyone to get ready for action. The car's sunroof starts to slide open. Our main guy climbs out through the sunroof while zombies are hot on their tail, sprinting like crazy. With a pistol in each hand, he starts firing away, teeth clenched and face full of rage, yelling for the zombies to just die already. Even with bullets flying, some zombies keep chasing the car. Luo Lanxia pulls out her own pistol, struggling a bit to aim before she fires. Somehow, she nails a headshot on an infected, dropping it instantly. One zombie bites the dust, but the rest keep charging. More zombies fall, but the ones still standing are just as hungry and vicious. Gao yells to Tianqing about Asura nearby, while the protagonist can't help but wonder why everything's going sideways. In a panic, Gao asks his buddy what their next move should be. Shui, also freaking out, shouts to just drive over it, and Gao, this guy's losing it, saying if they fall, it's game over. But our hero's like, no choice, we gotta risk it all. Gao's trying to stay cool, even though he's sweating bullets. He knows if they fail, it's curtains for them. He slams the gear into place and floors it. Meanwhile, our hero's up top, blasting zombies through the sunroof. Luo Lanxia shuts her eyes tight, while Gao stares ahead with determination. The car's speeding up as Tianqing keeps firing at the zombie swarm from the roof. They're pushing the car to its limits. Now they're staring down this huge open sewer. Our protagonist is looking ahead, feeling both anxious and terrified. Gao's so shocked by what's coming, he closes one eye and clenches his teeth. Suddenly, the car takes off, flying several meters into the air over the sewer. They land safely on the other side, avoiding a plunge into the sewer. The impact of landing slams them down hard in their seats. On the other side, the car skids around a bend, and Gao starts to hit the brakes. Outside the car, the main guy shuts his eyes, trying to catch his breath, saying they barely made it out. Then, he looks ahead and seems to notice something unusual. Right in front of them is a regular town with quaint, simple houses. Gao mentions they're safe for now but needs to fix the car, and Luo says they'll have to crash there for the night. He tells his buddy to lock up the car when he's done, as they're heading to check out the village. The three of them start walking across the big lawn leading to the village. The sky is a mix of purple and orange, signaling that dusk is here and night is closing in. Sui Tianqing glances around, feeling a bit puzzled. He remarks that something feels off, and Luo asks what's bothering him. He points out it's too quiet, with no zombie noises around. The trio steps into the village as our survivor reloads his gun. Out of nowhere, someone suddenly appears. Instinctively, Sui Tianqing points his weapon at the newcomer. Both Luo and Gao are caught off guard by the sudden turn of events. The guy, clutching what looks like a stick wrapped in bandages, pleads not to be shot. A bald dude with a friendly vibe and simple clothes shows up, claiming he's just a regular human. Gao and Luo breathe a sigh of relief after that little scare. Still pointing his weapon, our hero orders the guy to drop the stick. Without hesitation, the man lets the stick fall. As the protagonist gives him a thorough pat-down, the man insists he means no harm and is quickly told to hush. Gao tells Tianqing to chill, suggesting the guy seems alright and maybe they shouldn't jump to conclusions. The man, with a hand on his head, offers a shy but friendly smile. Our hero asks about the other villagers, and the man explains some have died while others left. He mentions he's probably the last one around since the adults went to work, the kids to school, leaving just the elderly. He introduces himself as Dingting, saying he runs a shop and never imagined the world would turn out like this. Gao quickly asks if they can crash at the guy's place, and the man eagerly agrees, saying it's been ages since he's seen anyone else. The protagonist, sounding a bit harsh, tells him not to stress about his friends. Since the village is deserted, they decide to find another house to avoid bothering the man. Luo steps in and tells Tianqing that the man is being nice and shouldn't be disrespected. Gao reassures Luo that he's being too sensitive and the man means no harm, but the protagonist insists it's better to be cautious. They tell him Tianqing is just overthinking and having another person around is a good thing. He reluctantly agrees, saying they'll keep being careful. Gao hugs his friend and apologizes to the man, explaining that his buddy is just a bit shy. The man, a bit shy and awkward himself, asks them to follow him and leads them to his house. Once they reach the man's place, he whips up a complete and tasty meal for the adventurers. The man humbly mentions that his place is small and hopes they aren't disappointed. He encourages them to dig in and enjoy as much as they like, and the young folks are thrilled with the hearty meal. Our main guy is taking his time with his food, and the man notices, telling him not to hold back. Offering a drink, Sui comments on the man's politeness and suggests their meeting might be destiny. Reflecting on the man's words about destiny, he starts to ponder. He wonders if destiny will let him cross paths with Tianqing again. The man stands up and suggests they drink together since destiny has brought them here. They clink their sake cups and shout, "Cheers!" Gao, totally wasted, is being carried by the man while singing, and Sui is being dragged by Luo, spouting nonsense. Both of them crash onto the man's bed, with Sui starting to daydream about Xian. Luo questions why he drank so much when he knows he can't handle it, and why he's bringing up Xian again. Ding Ping, a bit flustered, says there are no other beds available, so they'll have to make do. Luo thanks him, saying it's good enough. With a bit of a forced smile, the guy asks Luo why she isn't feeling dizzy after drinking so much. Luo admits she can't handle alcohol and secretly poured it into another glass. He nods with an understanding look. He tells them to get some rest and promises not to bother them anymore. Luo thanks him for all his help today. Suddenly, as Ding Ping wanders through the house, he finds himself in a room with stone walls. He keeps moving through a dark, eerie corridor that feels unfamiliar. With a completely different, cold expression, he reaches a door, puts his hand on the knob, and opens it. Inside, he discovers a room that looks like a butcher's kitchen, with meat and other stuff scattered around. Food remnants cling to the tools. The floor is littered with debris. He walks through the room, noticing various knives and other tools spread out. Glancing at his dirty gloves, he comments that he would have preferred to handle everything while they were asleep, but the girl got in the way. The guy grabs some sedatives, realizing that Luo is super strong in packing heat, so the sedatives are useless. He opens the fridge, thinking he needs to grab some food for Ayu because she must be starving. Holding a dirty weapon, he's planning to take out all the young folks. Meanwhile, Gao Fei is out cold, catching some much-needed Z's after all the chaos. Luo can't catch a break because Gao's snoring is like a chainsaw. She's trying to keep her eyes shut, but the noise is driving her nuts. Luo Lansha gives Gao a gentle nudge, asking him to let her sleep a bit longer. But he stays in dreamland, totally oblivious. She gives up and decides to grab a drink instead. She moves quietly around the house. A bit lost, she looks for the kitchen to get some water and ends up in Dingping's living room. As she walks, she starts noticing something feels off. At the end of the hallway, she spots a weird door with a stone wall. She cautiously approaches and gently nudges the door open with her fingertips. Her eyes go wide with shock at the sight inside the room. The floor and table are cluttered with scattered items, including knives and other tools. A foul odor hits her, prompting her to cover her nose. The place feels like a slaughterhouse. Spotting a two-door fridge, her curiosity gets the better of her, and she moves toward it. She opens the doors with both hands, and the fridge light slowly reveals its contents. Luo is utterly horrified and terrified by what she sees inside. Something strange drops right in front of her, and she instantly realizes what it is. She quickly slams the fridge shut. Overwhelmed and queasy, she wonders if she ate something weird at dinner. In a suddenly menacing tone, Dingping tells her not to worry. Luo spins around, terrified, toward the man's voice, which emerges from the shadows, saying they were fed pork. Holding a knife, he casually mentions he's been debating whether to let the young folks go. But with a certain look on his face, he declares he's already made up his mind. Inside, Luo suddenly realizes she left her weapon in her backpack, and panic sets in. She quickly snatches a knife from the table, ready to defend herself. Holding a big cleaver, Luo Lansha yells at him to stay back. In this tense standoff, they lock eyes. Dingping questions if she really thinks she can take him on, and she shouts back that they both have weapons, so it's anyone's game. She reflects that her breathing exercises paid off. Before, she couldn't even hold the cleaver for long. She knows he's armed too and not as strong as Tianqing, so she needs to outsmart him. She hurls the knife at him with all her might. He's taken aback, eyes widening in shock, but he dodges it effortlessly, avoiding the hit. The knife ends up stuck in the stone wall. With a mix of surprise and amusement, he comments that it was a close call. As she gears up for another move, Luo asks where Dingping's attention is. She swiftly lands a powerful strike that makes him double over in agony. He collapses to the ground, clutching himself in agony after the blow. His skin turns a deep shade of purple, and he's drenched in cold sweat. His face contorts with intense pain. He quickly drops to the floor, hands clutching his groin. As he screams in agony, she bolts for the door and makes her escape. She dashes up the stairs toward the bedroom but suddenly remembers Gao and Tianqing are asleep upstairs. She needs to throw the killer off her scent. A noise behind Luo signals that the guy is already back on his feet and closing in. Dingping, with a terrifying and bloody look, waves his knife, still stained with blood, and warns her she won't get away. Luo flips him off defiantly, which really ticks him off and throws him off balance. She uses his moment of confusion to sprint up the stairs, while Dingping yells for her to come back. As she reaches the top of the stairs, with a furrowed brow and still a bit frantic, she's relieved Dingping hasn't caught up yet. Without overthinking, she decides to head down to the basement. As she descends, she spots a window illuminated only by the moonlight. There's a girl sitting with her back to her, completely tied up, her hair in a bun. She looks like she's been hurt. The girl, still facing away from Luo, is trembling, clearly terrified. Luo steps closer, asking if anyone's there, noticing the blood-splattered room and remains on the floor. Seeing the woman tied up, Luo gets worried, rushes over, and reassures her that she's not with the man. But when she gets a good look, she sees the woman is actually a decaying, zombie-like figure glaring at her. Lansha freaks out, stumbling back, thinking at first that the woman was just a doll. As she hits the floor, she spots a half-eaten human hand right next to her. She quickly tosses the dead hand aside while the zombie woman keeps screaming at her. Luo realizes Dingping is keeping a zombie locked up in his basement. Just then, she hears footsteps and sees Dingping, the killer, charging toward her. She mutters to herself that he's in the room. In a panic, he throws open the basement doors, yelling for the nosy girl to leave, thinking she's hiding there. He steps inside, scanning the room, trying to spot the girl. She's tucked away behind a cabinet, and as he searches, he starts doubting she's even there. He turns to the infected woman, asking what's wrong and addressing her tenderly. He calls her Ayu, the woman he feeds from his fridge every night. He places his hands over hers. Then, kissing her stomach, he murmurs that she's in pain. The girl watching is grossed out by how he treats a zombie like she's his wife. He apologizes for having to lock her in the basement but reassures her not to worry. With a gentle touch on her face, he promises to stay by her side. But then he spots footprints on the floor and realizes he's not alone. Luo stays hidden behind the pillar, keeping quiet as he asks if she's still there, hinting he knows she's around. The girl steps out, calling him crazy for locking someone up, shouting her accusation. Dingping looks at her and insists she's his wife, saying there's nothing wrong with a man taking care of his own. He gets all worked up, declaring that no matter what, she'll always be his beloved. Luo tries to snap Dingping back to reality, pointing out that his wife isn't the same anymore. but Dingping refuses to accept it, claiming she's still alive. He turns to his wife, saying she can still move and react. Plus, he makes sure to feed her every day, hugging her tightly. Dingping insists she's still his wife. With a knife aimed at Luo, he mentions his wife hasn't had fresh food in days. Standing in front of her with a knife and a menacing look, he declares he's going to feed her. Luo Lansha is horrified when she hears this, feeling a heavy pressure in the air, almost pushing her back. He stops right in front of her with a creepy smile, and she instinctively steps back. They lock eyes until Luo attempts another kick, but he dodges it effortlessly. He quickly grabs her leg with a firm grip. The girl pleads for him to release her, and he asks if she's still trying to run away, but then he threatens to turn her into dumplings for his wife. He lunges with a knife, aiming to slash her leg. Luo's eyes widen in horror at the impending attack, but suddenly, a loud bang echoes through the room, as a bullet hits the man's knife. Dingping stands there stunned, while Luo lets out a relieved breath. They turn towards the source of the shot, spotting Tianqing, Cheng's brother, holding a gun with a weary look on his face. He's thinking he missed the shot, probably because he's too tired. Dingping quickly takes Luo hostage, pressing the knife to her throat and demanding Zwa drop the gun or else. The killer realizes Tianqing snuck in through the basement window behind him, something he didn't see coming. Tianqing points his gun and demands the girl, but Dingping fires back, telling him to lower his weapon instead. Hearing the word hostage, Tianqing shifts his aim to Dingping's wife's head, claiming he has a hostage too. Dingping freaks out, yells his wife's name, and tightens his grip on Luo's neck, insisting Tianqing drop the gun. Tianqing keeps his aim on Aiyu, ordering Dingping to let the girl go, but Dingping stands his ground. Tianqing, ice cold, threatens to shoot the woman. Aiyu struggles in her chair, trying to break free. Dingping, desperate, pleads with Tianqing not to do it, saying he can't live without her. Tianqing suggests a trade, release Luo, and Aiyu stays unharmed. Dingping, sobbing, agrees and urges them to make the swap quickly. Meanwhile, Dingping's wife keeps squirming in her chair. Doubt fills the air as everyone looks at the man, tension thickening the atmosphere. He takes a few steps closer to the group. Dingping's face is a mask of sheer desperation, tears pouring down. He's hesitant but eventually agrees to let Luo go in exchange for his wife. Just before the swap happens, the straps on Aiyu's chair snap, and she breaks free. With her newfound freedom, she stands up, finally unrestrained. The trio stares at her, completely stunned and terrified by what just unfolded. Aiyu, Dingping's wife, is now standing right behind Zwa Tianqing. Seizing the moment, the man calls out to his beloved. Luo Lansha bites the attacker's arm, managing to break free. She escapes his grip and makes a run for it. Zwa Tianqing quickly turns serious and aims his gun at Dingping's wife. He takes careful aim, ready to pull the trigger. Dingping rushes towards Zwa, pleading with him not to shoot. At the last second, Dingping steps in front of his wife, taking the bullet in his chest. Zwa and Luo exchange looks, shocked by Dingping's unexpected move. Dingping falls backward from the force of the shot. He lies on the ground, struggling to breathe while clutching his chest. With great effort, he tries to rise and asks his wife if she's okay. They exchange glances for a moment as a light brightens the scene. Aiyu looks at Dingping with a gaze that seems oddly familiar, like she's recalling something from the past. For a brief moment, Dingping feels a flicker of hope that his wife might recover. He remembers the day everything changed. His wife, already infected, had begged him to end her suffering, but he couldn't do it. He vowed to take care of her forever, even as she feared becoming something she dreaded. He held her close, assuring her that everything would be alright. They embraced, and he promised to always stay by her side. Back in the present, Dingping's hopeful expression shifts to despair. Aiyu, now beyond control, attacks him. Luo and Tianqing watch silently, shocked by the scene. Dingping collapses as Aiyu, completely out of control, turns on him. Despite her unconscious actions, Dingping's face shows only sadness and horror. They witness everything unfolding right in front of them. Then Tianqing pulls out his gun and aims at the zombie woman attacking her husband. Without a second thought, he shoots, ending her life. Seeing Luo Lan's sorrowful look, the protagonist comments that bodies don't. Our main guy mentions that bodies aren't the issue. She tries not to feel anything and tells herself not to overthink it. Sui, noticing she's in shock, tells her to follow him. Her expression is cold and distant. She quickly follows when he orders her to. But first, she glances back at the dead couple, confirming the man's death before turning away. As they climb to the top, Luo asks her friend Tianqing why the world turned out this way. She reflects that if it weren't for the apocalypse, Dingping would have had a happy family and a wonderful wife. The protagonist nods, saying that without the apocalypse, they'd be at school instead of here. With a resigned look, he admits they have to face the reality of the apocalypse. Taking a drag from his cigarette, he says it's the only truth left. He advises her to do whatever it takes to survive. Back at the car, Tianqing is still outside, smoking on the grass. Gao asks Luo Lansha to pass him the wrench. She wonders if he can really fix the car, and he confidently replies that he's been doing this since he was 10. He hands the wrench over to Gao Fei, who's busy under the car. Gao sneaks a peek under Luo's skirt while he's at it. Shocked by his creepiness, she smacks him and tells him to keep his eyes shut. Gao retorts that he wasn't interested in seeing anything, which annoys Luo, while Zwa just grins and puffs on his cigarette, enjoying their bickering. Glancing at his hand, Zwa admits he hasn't progressed past the first stage and feels everything's been too stable. Gao soon announces he's done with the repair, leaving Zwa impressed by his speed. Gao boasts that with the right tools, he could even take apart a tank. Zwa urges them to hurry up since they've already wasted too much time. The day breaks with perfect weather, but a swarm of zombies surrounds a gas station. Gao asks the main guy about the gas station, and Zwe, using some binoculars, spots a few infected hanging around there. His buddy wonders if they should look for a different spot, but the protagonist is like, nah, we're good. Gao gets a bit annoyed with his friend's answer, and the friend just shoots him this sarcastic grin. Gao, clearly ticked off, asks why he's staring, and the friend just shrugs, saying he had a brilliant idea. Then suddenly, Gao Fei whips out 2 knives and gets ready to fight. Gao questions if Zwe really expects him to take on all the zombies, and the protagonist insists he needs these tough battles to level up. But when the girl tells him to suck it up, Zwe points at her, saying she has to tag along, catching her off guard. With a laid-back vibe, Zwe wonders if he wasted his time teaching them to fight, reminding them they're just zombies. Pointing at the zombies, Luo questions how that number can be seen as small to Zwe. The protagonist replies they're just small fry, and he could have handled them even before leveling up. As Luo tries to explain herself, the survivor cuts her off, urging her to act fast. He raises his weapon skyward, reminding them to focus on survival. Out of nowhere, our protagonist fires into the air to create a distraction and draw the zombies' attention. The two are stunned as smoke rises dramatically from the scene. The gunshot noise lures all the nearby zombies, hungry for their next meal. Meanwhile, we shift to a scene inside a big, rustic 2-story house. Inside, a spiky-backed infected creature crawls across the floor. The spikes on its back appear to be getting larger. Its eyes are filled with fury, and veins are popping in its eyeballs. Back at the gas station, zombie limbs are flying everywhere. The duo is locked in a fierce battle for their lives. Perched on a car, Gao slashes at the zombies while Luo fires at them, wondering how many more they have to face. Suddenly, a zombie charges at Gao from behind, but he spots it just in time. He swiftly turns to face the startled zombie. Before it can harm him, he uses his knives to fend it off and avoid getting bitten. Gao asks his friend Luo for help, and she assures him she's on her way. Out of nowhere, a bullet pierces the zombie's head, taking it down instantly. Gao looks up startled. He spots his buddies while holding a gun, casually sipping on juice. Zwe asks what Gao's staring at and warns him not to fool around during a fight, as it could be fatal. More zombies drop dead in the chaos. Meanwhile, Gao Fei is busy slicing through the creatures with his dual knives. Luo keeps firing her gun, her precise shots blowing zombie heads apart. She continues to take out more zombies with her sharp aim. Her expression is focused as she targets the undead. Zombie heads are flying everywhere. As night approaches, the two collapse from exhaustion after battling zombies all day. The protagonist climbs down from his perch to join them on the ground. He sternly reminds them there's no time to rest and insists they practice the breathing exercise he taught. They complain it's inhumane and call him crazy. He warns them that if they're already complaining, he's about to crank up the training, and the two are. Zwe Tianqing shoots them a look so intense it could cut through steel. They quickly fall in line and start working on the breathing exercises he suggested. Luo Lanji starts showing symptoms of the Ebola virus on her skin. Zwe watches her closely, his gaze serious, as she applies the technique. While meditating, Luo mentions she has to match her uncle's speed class using the breathing technique. Now, the main character turns his attention to Gao Fei. He observes Gao Fei, noting that he's about to witness his friend's progress. He briefly considers that Gao might be elsewhere but quickly dismisses it as impossible. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a mansion in the background where some mutation is happening. It feels like the protagonist senses something odd coming from that direction. He draws his weapons, deciding it's better to be prepared just in case. With a cigarette hanging from his lips and weapons ready, he decides to check out the source of that weird feeling. He heads towards the big house, eyeing the staircase that leads upstairs. As he gets closer, he catches a whiff of blood in the air. Entering the house, weapon at the ready, he approaches a shadowy area where a body lies on the floor. He walks past the corpses without a glance, his face set and determined. He navigates the hallways, always on alert. His instincts kick in, sensing something creeping up behind him. He quickly turns around, suspicion and unease written all over his face. His eyes widen in shock at what suddenly appears in his view. Out of nowhere, he gets thrown through a window, barely managing to block the attack with his weapons. He groans, spitting blood, clearly feeling the pain from the hit. As he plummets to the ground, he can't stick the landing and ends up rolling across the dirt. Lying there, he groans and continues to spit blood from the fall and impact. But he quickly shakes it off, gets back on his feet, and stands tall again. With a mix of pain and annoyance, he glares around, demanding to know who dared to attack him. His once indifferent face now shows pure panic and fear. Right in front of him is an infected creature with glowing red eyes and what seems like a tough armor. He calls it a stalker. He knows these stalkers prefer to fight solo but are incredibly skilled. Its sharp teeth keep its mouth slightly open, letting air hiss out between them. Our guy stares back at the evolved infected, his eyes hard and unyielding. The stalker rushes at him like a beast, throwing a massive punch with insane speed. Our hero is taken aback by its speed and ferocity, but he manages to dodge by leaping over it with an impressive flip. He lands on a tree trunk, using it to launch himself like a missile toward the infected, ready for a powerful strike. He swings his arm back, building momentum for his machete attack. He catches the stalker off guard, slicing off the spikes on its back with a swift horizontal cut. The zombie monster, annoyed by the pain, just widens its eyes but stays silent. It quickly spins around, throwing a fast, powerful punch that surprises our hero. He's shocked, eyes wide, as he sees the stalker winding up for the punch. The punch lands squarely in his stomach, causing him immense pain and breaking his weapon. Our guy gets launched, flying horizontally a few meters above the ground. He bounces off the ground like a skipping stone, each hit sending debris flying. Lying face down, he spots the stalker approaching, its red eyes glowing fiercely. Blood in his mouth, eyes full of fear, he realizes he's no match for this infected. The massive, armored creature looks down at him with disdain as he struggles to stand. Out of nowhere, the monster gears up for another huge, destructive punch. Blood splatters, and our protagonist looks terrified, but he's not the one who got hit. It's actually the Wanderer, who grimaces in pain. The monster lets out a deafening roar, clearly in agony, while our hero just stands there, baffled by the situation. In the distance, he spots someone emerging from the mist and starts to piece together who it might be. It's Gao Fei, looking a bit goofy as he steps out of the fog. The protagonist is stunned to realize it was Gao who fired the shot with his dual guns. He must have assumed it was someone else. Gao shouts for his brother Tianxing to get out of the way, then starts unloading a barrage of bullets with his 2 guns. As the protagonist dodges, the Wanderer takes several shots straight to the face. He's amazed to see Gao Fei landing every shot on the monster's face, even from a distance. More bullets fly from Gao's guns, hitting the monster's face and making it stumble back. While running from the monster, Zhou Tianxing mentions that the Wanderer's weak spot is at the temples. Gao yells at Zhou to help him find an opening, and soon enough, his buddy hurls a rock at the infected creature's temple. The hit just makes the Wanderer even angrier. The massive beast charges at Zhou with a punch that could easily be fatal. But right before it connects, Zhou dodges and leaps over the creature, which ends up smashing the ground instead. Perched on the creature, Zhou goes for a kick, but the Wanderer dodges and grabs his foot, leaving Zhou stunned. Cleverly, the monster, still holding his leg, gears up for another punch that's even harder to dodge. Yet, our guy ducks just in time, avoiding a blow that would have nailed him in the face. The infected creature starts spinning, trying to slam Zhou into the ground. In that moment, Zhou shouts for Gao Fei to act fast. His friend looks determined, weapon ready. As the Wanderer lifts Zhou Tianxing and hurls him down, Zhou spots an opening just before impact. Gao, with the sharp eyes of a seasoned hunter, spots the opening he needs. He zeroes in on the target area, the Wanderer's temple, the weak spot. Like a predator in the wild, he sees the gap clearly. Telling himself it's now or never, he starts firing both guns wildly but with precision. One bullet hits and begins cracking the armor. It keeps tearing through, breaking the armor from the outside. Before he can finish off Zhou Tianxing, the monster in Zhou collapses. Zhou falls to the ground unharmed, and beside him, the armored infected creature also drops, still alive. Shocked that his shot actually hit and brought down the infected, Gao celebrates. The monster is badly hurt on the ground but not dead yet. Rising from the ground, Zhou Tianxing notes the infected's incredible resilience. He grips the walker's skull tightly with both hands, planting his feet firmly. Zhou starts pulling the head upward. He's really struggling, grunting and straining against the infected's stubborn resistance. But after a lot of effort, our guy finally manages to take it down. The object flies off and lands on the grass behind Zhou. Zhou turns to his buddy Gao Fei, asking if he's evolved, and Gao thinks he might have. He mentions his shots were super accurate, and wonders if that's his new skill after evolving. With a serious look, Gao Fei picks up a stone and tells Zhou to focus on a leaf ahead. They spot a leaf gently drifting down from a big, beautiful tree. Gao Fei winds up his arm, ready to launch a small stone with precision. He throws it with all his might, aiming straight for the leaf on the tree. The stone smacks the leaf, which then ricochets back against the tree. Zhou Tianxing is taken aback but keeps his cool as Gao starts bragging. Zhou gives him a pat on the head, saying he deserves some props. Gao's eyes widen as he spots something off in the distance. Zhou asks if he can see something ridiculously far away. Gao starts to. Gao can read 3 numbers from kilometers away, no problem. Those numbers are carved into a tree, and Gao says that distance is a piece of cake for him. Gao explains that after his evolution, everything seems slower and clearer to him. He mentions that his rare evolution likely affects his nervous system. Zhou pats his friend's shoulder and tells him to rest while he looks for a sniper. With a proud smile and clenched fists, Gao feels like he can finally be useful to his friend. Giving Zhou a friendly pat, he insists they're friends and dismisses any nonsense. He forces his lip down, smiles, and offers a fist bump, saying he'll follow his friend anywhere. They share a genuine smile, full of friendship and loyalty. As evening falls, they fist bump and call each other partner, sealing their eternal bond. Meanwhile, Luo shuts her eyes tight, trying to focus on her meditation and breathing techniques. She's sitting cross-legged on the ground, surrounded by dead zombies, using her skills to boost the Ebola virus. Suddenly, her eyes snap open, glowing a vivid purple, with no pupils or irises in sight. She can't help but groan in pain, her head tilting back from the discomfort. Her eyes still blank, she lets out a piercing scream, and Zhou, alarmed, rushes toward her. Gao wants to know what's happening to her, and Zhou explains that her body has taken a massive hit and can't handle it. When asked what to do, Zhou says they've got no other option but to use the tool he has in mind. He raises his hand, palm wide open. Without a second thought, he slaps her hard across the face, snapping her out of the trance. She's shocked and annoyed, waking from the trance and avoiding a potential transformation. Furious, she starts yelling at Gao Fei. She demands to know why he slapped her, and he insists it wasn't him. She presses, asking who else it could have been. Gao insists it was Tianxing, but she can't believe Brothers would betray her like that. Zhou, puffing on his cigarette, explains she was about to transform, and his slap might have saved her from mutating. She stops attacking Gao and tells him she'll let it slide this time because of Tianxing. Our group decides to crash at the gas station overnight and head out in the morning. Flashback to young Gao Fei, awkwardly touching a girl's chest. Turns out, a bully shoved him into her, so it wasn't intentional. Gao, super embarrassed, tries to explain it was an accident, but the principal still calls his parents. The girl's mom starts yelling at Gao's mom, calling him a pervert, and the two moms start arguing. Still fuming, she accuses Gao of bullying her son and insists they deserve punishment, even though he says it was an accident. Gao Fei's mom starts to leave with him, while the girl's mom angrily demands they come back. They ignore her and keep walking home. His mom looks him in the eyes, full of warmth, and says she believes every word he's saying. She tells him that, as his mom, she knows he's always been a fair and honest kid. She kneels down, placing her hands on Gao Fei's shoulders. He tries hard not to cry, and she promises they'll head home, and she'll cook whatever he wants for dinner. Gao Fei, with a bittersweet smile, reminisces about those cherished moments with his mom. Sui notices Fei is lost in thought and asks what's on his mind. He quickly brushes it off, saying he's just thinking about the past. As they arrive in G City, where Gao grew up, he tells Sui to take a turn onto the street up ahead. The three friends finally park and step out of the car, standing before a tall, multi-story residential building. Sui warns everyone to be extra careful since there are likely zombies around, and Luo tells her hamster to stay put in the car. Our main guy also reminds Gao that no matter what goes down, he needs to stick to his instructions. Gao is trying hard not to cry as he thinks about how his parents are doing. His friend tells him to stop worrying for now, saying they'll find out once they're inside the building. He advises them to stay quiet to avoid drawing attention from the infected nearby. There are infected people lying all over the path. More of them are piled up in the building's corridors. As they step through the front door, they see even more bodies scattered across the floor. Gao asks what's going on, and Sui explains that someone else must have been here recently because the wounds are fresh. Fei is shocked by this revelation and suddenly dashes down the corridor with his pistol ready. His friends yell at him not to run off by himself. Startled by Gao's sudden move, his two friends rush after him through the building and up the stairs. Sui shouts again for Gao to stop running ahead alone and notices a shadowy corridor. Luo Lanxia asks Wu Tiancheng where Gao is, and our main guy guesses he's probably on the same floor. They hear a loud, piercing scream from a door further down the hall and rush toward it. Suddenly, shots start firing wildly from Gao. Gao is horrified as he fires these shots, caught in a frenzy. The two arrive behind him and see him shooting into another room. Sui sees this and can't hide his shock and sadness, calling out his friend's name. Unable to stay upright, Gao collapses abruptly upon realizing what just happened. He can't stop himself from showing pure shock, his mouth open and eyes wide and empty. His shock deepens as he turns his eyes and head downward, trying to deny what he's seeing. Sui runs to his friend, who's on the floor with his hands on his head, asking if he's okay. He quickly notices the open door and looks inside, feeling the same shock as his friend. He sees a corpse in a disturbing state, hanging with various marks, making the scene even more unsettling. Gao Fei can't stop the tears as he calls out, his voice breaking with emotion. In a mix of grief and disbelief, he cries out desperately for his mom. Luo Lanxia and Zhu Tiancheng are stunned by the sight and Gao's reaction to finding his mom gone. Kneeling with slumped shoulders, Gao sobs like a child, completely overwhelmed by sorrow. Sui, observing the scene with a cold detachment, remarks that someone set this up to have her killed by zombies. The tears keep flowing, showing just how deep his sadness runs right now. Sui sighs with sympathy, feeling for his buddy Gao Fei in this tough moment. Filled with both anger and empathy, Luo wonders who could be heartless enough to do this. Gao Fei slowly rises, head bowed, while Luo, still kneeling, tries to offer some comfort. She softly calls out to Gao, but he seems lost, not hearing her. Still crying, he stands beside his best friend, Zhu Tiancheng. He walks into the room and is immediately confronted with his mother's lifeless body. His hand reaches out to her, trembling uncontrollably as he calls her name. Her hair covers her eyes, but there's something strange lurking beneath it. Suddenly, she springs to life, trying to bite Gao while making these ear-piercing noises. Zhu jumps in just in time, pushing Gao back and saving him from his own mom's attack. Gao Fei watches in shock as the scene unfolds before him. It's then he realizes his mom's become one of the infected, screaming like a wild creature. Tears stream down his face, and his eyes go blank with despair. He can't accept it, desperately telling himself this can't be real. His fists clench as he struggles to hold back a flood of emotions. His expression shifts to one of pure hatred, teeth clenched and eyes narrowed. Gao suddenly takes off, running recklessly, ignoring his friend's pleas to stay with him. Zhu fires his gun, aiming at the ceiling. Luo fires a shot at the ceiling to jolt Gao awake with the noise, while keeping him restrained. Gao, still facing away, is asked by Luo where he's headed. Gao replies he's going after the person responsible for all this. With rage-filled eyes, bulging veins, and a determined stare, he vows to take down everyone involved. Zhu tries to snap Gao back to reality, asking if he even knows who did this or why. He's trying to ground his friend. He admits he gets that Gao's not okay, but insists that revenge won't fix anything. After telling Gao Fei what he needed to hear, Zhu turns to leave. As he closes the bathroom door where his mother is, Zhu mentions they have something crucial to do now. After his words, he shuts the door, leaving behind a lot of pain. He says they need to give her peace, and aims his weapon at the room. Luo Lanxiao looks down, clearly upset, trying to avoid the scene, while Gao Fei clenches his jaw, struggling to keep his emotions in check. Out of nowhere, a gunshot rings out, echoing loudly across the area. Evening settles over the apartment building where Gao Fei used to live with his family in G. Gao Fei kneels before a makeshift grave for his mom, marked by a board on a big stone. Tears stream down his face uncontrollably. Shu calmly points out to Gao that they might have overlooked something important. Manhwa suggests that Gao's dad might still be alive, leaving Gao Fei completely stunned and sparking a glimmer of hope within him. As he stands up, Luo asks if his family had any recent disputes with anyone. He pauses, trying to recall, and repeats Luo's question to jog his memory. We then see a large, abandoned-looking warehouse. A blonde guy in a suit is tossed into the warehouse, sporting some minor injuries. Two guys with shady looks toss a man into a warehouse and then report back to their boss. As the boss gets closer to the guy on the floor, he instantly recognizes him as Gao Ji. The guy on the ground, clearly pissed, grits his teeth and says he knows exactly who the boss is. We see this big dude with a cigar and a mohawk, and the guy on the ground calls him Fat Wei. Fat Wei, looking all smug and superior, sizes up Gao Ji and says he probably didn't see this coming. Gao Ji, crawling around like a wild animal, vows to take on Fat Wei. With zero effort, Fat Wei lands a huge punch on Gao Ji's back, driving him into the floor. Gao Ji crashes face first, bleeding even more, while Fat Wei calls him clueless. Fat Wei, chatting with his crew, orders them to take Gao Ji away and make sure he's well taken care of. Then Fat Wei asks about Gao Ji's wife. His henchman chuckles, saying he left her exactly where he was told to. Flashing his gold tooth, Fat Wei puffs on his cigar and praises his henchman's work. The henchman then shows off a real gold Rolex he snagged from Gao Ji's place. Acknowledging the complexity of the task, the boss promises a reward, and the henchman expresses his gratitude. Suddenly, we see the protagonist and his crew zooming through the city in a big vehicle. Swa, with a serious tone, asks about Fat Wei, and Gao Fei explains he's his dad's business rival. He adds that Fat Wei is tangled with the underworld but still lost to his dad, who reported him for illegal stuff 2 years back. Swa notes that the guys who hit his house weren't after supplies, hinting they were out for revenge. The protagonist wonders if he's alone in this, and Gao Fei admits his parents weren't fighters, so it's just him. He slams the accelerator, and Swa makes the car take a sharp turn. With a determined and vengeful look, he demands they give him the map. He marks the flower factory, the old city walls, and the DM on the map. Swa points out these 3 spots, and Luo Lanxia wonders why they're important. He explains that since the disaster hit just 2 weeks ago, only these 3 places in G municipality can serve as bases. With fury in his eyes, Gao Fei grits his teeth and asks where Fat Wei might be hiding. Swa admits he's not entirely sure, but they need to check these spots to track him down. He turns to the enraged Gao Fei and asks where the tallest building in the area is. They stop in front of a gigantic building with countless floors and a massive width. Out of nowhere, an infected person flies through the air and crashes to the ground, badly hurt. We see Gao with a blank expression, a stark contrast to before, and he's the one who tossed the zombie like that. Sui just stands there, watching the scene unfold, letting Gao vent all his pent-up frustration without saying a word. Luo Lanxia quietly mentions to Tianqing that Gao doesn't seem to be doing well. Sui explains to her that everything hit him out of nowhere, and there's really nothing they can do about it. He suggests they just let Gao blow off some steam, treating it like a way to toughen up. They finally reach the top of the tallest building in G municipality, and Gao gets his binoculars ready. Sui points out that this is a prime spot since they can see both the dam and the city at the same time. With anger written all over his face, Gao acknowledges that they're the ones to blame. Sui asks if Gao's father is there, and Gao hands him the binoculars to check it out himself. Peering through the binoculars, Sui asks if that's the flower factory. Gao confirms and also points out a white car. He realizes they've likely captured his dad and killed his mom, and mentions that taking them on won't be easy since the factory is heavily guarded. Breaking in would be a real challenge. Out of nowhere, Gao slams his hand on the table to grab everyone's attention. He announces that he's going to avenge his mom's murder, even if it means risking his own life. Sui Tianqing puts a hand on Gao's shoulder, reminding him that he didn't bring him here to die. He insists that if Gao wants revenge, he needs to chill out first. Luo Lanxia, looking calm and cheerful, tells them to check something out. She points below and urges them to look quickly. They both glance down, surprised, and see a supply backpack with 3 different packages, likely filled with essentials. A week after the outbreak, many countries sent these backpacks as aid, and theirs was among the first to receive them. Holding a knife, Sui mentions that, come to think of it, the first batch of supplies should have arrived by now. They head down to check out what's inside the boxes, finding ammunition and other items. Sui discovers a Type 56 semi-automatic rifle with a 400-meter range and immediately starts testing its precision sights. Soon hands the rifle over to Gao, saying it should help him reach his peak accuracy. Gao starts getting the feel of the rifle while Tianqing and Luo rummage through the rest of the gear. With wide eyes, he exclaims that he's stumbled upon something significant. He's ecstatic about finding a scope that fits a precision weapon, which is perfect for their current needs. He asks Gao Fei if he's familiar with using the scope, and Gao nods, confirming he is. Gao attaches the scope to his Type 56 rifle, looking focused and intrigued by his new weapon. He tells Gao to hang tight with Luo Lanxia on top of the building. Gao yells at Sui, insisting he needs to take out the criminals himself. Lighting a cigarette, Sui Tianqing says that since Gao is like a brother to him, his revenge is also Sui's revenge. He advises Gao Fei to wield his weapon wisely, as it's key to his vengeance. With tears in his eyes, Gao thanks Sui. The protagonist casually remarks, "That's what brothers are for." As night falls, the scene shifts. Over at the flower factory, security is super tight, with armed guards everywhere and spotlights scanning for any intruders. The trio is hiding behind a car, and Sui asks Gao if he can spot anything. Gao replies not only can he see, but he's just realized he has night vision. He spots 3 armed guys hanging out on the roof. Gao notices everyone seems to have supply backpacks and is using Type 56 rifles, just like him. Luo Lanxia, feeling a bit anxious, suggests they go over their plan again because of all the weapons around. Out of nowhere, Sui Tiancheng stands up impulsively. Luo, in a panic, asks what he's doing, warning they'll get caught if he keeps it up. He replies curtly that she'll get it once she hits the first stage. He adds there's no need for a plan to handle these guys, and as he says this, he pulls out his knives. Meanwhile, one of the guards has dozed off and is snoring loudly. One of the henchmen mentions that night patrol is super complicated, and the other, equally sleepy, admits they're out of options. Despite being drowsy, he spots some weird movement below. On alert, he calls out to his buddies, asking what's happening down there. The bald, bearded thug shines his flashlight towards the ground from the rooftop. He directs the big beam right at the protagonist and confirms, shouting to his pals that it's a person. One thug angrily demands to know what the boy's doing there, but the kid just keeps strolling, acting like he doesn't hear a thing. The chubby, bearded thug pulls out his weapon, warning that if the boy doesn't stop, they'll shoot without hesitation. The protagonist stands in front of the wrecked cars and barricade, seemingly plotting something. He aims a 56 caliber rifle at Zui Tianqing, and the hefty thug Wei warns he's about to learn a harsh lesson. But before he can react, he's hit and meets his fate, courtesy of Hades. He falls backward, leaving his 2 friends shocked by the sudden gunfire. With horror on their faces, the 2 survivors shout in unison that it must be a sniper. Gao Fei, using the telescopic sight on his 56 caliber rifle, has one eye open and the other closed after taking the shot. Our main guy gears up to jump, building momentum and using some slick acrobatics to land perfectly on the roof. He places his hand down as he lands on the roof where the 2 surviving thugs are hanging out. Both thugs get ready to launch a combined attack on Zui Tianqing, who keeps his head down and stays still. They move in closer to land their attack, while our hero remains motionless. In a flash, our hero grabs them both by their collars and slams them into each other, spinning their bodies and making them collide headfirst. The rifles hit the ground, followed by the 2 thugs. At that moment, Zui turns his head toward Gao Fei, who nailed the shot that saved him, and gives him a thumbs up. He gathers up the 3 rifles from the defeated thugs. He regroups with his crew, handing over the rifles, and mentions that people will start pouring out of the factory once the shots are fired. He instructs them to take down any thugs that show up, saying he's got something else to handle but will be back soon. Gao Fei reloads his rifle and reassures him not to worry about a thing. With a cold, determined expression and his rifle at the ready, he declares he'll take them all out, one by one. Meanwhile, Fat Wei finds himself in a rather spicy and exciting situation. A girl, who seems to be in the business of selling dreams, is about to entertain Fat Wei. Out of nowhere, one of his henchmen barges in, interrupting the moment, claiming it's urgent. Avoiding eye contact with his subordinate, he asks what's going on, and the thug reports they're under attack. He quickly pushes the girl aside and demands to know if Lin Xing is behind this. The subordinate admits he isn't sure, but it looks like a sniper is involved, and 4 men are already down. As he gets dressed, ready to head out, Fat Wei questions the thug's claim about a sniper being involved. Furious, the boss storms out and commands his guy to round up all the men for the event. The subordinate quickly follows orders. It's happening outside. There are about 6 guys armed and ready for whatever might come their way. The bald thug tells his buddy to check things out, but the friend just shouts back, telling him to do it himself. Annoyed by his friend's attitude, the bald guy decides to take the lead. As he steps forward, he gets hit hard under the chin, instantly coughing up blood. He starts to fall back, wounded, dropping his rifle, while his friend looks on, totally shocked and horrified. With eyes glowing like a predator in the wild, Gao Fei announces 5, marking his 5th kill with the rifle. Watching from a distance with binoculars, Fat Wei is boiling with anger and frustration at the scene. Fat Wei angrily demands to know how many men they have, but his nervous subordinate admits he has no idea. Enraged, Fat Wei punches his servant in the face, questioning why he even pays these useless guys. The gang leader, in full-on rage mode, yells at his crew to chase down the intruders. The crew doesn't waste a second and bolts after the invaders. Peering through his rifle scope, Gao mutters that things are getting dicey. Luo, curious, asks him why he thinks that. Gao spots a horde of thugs charging their way and warns that they're coming for them. He dashes from inside the base to the outside in a frenzy. Seeing the mob, Luo wonders aloud what their next move should be. Gao Fei, with a determined look, tells Luo Lansha to run while clutching his weapon. They both take off, sprinting for their lives. One thug, rocking a ninja bandana and looking pretty clueless, is stunned. He spots the 2 survivors and notes they're heading toward the market. He urges his buddies to chase after them. On a rooftop, silhouetted against the moon, a mysterious figure watches the scene unfold. 2 thugs chat about the earlier gunshots, with one guessing it's Lin Xing and his police crew. One guy insists it must be true since the boss just nabbed Gao Shi. Meanwhile, our main dude, watching from above, decides to drop down from the roof. Suddenly, there's a noise that freaks out the thug. Right between them, Zhuo pops up and tells them to stay quiet and still. He presses his weapon against one of their backs, casually mentioning that the spine is right where his blade is resting. He adds that, although he's no doctor, he knows hitting them there would paralyze them. With a creepy grin, Zhuo suggests he might just test that theory out on them. Sweating bullets, Fat Wei's thug pleads with him not to do it. Our guy fires off 3 questions about Gao Shi. Is he alive? Where is he? And who is Lin Xing? He urges the thugs to spill the beans fast. Totally freaked out, one of Fat Wei's lackeys starts blabbing, saying Lin is alive and locked up. When asked which factory, the thug points it out. Then the protagonist asks who Lin is, and the guy reveals he's a cop from G. Lin gathers a team of officers and sets up shop within the city's ancient walls, aiming to rebuild society from the ground up. Our protagonist is puzzled because he doesn't recall anyone named Lin Xing from his previous life. He asks the two thugs if he can pose another question, and in their desperation, they agree, saying he can ask anything he wants. With a sinister look, the protagonist asks them how they prefer to die. This question leaves the two men completely stunned. The protagonist swiftly handles the situation, taking out the enemies with his knife. He then heads toward the factory the thugs mentioned, where Lin Xing is supposedly held. With determination and confidence, he declares that he has to rescue someone right now. As he stands there, observing the factory, something catches his attention. Upon closer inspection, he realizes the place feels off, with a really weird vibe. Suddenly, he overhears a conversation between two thugs, mentioning that if Gao Ji isn't dead yet, he probably is by now. One of the thugs, a muscular guy with long hair, comments that Gao Ji wouldn't be able to survive it. One of them wonders how the boss came up with such a cruel plan. Sui steps out from behind a container where he was hiding and heads back to the spot he was observing. He looks up, analyzing the place again, and realizes this building is full of challenges. He places his palm on the wall, activates detection mode, and starts focusing. He's soon shocked by what he discovers. He detects a man hunched over on a platform and a swarm of dozens, maybe hundreds, of zombies. Gao Ji looks utterly terrified, on the brink of madness, trembling with fear. The full moon lights up the streets of G on this grim night. A bunch of Fat Wei's thugs are out searching for the intruders. Nervously, one asks who will go in first. The guy with the bandana questions their fear, saying one person can't take them all down. Someone suggests it might be a trap, but the bandana guy insists that if they don't take out the intruder, Fat Wei will take them out. Boosted by the thug's words, they stride into the dark place, weapons ready and confidence renewed. They step inside, armed and on high alert, scanning for any sign of the intruder. But one of them is quickly taken out, just like that. Gao Fei, with his .56 caliber rifle, marks his sixth kill, but he's still not satisfied. From his high vantage point, he sees all his enemies and vows to take them all down. The thug with the bandana spots Gao Fei and alerts his crew to his location. They all start shooting at Gao, forcing him to make a run for it. He just sighs, looking bored and unfazed, dodging every bullet. The henchmen shout that they need to catch the kid because the boss wants him. The boss, a hefty guy with a bandana, is fed up and calls the kid a real pain. The boss demands they form another team for backup and warns them not to return until the kid is taken down. One of his guys rushes in, totally freaked out, saying things have gone south. The boss wants to know what the heck is going on now. The guy, still shouting from fear and adrenaline, blurts out that all the thugs at the factory got taken down. Fat Wei's eyes go wide, veins popping on his forehead, completely stunned by the news. Grinding his teeth in anger, he calls for Qian and some other thugs to sort this mess out. Meanwhile, over at the factory, Zhou Tianxing is calling out to Uncle Gao through a hole he made in the glass. Uncle Gao Ji, badly hurt, is desperately calling for help. Zui introduces himself to Gao Ji, mentioning he's a classmate and friend of Gao Fei. In a state that's almost vegetative, possibly from his injuries and madness, Gao Ji starts mumbling his son's and Zui's names. Looking at the hole he's about to climb through, he comments that this is going to be a real headache. Tossing a rope to the platform where Gao Ji is, our guy gears up for a risky descent to rescue him. Zui starts climbing down the rope, aiming straight for the platform where Gao Ji is waiting. Once he's securely on the metal platform, it begins to sway wildly under the combined weight of both men. Startled by the platform's instability, Zui looks down and sees a horde of zombies ready to feast if he falls. He reaches out to Uncle Gao Ji, saying he's there to rescue him. When Gao Ji hears this, he seems to snap out of his daze. But instead of relief, he panics and starts crawling backward, trying to escape from Tianxing. Pleading for Zui not to come any closer, Gao Ji keeps retreating on the platform, almost toppling over the edge. Zui clicks his tongue in frustration and dashes toward Gao Ji. Tianxing uses his elbow to pin Gao Ji down, throwing his weight on him to stop him from moving or falling off. Seeing his friend's father like this, he realizes Gao Ji has lost his mind, and it breaks his heart. While holding on to Gao Fei's dad to stop him from falling, he tells him he gets why he's in this mess, and that anyone could end up like this. Zui apologizes to the guy before delivering a precise chop to the back of his neck, knocking him out cold. The chop works like a charm, and Gao Fei's dad is out like a light. Meanwhile, a bunch of Fat Wei's goons are rushing towards the factory, armed to the teeth. Zui Tianxing catches a glimpse of them and realizes they're moving way faster than he thought. Up on the factory roof, the moonlight reveals a sea of these henchmen. Fat Wei, flashing a grin full of teeth and some gold ones, gives the kid props. Surrounded by his army of goons, Fat Wei tells him he did a good job snatching Gao right from under their noses. Our hero lifts his head, locks eyes with Fat Wei, and says he was worried about tracking him down. Then, with a chilling vibe, he adds that Fat Wei showing up made things a whole lot easier for him. One of the thugs rips his shirt and reassures the boss that he's got this under control. He taunts Zui, asking if he thinks he's tough and fearless, and wonders if was ever served in the army or trained in a dojo. The thug gets right in Zui Tianxing's face, trying to scare him by saying that taking lives isn't illegal anymore. But before he can finish, our hero lands a massive, bone-crushing punch. The big, scary thug is sent flying through the air from Tianxing's punch, crashing hard and skidding far away. He clutches his face in agony. His body bounces on the ground, unable to stop, hitting the dirt multiple times. Fat Wei and his crew are left speechless, jaws on the floor, totally stunned by what just happened. The thug crashes down, completely battered and lifeless, with smoke rising from his hand and a grim look on his face. Tianxing remarks that the guy was right. Taking lives isn't illegal anymore. Swiftly, our protagonist draws his 2 swords from his back. With the sword in hand, he turns to face Fat Wei's gang, standing right in front of them. The fat boss shouts at his goons, ordering them to shoot Tianxing immediately. He sighs, dripping with disdain and superiority towards the thugs in front of him. Suddenly, Swa charges at them with both swords, ready to strike them all down. He swiftly takes them out, showcasing his impressive combat skills. Fat Wei yells at his crew to attack all at once, trying to overwhelm him. But Tianxing isn't fazed. He keeps attacking and taking them down with ease. A bald thug sneaks up behind him, grinning, ready to shoot, but Swa senses him. He turns and cuts the guy down without a second thought. Annoyed, Fat Wei starts shooting at Swa, cursing him to hell. The bullets miss as Swa dodges and then charges at another target. He quickly cuts the man down before he can even react. He then effortlessly takes down another one of Fat Wei's thugs. Our main guy doesn't even break a sweat as he takes down more thugs with ease. Fat Boss Wei is just standing there, totally stunned, trying to wrap his head around Tianxing's power. As Tianxing mows down his goons, Wei's left wondering who this kid even is. Tianxing shoots a chilling, hate-filled glare at Fat Wei. In response, Wei's jaw drops and his eyes go wide, paralyzed by fear. Meanwhile, outside the hideout where Gao and Luo are laying low, one of Wei's men asks his buddy Bangzi if he's sure those 2 fugitives are inside. Another guy starts sweating bullets, remembering how another crew got wrecked here. Mustering some courage, one thug steps up and heads toward the hideout. From a good vantage point, Luo Lansha tells Gao another group is coming, and Gao, rifle ready, says he's on it. Peering through his 56 caliber long-range rifle scope, Gao promises to take down anyone who dares approach. From their position, the moonlight streams through a skylight, illuminating a bunch of bodies already knocked out on the floor. As the thugs make their entrance, fear grips them all. Through Gao Fei's rifle scope, we see one thug in his crosshairs, ready to be taken down. Gao Fei, with icy determination, announces that this guy is his next target. Zooming in with his enhanced scope, he spots a gold watch on the guy's wrist. Shocked, he lowers his weapon, his mind drifting away from the present moment. Luo Lansha notices his odd reaction and asks what's up. Gao Fei says that watch belonged to his dad. Stunned, Luo asks if that man had anything to do with his father's fate. Rage fills Gao's eyes as he starts hurling insults at the guy with the watch. From a strategic spot, Gao Fei impulsively yells to grab their attention, throwing insults. He locks eyes with the man wearing his dad's watch, completely engulfed in fury. Recognizing Gao Ji's son, the man just gives a sarcastic, disdainful smile. He asks Gao Fei if he wants to see his dad, and without missing a beat, the boy says yes. The only condition from the thug is that Gao has to surrender first, then he'll take him to see his father. Furious, Gao Fei clenches his fist, clearly ready to take a swing at the guy. Luo Lansha, noticing the guy's mind games, grabs Gao Fei to calm him down, saying he's doing it on purpose. The same jerk who insulted Gao then looks at the little girl and calls her a loli. In a dark, chilling tone, Gao tells Luo he's calmer than ever. Gao Fei asks the thug if he had a hand in what happened to his home, and the guy says it was amazing to do that. With a twisted, proud tone, the thug admits he was the one who tied Gao's mom to that rope. When he mentions letting her get eaten alive by zombies, Gao Fei is consumed by rage, biting his lips in fury. Luo, feeling sorry for her friend Gao, tries to calm him down with a sympathetic look. But then, out of nowhere, red beams start swirling around him, and he quickly tells Luo Lansha to find cover. Gao Ao Fei, fist clenched tight, is now completely overtaken by rage and seems ready to take everyone down. He grabs his rifle from the ground and starts throwing insults at the thugs again. Jumping off the balcony, which gave him a height advantage, he yells that he's coming for them, weapons ready. The thugs, with their chubby faces, stare at Gao in terror as he acts like a man. While still in the air, falling, he pulls out 2 guns and aims them at the men with pure hatred. In one swift move, he takes down 2 of Fat Wei's men, the ones who turned his mom into a zombie. He lands smoothly on the ground, kneeling as the other 2 bodies hit the floor. Without missing a beat, the remaining thugs start shooting at Gao Fei. He just gives them a wild, defiant look. It's like time slows down for him as he spots the bullets coming his way. He dodges them with ease, seeing each one as if in slow motion. Just like Neo in the Matrix, he bends back, dodging every shot fired at him. Without missing a beat, Gao fires his weapon, hitting another target with little effort. The guy he hits manages to gasp out, "This is impossible," eyes wide as he stares at Gao Fei. As Gao steadies himself, the man wonders if this kid is even human. Gao Ao Fei fires more shots, taking down his enemies with precision. With a cold, fierce gaze, he looks at his targets like a hunter sizing up its prey, unstoppable. The thug who insulted Gao earlier is now full of regret and terror at Gao's power. He's so scared he wets himself, and drops his weapon to the ground. Face to face with Gao Fei, Fat Wei's thug raises his hands, pleading for mercy. Meanwhile, the gang leader, Fat Wei, is tied up with his hands bound. Zhuo Tianqing pulls the rope tight and slams him to the ground, leaving him completely immobilized. As our protagonist starts dragging the fat man across the ground like he's nothing, while the guy tries to bribe Zhuo to save his skin, Zua hauls him over to the platform where he saved Gao Ji, and the boss starts freaking out, picturing his own grim end. In a panic, Fat Wei spills the beans about where they've stashed all the food, hoping to cut a deal with Zua. But Zua's not interested in any of that. He's all about getting revenge for his buddy Gao Fei. He tells the fat boss he can just imagine how Gao Fei's mom met her end. Then, making it clear that Fat Wei's gonna pay today, Zua shoves him toward the waiting horde of zombies. Face to face with his terrifying fate, Fat Wei starts screaming for his life. In no time, the fat man is tumbling into the pit where he once trapped Gao Ji. As he falls, Fat Wei is shouting in denial, powerless to stop what's coming. And just like that, he lands right in the middle of the ravenous zombies. It's game over for him. The zombies are closing in, ready to chow down on his flesh. Fat Wei, crying his eyes out, pleads with the zombies to back off, but it's hopeless. In his last shout, the crime boss keeps denying his fate, but the zombies aren't showing any mercy. Watching from above, Zua Tianxing feels no pity, thinking Fat Wei had it coming. Our main guy decides it's time to head back and find his buddy Gao. The thug who dissed Gao is now begging for forgiveness. Beaten and on the ground, the enemy pleads with Gao to spare him. Gao, shirtless with Ebola marks on his stomach, asks who else was at his place that day. The guy replies that Gao's already taken out everyone except those who were with Fat Wei. Face to face with the last guy, Gao tells him he's the only one left. The desperate man insists he was just following orders. Begging for his life, he tells Gao Fei he was just a lackey in bows before him. Luo Lansha is just standing there, stunned, barely able to whisper Gao's name. Gao Fei grabs his enemy by the collar, telling him he's not even worth negotiating with. He pulls back his fist, charging up a powerful punch, and says the guy should just be taken out. Out of nowhere, the marks on Gao Fei's abdomen start to vanish. Feeling a massive pressure, he realizes it's the recoil effect and grits his teeth. As he drops to the ground, Luo Lansha rushes over to check on him. He tells Luo to forget about him for now and chase after the guy. The man, in a panic, starts running for his life, and Gao Fei points him out, urging Luo to take him down immediately. She yells for the guy to stop running and stay where he is. Gao's vision starts to blur as he watches his friend from behind. He's sweating like crazy, his body feels super heavy, and one eye shuts from exhaustion. Suddenly, he collapses, completely out of energy, looking like he's passed out. Luo takes a shot at the guy with her simple firearm, aiming to take him out. The shot hits the guy's arm, but it barely slows him down as he keeps running like his life depends on it. He looks back at the little girl, scared out of his mind and bleeding. She's yelling at him to stop while chasing him with her weapon ready. The thug's freaking out, realizing he's actually being hunted by a kid. She points her weapon at him again, demanding he stops right now. He slides around a street corner, still trying to escape. Luo Lansha fires, but the shot just grazes the wall as the thug dodges it. We see the corner he turned, but it's eerily silent. Out of nowhere, the guy being chased by Luo Lansha gets launched into the air. He crashes to the ground, and Luo looks puzzled, glancing between him and the spot he flew from. With Gao Ji on her shoulders, she spots Zua Tianxing, who looks completely unfazed. The little girl turns to her friend Zua and asks if this is Gao Fei's dad. Zua nods in confirmation. Zua looks at the thug they just dealt with and asks who he is. Luo explains that this guy is the one who broke into Gao's house. With a cold, indifferent expression, Zua Tianxing says he gets what's going on. Gao Ji comes to, letting out some groans and sighs. Luo Lansha, all smiles, notes that he's finally awake. But Uncle Gao wakes up in a panic, realizing he's somewhere unfamiliar. In a frenzy, Gao Ji backs away from them, yelling for them to stay back. He curls up, hugging his knees, trying to block out reality. When Luo asks, Zua explains that he's in shock. Frustrated, Luo Lansha declares that all these bad guys need to be taken out. Meanwhile, the thug our hero tossed is starting to regain consciousness, and he looks at his hand, surprised he's still alive. Seeing the thug is still breathing, our hero remarks on how tough the guy is. Slowly waking up after being knocked out, Fat Wei's thug's eyes widen when he realizes he's staring right at Zua. Zua unsheathes his sword, telling the thug he won't get another chance, as the thug raises his hand to shield his face. Out of nowhere, Gao Ji suddenly shows up, cursing the thug aggressively without any warning. Luo Lansha and Zua Tianxing are both taken aback and just watch the scene unfold. Staring at the guy on the ground, Gao Ji starts angrily repeating, "It was him." With fists clenched, he approaches his enemy, insisting this guy was responsible. Grabbing the thug by the collar in a fit of rage, Gao Ji yells that he was the one who did it, and the thug seems to recognize him. Out of nowhere, Gao Ji throws a massive punch right into the thug's face. Still injured and mentally wrecked from all the trauma, it's obvious Gao Ji is losing it. He lands another hit, cursing the thug furiously. Without missing a beat, Gao Ji throws another brutal punch. Again, without a second thought, he lands a cross punch right to the thug's face. Still cursing, he lands another punch right on the guy's cheek. Gao Ji doesn't let up, unleashing a barrage of punches on the thug. Our main guy just stands there, taking in the intense vibes of the whole scene. Luo Lansha mirrors her friend Zua's expression, looking just as indifferent. Gao Ji, still swearing and furious, has his hand covered in ketchup, and the guy looks knocked out cold. The man, crying his eyes out, seems lost in a conversation with his late wife. Gao Ji, standing over him, tells his wife he's worthless. Luo mentions that Gao Ji seems calmer now, and Zua suggests they help him so they can go see Gao Fei. She quickly rushes over to her friend's dad, who just had a breakdown. Morning arrives, and the sun lights up Ji's buildings in a stunning way. Gao Fei slowly wakes up, lying in a big bed. Gao asks where he is and notices his dad sleeping at the foot of the bed. Gao Fei is shocked to find his dad alive and snoozing at the foot of the bed. Suddenly, his dad wakes up, sees Gao Fei, and pulls him into a hug, relieved that he's finally awake. The tension on their faces melts away in this emotional moment, and Gao realizes it's truly his dad. His dad embraces him tightly, grateful that he's okay. Gao Fei quickly asks if Fat Wei caused any harm, and his dad says his friends avenged Fei's mom. Luo shows up at the door with a tray, noting that's what was right about Gao waking up. She offers the food, saying he must be hungry, and Gao thanks her. She pulls a goofy face and brushes off his thanks, saying it was no big deal. Gao Fei's dad admits he feared his son might never wake up since he was in A. Gao Fei asks where they are, and his dad explains they're in an abandoned hotel they took over. Luo Lanchan excitedly mentions she found a ton of food, but Sui interrupts, calling Gao reckless. She yells Tian Cheng's name to alert him. Gao just woke up from a coma. Sui advises not to trigger Ebola unless it's urgent. Gao retorts that the man killed his mom. Switching topics, Sui is relieved Gao practiced the exercises that boosted his immunity and asks about his tattoo. Gao looks embarrassed, trying to dodge the question. He keeps avoiding it, scratching his face and repeating himself. Sui presses on, asking again where the tattoo is. Gao blurts out that it's on his private parts. Everyone tries to stifle their laughter at Gao's comment. Sui and Luo Lanchan can't hold it in and burst out laughing, while Gao pleads for them to stop. Still wiping away tears from laughing, Sui jokes that once Gao's better, he'll check out the tattoo, but Gao insists there's no need. Gao's dad, looking all chill and relieved, says he's off to catch some rest in his room. As he steps out, he seems way better than before. Sui Tianqing and Luo Lanchan start catching up with Gao Fei, and they're all having a blast. Gao sure gives a final smile before leaving, clearly happy that his son is doing great. Time flies, and we see Gao Fei and Luo Lanchan doing breathing exercises with the main guy. He mentions they're almost there, and the two buddies slowly open their eyes after some deep meditation. Sui points out that Luo is nearly at the first stage and will soon unlock her power, while Fei still needs to boost his immunity. Luo Lanchan turns to Tianqing and asks about his progress. He replies that he's close to stage 2, and once there, he can handle 2 whole groups like Fat Wei's. Gao Fei is blown away by this and comments on how strong Sui is going to be. Sui notices Gao's over-the-top reaction and asks what's up. Gao Fei, looking anxious, asks Sui if he can teach his father those breathing techniques. Sui, without missing a beat, says he will. He explains he hadn't done it before because Gao was in a rush. Gao is taken aback and asks if Sui is serious. Sui confirms, saying they're like brothers, after all. Gao Fei rushes to his father's room, knocking frantically and calling for him to open up. Sui steps in, gently moving Gao aside, and with a swift kick, he breaks the door down, revealing Gao Ji's room. As they peer inside, both friends are stunned, their eyes wide and jaws dropped. Gao Fei is hit hard by the shocking scene. He quickly enters the room, heading straight towards something. In the dimly lit room, he stops in front of his father's body, hanging from a rope. Overcome with grief, Gao Fei breaks down, tears streaming as he bites his lips in sorrow. He can't stop crying and shouting for his father, fully realizing the tragedy before him. Gao collapses to his knees, overwhelmed by grief, while his two friends stand there, stunned. Luo Lanchan spots something on the dresser, a letter addressed to Gao from his father. Gao Fei, tears streaming down his face, starts reading the letter. In it, Gao Ji bids farewell, apologizing for his cowardice and selfishness, admitting he couldn't go on. Gao Ji explains that the world changed too quickly for him, and he couldn't cope, knowing a zombie or thief would soon end his life. He describes witnessing unimaginable brutality, death, and horror before they arrived. He confesses that he was accustomed to his old, peaceful life and couldn't adjust to this twisted new reality. Gao Ji wanted to see Gao one last time and is relieved his son has loyal friends, allowing him to rest peacefully. He also mentions a watch, a token of love between him and Gao's mother, which he left as an inheritance for his son. Gao stands by his father's grave, reflecting on a letter that says he would have been a burden to them, and urges him to move on. The letter advises Gao to stay strong, so he wipes his tears, stands tall, and takes it to heart. Through his tears, Gao Fei asks Tiancheng what has happened to the world. With death, betrayal, and danger everywhere, Ao Fei wonders if they'll be stuck in this world forever. Sui lights a cigarette and admits he has no clue if things will ever change. He remarks that the world has transformed into this state, and if there's a way to fix it, he doesn't know it. Sui mentions that some people accept their fate while others fight it, then questions what Sui himself has chosen. Tiancheng replies that he didn't choose either path. With a detached look, he says he just wants to survive with them because that's their only shot. Clinging to hope, Gao Fei repeats, survival, and chance, to reassure himself. Our main guy offers his cigarette to his buddy Gao Fei. Gao doesn't hesitate and grabs the lit cigarette Sui offers him. Fei takes a deep breath, soaking in the atmosphere around them. He decides to take a puff from the cigarette as Sui gives him a reassuring pat on the back. Gao Fei starts tearing up and coughing from the smoke he just inhaled. In a firm voice, Sui tells them it's time to move on, trying to help his friend snap out of it. As they leave Ji, Luo Lanxia asks Sui for a cigarette, but he refuses, reminding her she's still a kid. Fast forward a month, and Luo Lanxia is facing Gao Fei on a rooftop. Luo gives Gao a cold, serious stare, challenging him with her eyes. Gao meets her gaze with equal seriousness and determination. Out of nowhere, Luo bursts forward, leaping to attack Gao. But with his sharp hunter instincts, Gao sees it all clearly and lets out a calm sigh. Luo aims a strong punch right at Fei's face. He swiftly sidesteps, telling her she's too slow, and she misses her mark. Just before she hits the ground, she uses the momentum to spin and do a bunch of flips, landing perfectly on her feet. With a confident look, she tells him to pay attention to what's about to go down. The glowing red marks from the activated Ebola virus start showing up on her back. With her hands on the ground and legs stretched out, she's ready to gather speed for another move. Once she's got enough momentum, Luo goes for a powerful spinning kick aimed right at Gao Fei. Gao, with his eyes shut, effortlessly blocks the kick with his forearm, stopping it from causing any harm. Out of nowhere, Luo Lanxia slides behind Gao, saying it's not over yet. Gao, with his icy stare, doesn't seem fazed by her move and looks like he already knows how to counter it. He quickly pulls a knife from the holster on his leg in response to her maneuver. He grips the knife and hurls it toward her. Both aim their knives at deadly spots. Luo targets Gao's stomach, while Gao aims for her neck. She's got her knife aimed right at his stomach, and he's not backing down either, keeping his blade close to her neck. Meanwhile, this guy is watching the whole sparring match through his binoculars, noting how both of them have seriously leveled up their skills. He points out that Fei's reaction time is way better now, and Luo Lanxia's speed has taken off, even outpacing him. After Gao teases that Zwei's been glued to those binoculars too much, our main guy spots something in the distance. Gao, just as surprised, looks where Zwei's looking and figures it might be Fat Wei's factory. He mentions seeing people raiding the place and making off with the goods stored there. Gao Fei guesses they're after Fat Wei's stash, and Zwei's on the same page. Our guy says he and his crew have chilled long enough, and it's time to move out. With a somber look, Gao asks if they're really leaving G municipality. Zwei confirms they're heading out, saying the resources here are running low, and he needs to find his girlfriend. Luo Lanxia and Gao Fei are both taken aback by this news. Zwei Tianqing just gives them a relaxed smile in response to their over-the-top reactions. Meanwhile, someone mysterious shows up at this Oriental-style temple we haven't identified yet. There's this tall guy in a suit with a dress shirt, and he's got a striking red-haired woman in tactical gear with him. Lin, the leader's right-hand man, mentions they have a good shot, and the leader asks if Hao is back. Lin says no, but confirms the factory's empty. Lin notes how fast things went down, but his servant says it's normal since the fat guy had a lot of enemies out for revenge. Leader Lin decides they need to move fast and grab those resources ASAP. He turns to Yun, the woman next to him, asking if they've got enough people. She suggests sending some of the teens they just took in. His subordinate points out that since the teens are living off them, they should pitch in too, and the boss is on board with that. The boss then tells his buddy Li Yun to handle it, and she's cool with it. In the truck, the teens are grumbling about having to work, and one of them points out it's only fair since the group is supporting them. One guy mentions he was planning to study abroad, while another had a promising job lined up, but now everything's messed up. The boy with glasses is all doom and gloom, and the girl next to him tells him there's no use in dwelling on it. She wraps it up by saying they have to work since they're living with these people now. The glasses-wearing guy complains that using brute force for labor makes all his studying feel pointless. Suddenly, the truck comes to a screeching halt, and the teens are thrown back. The hot-headed guy with glasses yells at the driver, questioning where he learned to drive. The driver, looking serious, just says they've reached their destination. The group of 5 teens stands in front of Fat Wei's factory. The girl says she's not wasting time with the arrogant guy and decides to take charge. Zoe suggests to his 2 friends that they grab the easiest supplies to pack. Out of nowhere, they run into Tianqing, who's baffled by seeing these teenagers around. The teens are stunned when they spot another group and start grilling them about it. Zoe and Gao Fei just stand there, cool and collected, eyeing the teenagers. Both groups freeze, staring each other down, puzzled by the unexpected meetup. Luo Lanxia wonders what the plan is, and Zoe tells them to keep loading the car while he deals with it. Gao Fei and Luo Lanxia just nod and keep packing the car with supplies. Frustrated, the guy with glasses blurts out that they can't just take those resources. He argues with Zoe, who casually lights a cigarette, insisting they found the stuff first and demanding they leave. Zoe laughs it off, pointing out they're already loading the car and accusing him of lying about finding the stuff first. A bit tongue-tied, the guy insists they came back with the car but still got to the factory first. With a menacing look and tone, Zoe Tianqing asks if they plan to take everything from the factory. One of the girls suggests they should just move on and find other resources, but the boy insists that their enemies will snatch up all the best stuff. She points out that their group is small and should let it go, but the boy's ego won't let him back down. Another girl notices they're all young and suggests they invite the others to join their group. Chai asks if they're underage and remarks that, given the state of the world, they should stick together. Zoe shoots down the idea, telling them to just take their share from the factory while his group takes theirs. He then tells his 2 friends to keep loading the car with supplies. Frustrated, the boy with glasses says Zoe is asking for trouble, while his friend tries to calm him down, reminding him they're all just kids. She suggests they could force the trio to hand over the resources since they outnumber them, but her group isn't on board with that plan. The girl, annoyed, tells the others to head into the factory and start gathering supplies. Luo, one of them, suggests they should teach the group a lesson for underestimating them, but Zoe dismisses it, saying they're just ordinary folks. The arrogant kid with glasses is getting more annoyed and kicks a can out of frustration. He grumbles to himself, claiming they're the heroes and he's the villain in this story. As he watches the can roll away, something catches his eye, making him stop in his tracks. He notices it's a big, locked warehouse that hasn't been looted yet. Meanwhile, a man is running frantically, shouting for Chief Lin. The chief breathes a sigh of relief when Hao returns, and a subordinate asks Lin if he sent a group to the factory. He questions where exactly the group was sent. In disbelief, the subordinate keeps asking if the chief really didn't send anyone to the factory, and Lin confirms he sent the students. Inhao starts sweating nervously, saying things are bad, and the chief asks what's wrong. He explains that Fat Wei's factory has a whole warehouse full of zombies. Chief Lin is stunned and can't believe what he's just heard. He tells his servant to quickly fetch Yun, and the servant agrees to do it right away. Zwe and his buddy are loading up their car trunk with bread, water, beer, and more. Zwe checks with Gao about the cigarettes, and Fei shows him a box of 1916s, asking if they're good enough. Our main guy is thrilled, saying it's a solid find that'll keep them stocked for a while. With the trunk shut, Tianqing announces they're all set to hit the road. The girl from the younger group tries again to get them to join, mentioning they're staying somewhere safe. Tianqing perks up at the mention of a safe spot and asks how many people are there. She says around 100. With a bit of sarcasm, our guy suggests they're probably better off alone. The girl is stunned by Tianqing's response. She heads back to grab something and asks them to hang on a sec. She quickly returns with a basic weapon, advising them to stay safe and watch out on their journey. She warns them about the dangers outside and tells them to stay safe. Zwe expresses his gratitude for the gift. Tianqing, holding the weapon, calls out to Fei. He instructs Fei to leave some medicine for the younger group, and Fei nods in agreement. Gao Fei starts the car, with Zwe lying in the back seat, while he and Luo take the front seats. Luo Lanshan spots two boys trying to break into the warehouse at Fat Wei's factory, and wonders what they're up to. Fei hits the gas, speeding up, and Luo tells Tianqing that the kids are attempting to break into the fat man's warehouse. Zwe, shocked, shouts, asking which warehouse they're targeting. She answers that it's the one visible from the main gate. Zwe is even more stunned, questioning if it's the warehouse he's thinking of. Gao asks what's happening, and Luo Lanshan wonders if there's anything valuable left there worth going back for. As Zwe looks at the weapon, he remembers the kind girl and feels a strong sense of empathy and responsibility for the young people. He tells Gao Fei to pull over so he can help those teenagers. Meanwhile, the cocky guy and another young member of the group are trying to get the warehouse door open. One of them mentions to Su Xiao that something feels off, but Su Xiao insists he's wrong, claiming the warehouse is packed with supplies. Frustrated with the lock not budging, he grumbles about how it seemed so much easier in the movies. He then pulls out a basic gun from his holster, saying he's going to use it. Suddenly, the whole place echoes with the loud bang of a gunshot. Che quickly asks Su Xiao what he's up to. The boy excitedly announces that he's managed to break into the fat man's factory warehouse. All the teenagers, who seemed ready to leave, are now puzzled by Su Xiao's actions. The lock on the warehouse gate crashes to the ground, shattered by Su's shot. As soon as he pushes open the big double doors, a nasty stench hits him right in the face. He covers his nose, wondering what kind of place reeks this bad. Just as he's about to step further into the dark, smelly space, he catches a glimpse of a skeletal hand from some infected creature reaching for him. Out of nowhere, one of the infected grabs his leg and bites down hard on his ankle. Su Xiao lets out a scream that echoes through the whole place. He kicks the zombie's head, swearing, and starts yelling for his group to come help. The group turns toward the warehouse, looking confused and unsure about what's going on. Suddenly, Su Xiao bolts out of the warehouse, stumbling, with a horde of hungry infected creatures right on his tail. Su yells for his friends to run, and they all take off when they see the zombies chasing after them. He spins around with his gun, cursing and firing wildly in sheer panic. One of the girls in the group, almost in tears, notices they're heading straight for a dead end. She urges everyone to grab their weapons and get ready to fight off the infected. Su Xiao, while still shooting down more infected, asks Lucy where her weapon is. Lu, using a metal bar to fend off the undead, explains she gave her weapon to those 3 kids from earlier. Su, frustrated and angry, points out that they can barely protect themselves, yet she handed a weapon to strangers. A terrifying zombie suddenly lunges at Chai, leaving her shocked and scared. In a panic, she starts swinging her weapon wildly, yelling at it to back off. Meanwhile, another group member gets bitten on the shoulder and cries out for help. Still pleading for assistance, he drops his weapon because of the pain, and another zombie charges at him, looking ravenous. Chai stands there, frozen in shock, muttering, "No, no, no," over and over. Realizing she might end up like him, she starts screaming for help and drops her weapon too. Out of nowhere, a shot rings out from a distant gun, taking down the zombie that was about to bite Chai. The zombie drops to the ground, defeated. Chai, still in shock, lets out a relieved breath. She realizes that her saviors are the kids she had earlier dismissed, with Sui being the one who fired the shot. Right after, Luo Lanshan and Gao Fei start firing wildly at all the zombies in the area. Zombies are hit left and right, falling one by one under the relentless gunfire. Chai stands frozen, eyes wide, taking in the chaos around her. The main guy tells his friends to switch weapons since they're low on ammo, so they swap to knives. Tianqing goes at the zombies with his crowbar, taking them down. Gao Fei slices through the undead with his dual machetes. Meanwhile, Luo Lanshan uses her fists, throwing cross punches and an uppercut to take out the infected. Lin's group of teens just stands there, stunned and speechless. Time passes in G, and things seem to have settled down a bit. Sui's crowbar is smeared with tomato sauce, and he checks in with the girl to see if she's alright. She's still shaken but manages to thank him, her words coming out in a jumble. Luo Lanshan asks Yangbiao to smile, while Gao grumbles at the hamster, telling it to stop yelling at him. Our guy hands back the gun, saying he just came to return it. She won't take it though, and he insists he's got plenty more. Out of nowhere, this cocky kid with glasses shows up and snatches the gun right from Sui's grip. He questions Lucy, wondering why she's making a fuss when Sway is so eager to give the gun away. The same cocky kid invites our main guy to join their crew, but he turns it down, saying he's not into crowds. The kid whispers to Lu, suggesting she persuades Sway since he seems to like her, leaving her blushing. Xiang Biao just grunts at the whole scene. Sway looks at the hamster, puzzled, trying to figure out what's going on. To figure out what the animal is trying to say, Sway's face turns serious, and he asks the boy if he's been bitten. The boy with glasses is totally stunned, replying to Tian Cheng's question with confusion and disbelief. All the boy's friends are shocked as Sway presses him, and the boy insists he has no idea what the protagonist is talking about. Holding his dirty crowbar near the boy, Tian Cheng asks again if he's been bitten, and the boy quickly denies it. With a detective's eye, Sway notices something odd. He immediately tells the cocky boy to roll up his pants to prove he hasn't been bitten. The boy looks at his ankle, shocked, wondering how it happened. Our protagonist explains that the Ebola infection numbs the area, which is why the boy doesn't feel it. Suddenly, the boy points his gun at Sway's head, threatening to shoot, while Sway stays calm, offering to explain how the infection works. With a cold and ruthless tone, Sway questions the boy about why he's aiming the gun at them instead of himself to end it all. The boy with glasses, now in a complete panic after Tian Cheng's words, frantically yells that he's not going to die. As he screams about not dying, the boy fires the gun, but Sway and Lucy quickly duck to avoid the bullet. Realizing he missed, the boy bolts away. Lu wants to chase him, but Sway stops her, saying the guy's as good as dead already. Out of nowhere, Dao Fei mentions something's coming, and Tian Cheng, unfazed, says he already knows. Suddenly, a loud, desperate scream echoes through the area, grabbing everyone's attention. The boy with glasses is now a lifeless body, and someone is carrying him away. Sway Tian Cheng observes everything with his usual calm and calculating demeanor. The one carrying the boy is a second-stage infected, a creature Tian Cheng had a tough time dealing with before. Spotting the group of teens, the infected lets out a massive roar, like a lion claiming its territory. A bunch of teenagers sent to the factory freak out and start running when they see the monster. Sway, staying cool, tells Lucy and her group to go on ahead, and she asks about his group. Our main guy just says if they stick around, they'll only slow them down. One of Lucy's friends urges her to move quickly before things get worse. The girl grabs Lucy's hand and dashes off with her, yelling for them to hang tight while she calls for backup. Meanwhile, the second-stage infected watches everything and lets out another massive roar to scare the teens. Fed up with the noise, Sway lands a surprise, powerful kick on the enemy. The huge monster, covered in thick armor, goes flying, crashes to the ground, and slides back. Sway tells his two friends that it's an evolved infected, capable of calling in reinforcements and more. But with a sarcastic grin, our hero points out that all the nearby zombies are already taken care of, so its screaming is pointless. Tian Cheng lights a cigarette and says he's leading this fight to them since they've been training for ages. The two are caught off guard by this announcement, while the protagonist points out it's 2 against 1, no weapons allowed, and they better not lose. With energy and power radiating from them, the two friends confidently charge forward with their knives. They quickly leap together, aiming airborne attacks with their knives and swords at the infected. Meanwhile, an all-black car is racing through the city streets. The red-haired girl urges the old man, Li, to drive faster, and he insists he's already going as fast as he can, but suddenly, something seems to confuse him. Spotting a truck ahead, the girl tells Li that's their target, and he needs to stop the car. Lucy spots the black car and tells Yun to rescue them. The red-haired woman, Yun, asks her to explain slowly, but Lu insists there's no time and she'll explain on the way. As Yun speeds up and readies her firearms, she questions the strength of the 3 yes who took down a whole horde on their own. But Lucy explains that a monster suddenly appeared, and it takes 10 people just to keep it under control. Back at the action, we're at the factory where everything's going down. Yun, the redhead working for Lu leader Lin, is standing right outside the factory. The battalion leader tells everyone to stick to formation and follow her lead as they head in, and they all nod in agreement. She orders them to move out, and they sprint after her, rounding the corner to their destination. Lucy warns that once they turn this corner, they'll face the infected, and Young can't help but notice how eerily quiet it is. The girl is shocked, wondering if the worst has already happened, while the battalion leader tells them to listen for her 3-second countdown. Right then, they turn and aim their weapons down the street where the infected are. Yun's eyes widen in disbelief at what she sees. She spots the second-stage infected lying on the ground, severely injured and already taken down. Our protagonist casually holds a lit cigarette, adding smoke to the air. Meanwhile, Luo Lanxia is in a blissful state, savoring a pink lollipop. The two friends are crouched by the monster they just defeated, while another stands nearby with his arms crossed. Our hero starts critiquing their teamwork, pointing out it wasn't exactly top-notch. Zwe questions Gao Fei's decision to attack up close when he's usually a distance fighter. Gao admits he just wanted to feel more macho. Our hero lightly scolds Luo Lanxia, telling her not to match strength with a second-stage zombie. Feeling a mix of embarrassment and pride, she tries to explain that she just wanted to fight it on equal terms. Zwe isn't happy with how the fight went, reminding them that without his help, they might not have made it. Gao Fei spots some people approaching and warns Tian Cheng that they're not alone. Tian Cheng just takes a deep breath, drags on his cigarette, looking unfazed and with narrowed eyes. Yun's group shows up, weapons drawn, demanding to know who Zwe and his friends are. Our hero casually asks what they're staring at. Zwe is taken aback, recognizing Yun, who looks back at him with curiosity. Lucy steps in front of Yun, assuring her they're friendly. She stops Yun from acting impulsively, explaining that this young group saved her earlier. The battalion leader asks Tianqing how they managed to take down a whole horde and one of the big ones. Inside, Tianqing realizes she's talking about Yun. He calls her Hong Dai, and she notices the protagonist staring at her, expecting an explanation. Tianqing recalls that in his past life, Yun earned the title of the top assassin after taking out a major target, and even saved him once. Still pressing for answers, Swa tells her he mistook her for someone very special to him. Thinking our hero is flirting, Yun comments that he's clueless about how to flirt, which annoys Swa. Lucy suggests to Yun that he should invite Swa to their base since he's obviously strong. Yun invites the group to join her team, but Luo Lanxia gets annoyed when she calls them kids. Then she notices Yun's assets, and realizes the age difference. Luo Lanxia, feeling frustrated, starts mocking Yun about their melon-sized difference. Swa steps in to calm her down, keeping his friend in check. When someone asks if Yun's the boss around here, she clarifies that Lin Xing is the actual leader. Swa recognizes the name Lin Xing from his past life, remembering that Lin Xing had Hong Dai working for him, which made him stand out. Gao Fei starts piecing things together, and wonders if Lin Xing is the guy who cracked the red butterfly case. Swa is taken aback by Gao Fei's words and repeats the name, Red Butterfly, in disbelief. Gao Fei explains that it was the biggest serial killer case in G, where all the victims were rich and had butterfly drawings left by them. Swa asks if the killer was really that skilled, and Gao says Lin Xing was even more impressive, solving the case solo. Tianqing ponders over the details about the red butterfly and the cop involved. After mulling it over, he suddenly decides to take Yun up on her offer. Yun Hong Dai, caught off guard, asks if they're truly ready to join them. She asks why they changed their minds, but Swa Tianqing just tells her to lead the way without explaining. As evening falls, the sky is painted in shades of red and orange. A mysterious black car races through the streets of G. Inside, 3 men are stressed about the factory shutting down too fast. They can't return empty-handed, so they're brainstorming ways to gather resources for their boss. One of them suggests hitting up a convenience store. They park in front of the store, ready to grab supplies for their boss. The guy who seems to be in charge tells them to take only one weapon each, while he picks up a shotgun. They enter the deserted convenience store, with the leader taking the lead. He scans the empty place carefully. He tells his crew to follow him and grab whatever they can find. With his weapon ready, the leader looks around cautiously. He's on high alert for supplies until he hears a noise. Hearing a noise, he quickly aims his gun and warns that he'll shoot if whoever's there doesn't show themselves. A shaky figure emerges from behind the counter, hands up, pleading not to be shot, insisting they're just a regular person. The guy with the gun notices it's a stunning girl and suddenly seems intrigued. An older girl with glasses and purple hair, along with a younger girl also sporting purple hair, plead with him not to shoot. Meanwhile, at Lin Xing's Grand Oriental Temple under the night sky, a dinner is underway. It's a celebration, with everyone joyfully raising their glasses in a toast to friendship. Our main guy and his buddies are there, eating, drinking, and having a blast. Among them are some other men and Lin Xing himself, who apologizes for the limited food, but Zwa graciously thanks him anyway. Watching the leader, Zwa reflects on how Xing still leads a survivor base and protects Hong Dai. Smiling and sipping his drink, Zwa feels incredibly fortunate to have crossed paths with the Red Butterfly and the leader of this base. Xing tells Zwa that even though they're young, they're pretty impressive, and asks if they've trained before. Zwa casually mentions they trained solo just for fun. With a grin, Xing concludes that the three must be geniuses. Lu Si chimes in, saying Zwa and his crew took down a second-stage infected, proving they're seriously strong. The members of Xing's group are blown away, amazed that the trio managed to defeat the infected with just knives. Xing sincerely asks Zwa to stay at the base, hinting that he might even hand over leadership of the group to him someday. One guy, clearly annoyed, stands up and challenges Xing, reminding him of his promise to let him lead the team, not some outsider. Equally annoyed, Lin Xing tells the guy to sit down and mind his manners in front of their guests. The chubby guy argues that the team is crucial for the base's future and refuses to let outsiders, especially young ones, take charge. Luo Lansha, visibly angry, slams her hand on the table and demands the guy repeat that they're just kids. After the guy insists he won't be intimidated by a kid, Luo picks up a chair, ready to hurl it at him. Zui Tianxing, channeling her inner boss, shoots her a frosty glare and tells her to sit down. She sulks a bit but follows her leader's order. Gao Fei throws in a nasty remark about how angry girls end up with wrinkles. Irritated, one of Lin Xing's crew bangs his cup on the table to hush everyone and restore some peace. The guy gets up, tells leader Lin he's got something to handle, and heads out. Everyone else at the table follows suit and leaves with him. Feeling a bit awkward, leader Xing apologizes to Zui for his crew's behavior, but Tianxing brushes it off, saying he doesn't mind. Our main guy clarifies that he's not here to join Lin Xing's crew but to propose a deal. Hong Dai instructs Lucy to escort her friends outside since they've got business to handle. Leader Lin Xing asks Zui Tianxing what kind of deal he's looking to make. Zui, looking all serious and with a cigarette dangling from his lips, says he needs some gear, heavy weapons, ammo, and a sniper rifle. Xing points out that in this world, weapons are lifesavers. Zui nods, saying he's got something valuable to trade for them. Tianxing, with a sly grin, mentions he has medicine, which is just as precious as weapons. Yun jumps in, curious about what exactly they have. Responding to Hong Dai, he lists off antibiotics, flu meds, bandages, and alcohol. Yun Hong Dai is floored by this info, barely able to hide her shock or finish her sentence. Lin Xing, cold and calculating with a drink in hand, says the offer is tempting but he needs to talk it over with the others first. Meanwhile, his subordinates, still grumbling about their leader, complain that the group is just a bunch of kids and that the leader's acting weird. One of the subordinates asks his buddy if he knows what'll happen if the kids take charge of their team. Answering his own question, the guy explains there are 3 teams, one for the leader, one for Yun, and the third is theirs. One of the subordinates, upset about the idea of kids taking over, argues that they wouldn't even rank high in the group. Xing's guy, totally annoyed, insists he won't let newbies outrank him. The grumpy, chubby dude refuses to hand over his team's control to these kids. His fellow subordinate tells him to hush because they're arriving. They duck behind a wall, spying on the leader's chat with the newcomers. Leader Lin Xing praises his drinking skills and suggests they drink again, to which Sua politely agrees. Watching from afar, a subordinate starts resenting Tianqing, seeing him as a threat. Xing asks Yun to settle Sua and his friends in, as he has other matters to handle, and she complies. Xing quietly tells Yun to persuade them to stay, and she nods, getting the message. As Yun turns to lead them to their rooms, Gao Fei, being a creep, shows interest in her. She guides with Tianqing and his crew through the temple towards their rooms. Yun mentions that the place was built by royalty, so all the rooms are pretty similar. Lulu Lanxia is blown away by how huge the place is. Spotting the little girl about to grab a pricey vase, Yun warns her that Xing said these things are beyond valuable, and reminds her they can only stay one night. Yun Hongdai wishes them a restful night, and with Tianqing, feeling grateful, thanks her warmly. Meanwhile, Xing's crew is fuming with jealousy over the room they got. One of them grumbles that he lives in a shack compared to this. The big guy storms off, fed up, while the other thug tries to calm him down, reminding him they're guests of Lin Xing. The big guy barges in, trying to boot the group out, demanding they leave right away. But when he spots Yun Hongdai, she calmly asks why he's there. He awkwardly claims he just wanted to check on the guests. His friend watches the scene unfold, and remarks that it's going to be entertaining to see him get into trouble. The big guy confronts our protagonist, asking if he's with Tianqing, but Tianqing just stares back blankly. Extending his hand, the big guy introduces himself as Ali and says he's pleased to meet the newcomer. Tianqing gives him a once-over with disdain and questions if he really wants a handshake. Yun advises Ali against it, but Ali insists he's just being polite and friendly. With a malicious grin, the big guy boasts about his 170-kilo weight and threatens to crush So's hand. Soa just glares at him with hatred and disdain, staying silent. As Ali grips So's hand, claiming it's nice to meet him, it's obvious he's applying pressure. Yun Hongdai watches, annoyed by how Ali is treating Xing's guest. Laughing sadistically, the chubby guy starts squeezing harder to crush So's hand. Veins begin to pop in Ali's arm, but So remains unfazed. His hand is relaxed, no effort at all. He's sure he's about to crush Tianqing's hand. Ali is blown away by the young guy's strength, totally stunned. He's thinking to himself. Ali wonders why So isn't even fazed by his strength, and So just calmly tells the big guy to let go. Even more ticked off now, boiling with anger at So, Tianqing and the whole situation, Ali insists it's not over. He rips off his shirt, showing off his muscles, and challenges So to see how much he can take. With a cigarette casually hanging from his mouth, So, looking unfazed and sarcastic, remarks on Ali's impressive muscles. Even Xian Biao, the hamster, seems a bit impressed by Ali's muscles. Shocked, the big guy can't hide his surprise, realizing the kid's hand is like steel. Luo Lansha calls him Big Head, and asks if his name is really Ali. She reaches out her hand and introduces herself as Luo Lansha, saying it's nice to meet him. So starts chuckling quietly in the background, imagining the chaos that's about to unfold as they prepare to shake hands. In the background, Ali is tearing up because Luo Lansha's handshake is way too strong, calling her a little devil. Embarrassed, he starts crying, frustrated that he couldn't show off his strength. Yun Hongdai is about to say something, but Ali just bolts, saying he doesn't want to hear it. As Yun leaves the room, she calls out to Wei Dong, the other guy who is with Ali, and he asks what she needs. With a serious look, she warns him not to cause any trouble. Wei Dong tries to dodge the topic, acting clueless. She firmly tells him to behave around the newcomers. Furious and bitter, Wei Dong warns the kids to watch out. Meanwhile, Ali's friends are cracking up over his embarrassing situation. Suddenly, we see a bunch of shirtless guys practicing martial arts outside the temple. Wei Dong is training with Lu Si, and while pinning her down, he tells her to work on her reaction time, which is still too slow. Holding her arm in pain, she thanks Dong, who advises them to take a break. Right then, the trio of young friends shows up again, and Dong is already annoyed seeing them on the training field. Lu Si, on the other hand, is thrilled to see the trio and shouts out in excitement. The little girl asks Wei why he's there, but Yun jumps in, explaining that Wei is just showing him around and checking on how he's settling in. Yun Hongdai tries to persuade Tian Sun to stick around, mentioning that their leader appreciates talented folks who choose to stay. With a confident grin, our main guy suggests they should seriously think about his offer. The young crowd is pumped about Tian Sun's arrival, calling him a pro who saved them the previous day and took down the big guy. Hongdai notices Tian Sun's popularity with the group and, avoiding eye contact, admits it's a bit of a hassle. Some of the young folks ask Wei to teach them combat skills, claiming it would be better than learning from Wei Dong, who overhears and gets furious. Hearing this, Wei Dong, now fuming, orders the young ones to quit wasting time and get back to work. Dong, with a dark and menacing vibe, tells Tian Sun that this place is a labor camp, and outsiders aren't welcome. Lucy jumps in to defend his buddy, saying he saved everyone, but Dong isn't having it, saying he doesn't want any distractions. Yun tells Dong to chill out, calling him arrogant and rude. Lu Alisha dismisses him, saying nobody cares about his pathetic martial arts. Wei Dong is furious and demands to know if he heard her right. Zui Tianxin turns away, respecting Wei Dong's orders, accepting they're not welcome, while Luo throws some insults his way. Yun Hongdai chases after them, saying Dong overreacted, and Lucy tells Lu not to let it get to him. Tianxin pauses and suggests their meeting might be fate, so he offers some advice. With a serious and intense look, he warns that people like Wei Dong lead to the downfall of people like them. Yun, a bit taken aback by Zui's words, asks if he's talking about Wei Dong, and Zui confirms it. Dong is fuming with anger, unable to accept that Zui is getting special treatment, while he's just a veteran. With fists clenched in hatred, he hurls a string of insults at Zui Tianxin. Out of nowhere, a voice shatters the silence, calling for Zui and his crew to stop. Zui Tianxin, Gao Aofei, and Yun Hongdai spin around, startled by the sudden shout. Wei Dong starts taking off his shirt, challenging Zui Tianxin to a fight, leaving Zui looking at him like he's lost it. Now bare-chested, showing off his muscles, he declares that if Zui beats him, the training camp is his. Zui just gives him a sideways glance, totally unfazed by Wei Dong's challenge. Out of the blue, Tianxin says he's taking back what he said earlier, leaving Yun Hongdai puzzled. He adds that this kind of fool is bound to get himself killed. Dong, even angrier, demands he repeat it. Wei Dong, trying to figure out what he meant, winds up for a massive, powerful punch aimed right at Zui. You hear a loud thud in the training field, but the result of the hit is still a mystery. Out of nowhere, someone effortlessly stops Wei Dong's supercharged punch. Dong's eyes go wide as he stares, completely stunned by what's happening. Gao Aofei casually holds Wei Dong's fist like it's nothing, while Zui is turned away, not even flinching. Gao Aofei gives Wei Dong a chilling look and tells him that if he wants to challenge Zui, he has to get through him first. Dong quickly pulls his fist free from Gao's grip and throws a lightning-fast spinning kick. But before Dong's kick lands, Gao Aofei counters with a powerful, pinpoint kick that sends Dong flying. Yun Hongdai watches in awe, blown away by Gao Aofei's incredible strength and speed. The force of Gao's kick is so intense that smoke rises from his leg, and Dong ends up sprawled on the ground several meters away. Our protagonist, still facing away, gives his friend Gao a sideways glance and says it's time to call it quits and head out. Meanwhile, the muscular guy on the ground starts groaning and growling, trying to get back on his feet. After a while, Wei Dong starts griping to Leader Lin, insisting that the outsiders can't stick around their camp. Leader Lin, standing firm and authoritative, replies that they saved the group and aren't outsiders. Yelling at his boss, the guy argues that they can't just give him a team to lead for that reason alone. Looking at his subordinate, he tells him to quit hassling the newcomers, but the guy insists this time is different. Annoyed with his subordinate, Lin points out that the newcomers have skills, unlike Dong, and warns that if the Ali situation repeats, there'll be consequences. With his fists clenched, Dong insists his boss is wrong, but his boss cuts him off, telling him to stop talking. Frustrated with Leader Lin, Wei Dong grits his teeth and furrows his brow, feeling the sting of injustice. Feeling cornered and out of options, he reluctantly agrees with his boss, keeping his thoughts to himself. Word spreads like wildfire in Lin's temple that Wei Dong got a taste of his own medicine. People say he had it coming and should face the consequences of his actions. Sitting in the car, Wei Dong demands the door be opened for him, leaving the servants in disbelief. Lin's subordinate asks if Dong is heading out, and Dong snaps back that it's none of his concern. The subordinate just shrugs, saying it's not his problem, and tells Dong to go ahead, opening the gate for him. Wei Dong floors it, speeding down the road like there's no tomorrow, still fuming with anger. With eyes wide and teeth clenched, he vows revenge, saying those kids will pay for what they did. Time passes, and by nightfall, we find ourselves at a cozy spot in the woods, a cabin or maybe a kiosk. There, Zhua and Lin, now good buddies, are sharing drinks again. The leader compliments our guy, saying he's quite the drinker. The base leader, being upfront with our protagonist, expresses his desire for the boy to stay, as there's no one quite like him. He adds that if the boy ever wants to stay in the future, the option is open. Zhua, casually smoking, says he's not cut out for that kind of life and has a different suggestion in mind. Zhua advises the leader to leave G municipality and find a new place to settle. Lin agrees, saying he shares the same thought. He notes that G is a small place with limited resources and equipment. It's fine for now, but won't be enough down the line. Zhua Tianqing, always observant, remarks that Leader Lin is quite sharp. The leader then asks for Zhua's suggestion. With a calm yet intense gaze, Zhua Tianqing looks at Leader Lin, hinting at a bold idea. Reflecting on his past life, Zhua remembers that the leader eventually settled in Huabei, but not before suffering major losses. The boy believes he can help avoid that. After downing countless beers and having a heart-to-heart, Lin tells Zhua to just be straight with him and not hold back. Zhua brings up Huabei, saying it's got natural defenses with its rivers and mountains, plus it's the biggest city in China. The key thing is that Huabei has a major military presence, packed with weapons. Leader Lin is blown away by this info, his jaw practically hitting the floor. Pumped up, the leader grins and eagerly asks Zhua Tianqing to stick around with them. With a confident smile, our guy thanks him but says he's got other plans. Leader Lin is taken aback by this, feeling like his hopes just got dashed. He ends up a bit let down. Still, super grateful, Leader Lin Xingyi assures him he can always rely on his help in the future. In a casual chat, our main guy Zhua talks about his gear with Lin Xingyi. Lin mentions they're low on gear, with only 2 snipers, and Zhua gets the situation. Lin Xingyi offers Zhua a sniper for free if he helps with the task at a nearby hydroelectric plant. Gao Fei overhears and asks if Lin's talking about the plant near Ji. Our protagonist, puzzled, asks Gao Fei if Ji really has a hydroelectric plant. Leader Lin explains that Ji is dominated by 3 groups: Fat Ways, Old Walls, and the hydroelectric plant led by Long Tianqing. Scratching his head, finds it intriguing that a group controls a hydroelectric plant in Ji. Lin Xingyi notes that Brother Long is both eccentric and smart in his methods. Coldly, Zhua asks if Leader Lin wants them to take out Long, and Lin confirms it. Outraged, Lin Xingyi calls them maniacs, saying they do everything and fight well, so he needs Zhua's help. Zhua is all ears, soaking in the complexity of the situation. Tianqing turns to Gao, asking for his thoughts, and Gao immediately offers his help. Then he checks with Luo Lanxia, who also quickly agrees to the plan to take out Long at the hydro plant. As Lin starts to celebrate, Zhua Tianqing bluntly says he's not on board. Lin Xingyi is totally caught off guard by Zhua's unexpected response. Rising from the log, Zhua declares he won't risk everything for a few weapons and plans to leave the next morning. The trio turns and begins to walk away, leaving Lin Xingyi, the base leader, stunned by Zhua's refusal. With a more serious look, Lin is at a loss for words until he finally says his earlier offer still stands. Even though he turned them down, he tells Zhua that if he ever needs anything, Lin and the team have his back. Appreciative, Zhua Tianqing says he'll reach out if needed and thanks Leader Lin. Time goes by, and on a chilly, dark night, a fierce wind sweeps through the area. A bizarre-looking crew, decked out in punk gear and heavily armed, trails behind a leader sporting a red mohawk. Out of nowhere, chaos erupts inside the temple, with noise echoing everywhere. Worried sick, Leader Lin asks his crew what's going on. One of his guys rushes over, saying Brother Long brought his gang to take out Lin and his men. Leader Lin Xingyi is stunned, wondering how this is happening now. Perched on the old city wall where Lin's temple stands, Long's crew starts blasting away. One of Long's guys tells the others to move in and take the area. He approaches, asking the second brother how things are progressing. A guy in a red dress shirt, glasses, and slicked back hair shows up, asking if they can wrap this up in 30 minutes. One of his crew says it's tough to predict since they're putting up a fight, even though some got taken out in the first wave. A guy with glasses, clearly in charge, keeps a stern and icy stare on the scene unfolding in front of him. This boss tells everyone to push forward, take control, and claim the women and food for themselves. Everyone jumps to follow his orders. Just before dawn in Ji County, the assault on Lin Xingyi's base is still going strong. By a truck, Wei Dong chats with boss Long Ting, saying if they pull this off, Dong's in for a reward. Wei Dong, still nursing his injuries from a previous beating, thanks boss Long with genuine excitement for the opportunity. But then, Long wipes the smile off Dong's face by grabbing his collar, twisting it tightly in his fist. Staring right into Dong's eyes, Long asks what they'll do if the mission goes south, leaving Dong speechless and scared. Long reminds Dong that he said they'd be swapping positions by now and that the mission should have been a cakewalk for his crew. Terrified by Long's threat, Dong explains that the men belong to Lin Xing and that the first attack really messed them up. Out of nowhere, boss Long Ting slams Wei Dong to the ground, demanding results and wanting their men and gear. Long sizes up Wei and tells him he'll get a team to reinforce the southern gate, and Wei nods in agreement. Annoyed, with a vein popping and eyes wide, the boss demands to know why Wei hasn't started his task yet. Terrified, Wei Dong bolts off, shouting that he's on it right away. As Long lights a cigarette, his subordinate mentions that despite their edge, Lin Xing's crew is well prepared, making things tough. Puffing on his cigarette with a cool, calculating gaze, Long Ting reassures his subordinate not to stress. Standing by a heavy-duty truck with his hands in his pockets, Long says he's ready for this scenario. He adds that once they break through the old city's wall, they should keep it under wraps and claim he died. Suddenly, a bald, muscular guy goes wild, firing off rounds from his heavy weapon. Some of Long Ting's guys get knocked down by this big, burly dude. Hiding behind a tree, Wei Dong looks desperate, gritting his teeth, and says Li is unbelievably tough. Dong asks if anyone's got good aim and can take out Li. A guy with a rifle steps up. Li, this muscular bald guy, is just going wild, shooting like crazy and yelling. The rifle guy, taking cover behind a tree, starts aiming at Li. He steadies himself, peering through the scope, trying to get a clean shot at the shouting shooter. With a cold and precise move, he pulls the trigger and fires. Just before the bullet hits, Sui Tianqing jumps in and shoves Li aside, saving him. Li, eyes wide, is shocked by how close he came to getting hit, looking towards where the shot came from. The bullet smashes into the wall, leaving smoke and showing just how powerful it was. Frustrated by his missed shot, the guy grits his teeth in annoyance. Right away, Li, who just got saved by Tianqing, thanks him for stepping in and saving his life from what could have been a deadly hit. As Gao Fei gets his long-range weapon ready, our main guy confidently says he'll leave this one to him. Feeling good about the trust his friend has in him, Gao Fei gives a slight smile while setting up his rifle. Peering through the scope, Gao Fei locks onto another henchman and asks if he's really up for a showdown with him. Shocked by Gao Fei's presence with his sniper, Long's henchman feels intimidated and freezes up. In a matter of seconds, Gao Fei fires a precise and powerful shot that takes the henchman down. Long Ting's other guys wonder if their buddy is really out of the game and are soon shocked to realize he is. Out of nowhere, Luo Lanxia shows up and checks if Li's hand is alright. Seeing his friends there, Li feels a wave of relief. Sui tells Li that he and his crew will handle things here, so Li can go assist elsewhere. But the muscular dude isn't too happy about it and tries to argue with him. Gao Fei jumps in with a grin, assuring everyone that they've got this under control. Saying it's going to be an exciting night, Sui and Luo leap from their spot, heading straight for the henchmen. As soon as they hit the ground, where a bunch of Long's guys are hanging out, a brawl kicks off immediately. Meanwhile, leader Lin Xing is armed and ready, declaring they can't let the fort get overrun. One of his guys points out that the south gate is short on manpower, and insists they need to send reinforcements. Lin Xing turns to Yunhong Dai, asking if she can take down the boss, Long Ting. She confidently says no. Peering through binoculars at Long, she notes that he's way more cautious than she expected. Yun wonders why they don't ask Sui Tiancheng for help, but Lin insists they shouldn't drag their guests into this mess. With a fierce look, still blasting away with his heavy weapon, he declares this is their battle to win. Inside the truck, Long tells one of his guys to gather a team to put some pressure on them, and the guy jumps to it. The guy stops mid-route, yelling at the others to quit standing around and follow him. More henchmen show up at the red truck, complaining to boss Long Ting about burning through too much ammo. Long points out that Lin and his crew are way more skilled, asking if they really think they can take them down. His bald henchman scratches his head, struggling to come up with an answer that won't tick off the boss. The boss then reveals his plan to draw attention to the north gate, making it easier for their guys to sneak in from the south. Long gets annoyed when his subordinate calls him smart, reminding him that the mission isn't over and he shouldn't rush things. Suddenly, boss Long Ting turns around, his face as cold and calculating as ever. In the back of his red cargo truck, you can see several trembling, scared silhouettes. Out of nowhere, a gunshot rings out sharply across the battlefield. Yunhong Dai and Lin Xing start counting their bullets and realize they need to head to the south gate to help out. Out of the blue, Li shows up, firing his weapon wildly and yelling that he's here. Lin Xing is completely caught off guard and can't hide his relief when he sees Li. With a confident grin, Li remarks that he seems to have shown up just in time. Lin Xing asks his guy why he's at the north gate instead of the south, and he says he just came from there. With a confident grin, Li mentions that Sui Tiancheng and his crew are handling the south gate situation. Over at the south gate, Long's guys are underestimating the trio, but they can't deny how insanely strong they are. Suddenly, a precise shot rings out. Turns out, it's Luo Lansha who fired it, smiling as she takes down several of Long's men with her simple weapons. After a grenade goes off, Sui Tiancheng gets knocked back by the blast, but he's totally fine. He lands smoothly, using his left hand and leg strength to stay grounded. Our main guy glances back and spots a massive dude standing next to Long. The young man stares, confused and a bit scared, unsure of what Sui's next move will be. Sui sneaks behind the big guy, using him as a shield against the bullets, and starts firing back. The fallen man's twin brother loses it and charges at Sui, furious that his brother was used as a shield. Just as the brother charges at Tiancheng, a distant shot takes him out before he can do anything. Sui looks around, trying to spot who just saved him with that shot. He spots Gao Fei, perched on the wall with a caliber 56 rifle, giving him a thumbs up. Sui returns the gesture. Suddenly, something grabs Gao's attention, and he can't help but widen his eyes in surprise. He spots a man sprinting for his life and seems to recognize him. Gao yells to Sui that the guy running is Dong, the traitor who's now teamed up with Long Ting. Tiancheng is initially stunned but quickly orders Luo Lansha to capture Dong alive. She confirms she got the order. With a proud grin, our hero notices that Luo Lansha's speed has improved since her training. As he runs frantically, Wei Dong mutters that these people must be out of their minds. While fleeing, he thinks he can't afford to get caught, or he's done for. Out of nowhere, Luo Lansha jumps high into the air, overtaking Wei Dong in their chase. Wei Dong freezes in fear as Luo Lansha lands right in front of him. Completely shocked, Wei Dong can't help but curse at Luo Lansha in disbelief. Facing the traitor, Luo Lansha just gives a wicked, sadistic laugh, her eyes glinting with malice. Under the dim streetlight, Wei Dong starts whining and pleading for her to untie the rope around him. Luo Lansha tells him there's no way she's letting him go, and if it weren't for Sui, he'd be done for already. Glancing up at him, hanging from a street pole, she mentions that Sui is on his way to handle him. Suddenly, Tiancheng shows up and asks if everything's set, catching Luo Lansha off guard. Dao Fei arrives too, noticing how tightly Luo Lansha has tied Wei Dong up with the rope. Dao Fei shows up out of nowhere and notices Luo Lansha did a solid job tying him up. Sui mentions that it was Dong who brought Boss Long to the wall and explained the old city wall's defenses to him. With a completely different look, Tiancheng says he can't stand filthy traitors. The guy hanging there yells back, claiming he knows nothing and did a lot for this place before they showed up. He shouts to the young crowd that if he doesn't get what he deserves, either will the three of them. Luo Lansha and Gao Ao Fei mock him, calling him an idiot and laughing at his last words. Sui tells Luo to untie him, thinking Wei Dong might still be useful, but she gets annoyed, saying it was hard enough to tie him up there. Gao hugs her friend, and Sui tells her to quit messing around since they have more important things to handle. She agrees. Still tied to the pole, Wei Dong starts yelling at the girl to wait. Out of nowhere, with no warning, she cuts the rope holding Wei Dong. He hits the ground hard, like he's got no care in the world. The girl clutches the rope and hurls another insult at the filthy traitor. She starts dragging him along like a dog on a leash, announcing that Wei Dong is now their captive. Watching through binoculars, an observer notes how crazy these three kids are and decides he needs to report them to Boss Long Ting. Gao Fei's instincts kick in, sensing they're being watched even though his back is turned. He spins around fast, weapon ready, aiming right where the observer is hiding, ready to take him out. The observer, seeing this lightning-quick reaction through his binoculars, is frozen in shock. Out of nowhere, a sniper bullet whizzes by, just grazing his side and hitting the wall instead. The red-haired guy's thoughts race with relief, thankful the bullet only nicked him and he's still alive. The man with a stern face thinks to himself that these three are seriously terrifying. Luo, with a sparkle in her eyes, asks if he got knocked out. Gao replies that he dodged it, while Wei suggests they just drop it. Over at the ancient city walls, night has fallen, and it's darker than ever. Covered in dirt, exhausted, and injured, leader Lin Xing looks furious. Standing before him is leader Long Ting, spotless and untouched, with a cold, arrogant look. Long offers to spare Lin's life if he surrenders, but Lin immediately rejects the idea. From the top of the wall, Xing declares he has more men and weapons, making Long's task impossible. Long then proposes they build a base together. With a firm and resolute expression, Lin declares he will never submit to someone like Long. The muscular guy yells that the battle isn't over and they must keep fighting. With a superior, disdainful gaze, Long Ting mocks them, calling them fools. One of his subordinates tells him that Scar was sent to the Long and should be back soon. Long, with a cold demeanor, surveys the scene and insists they hold their ground, saying victory comes when the south gate falls. Sua, with a cigarette in hand, shows up and casually mentions they don't need to wait anymore since leader Long Ting is right there. Eyeing Long with a menacing look, our protagonist points out that all of Long's men are already taken care of. Long, in disbelief, makes a questioning sound, struggling to accept this news. Lin Xing is equally shocked, unable to hide his surprise at the trio's sudden appearance. Lin, with a firm gaze, tells the leader they've already secured the south gate. Sua, sounding irritated and rushed, pulls someone from behind the wall and orders them to come forward. Holding Wei Dong by a rope around his neck, he asks Lin if he recognizes the guy, who starts yelling frantically. Lin Xing is shocked but keeps it together, just widening his eyes at the scene. Long Ting stays quiet, just watching what Sua is up to. Wei Dong, all beat up and tied with a rope held by Sua, starts begging Lin Xing for help. Long Ting adjusts his glasses with his middle finger, and calls Wei Dong trash after seeing the whole mess. Yun Hong Dai, stunned, asks Sua Tianqing what's going on while Lin Xing stays silent. Lin Xing, clearly pissed with a furrowed brow, says it's obvious Wei Dong is behind all this. Facing the traitor Wei Dong, leader Lin demands to know if he spilled all their security secrets to Long Ting. Yun points a gun at the traitor's head, shouting how he dared to betray them, and Dong admits he messed up. Wei Dong then confesses he told Long Ting everything about their gear, men, and supplies. Yelling at his old boss, Lin Xing, he says once Long wipes them out, all the resources and women will be Long's men's. Wei is completely losing it, laughing like a maniac, and claims he's about to get the ultimate reward. But before he can wrap up his crazy speech, Wei Dong gets shot at close range and is done for. Yun Hong Dai is there with her boss, Lin Xing, along with their friends Luo Lansha and Gao Fei, are just standing there, totally shocked. Long Ting, with smoke still rising from his gun, casually remarks that Wei Dong was just too loud. Sua Tianqing, still reeling from what he witnessed, calls Long Ting a real lunatic. Long Ting tells Lin Xing he messed up by trusting Wei with power in the first place. He starts shouting at leader Lin, saying he should be grateful for getting rid of a traitor instead of looking so upset. Sua advises leader Lin that he probably has backup, so he should stay on guard, and Lin admits he got too caught up in the moment. Lin Xing tells Yun Hong Dai to round up the troops and search the camp, warning her not to let him down. She nods, saying she gets it. Lin Xing turns to Long Ting, pointing out that all his men at the south gate are gone, and wonders why Long hasn't pulled back yet. Long Ting, with a twisted grin, says he's got a backup plan, so retreating isn't on his agenda, even if the south gate attack flopped. He boasts that even if they charge straight in, they'll still smash through and seize control. Gao Fei asks his buddies if they're gearing up for a fight, but Tianqing calmly tells him to hold on since there are a lot of armed guys around. Gao, gripping his rifle, assures them that when the time comes, he's ready to shoot, bragging that his eyes are sharper than any scope. Long Ting yells, asking if Lin Xing plans to give up, but Lin firmly replies that surrender isn't an option. With a wicked grin, Long Ting warns Lin not to blame him later for making a bad call. He signals to his crew to bring something over. Suddenly, a bunch of people with bags over their heads are dragged in, and Long tells them to behave. Sua Tianqing just stands there, giving the whole scene a cold, dark stare. Out of nowhere, Long Ting yanks the cloth off one guy's head, revealing a beat-up middle-aged man. Lin Xing is shocked and demands to know what Long is up to. Lin spots the man and calls out to Old Mei, who responds by calling Lin Xing his leader. Acting all high and mighty, Long Ting reveals these are Lin Xing's old crew, plus some random civilians. Furious now, Lin Xing, the base leader, asks what boss Long is after. With another gesture, Long orders his guys to bring the rest of the hostages forward. As they pull the blindfold off another guy, he starts yelling at Long's men to let him go. Another injured guy emerges from under the cloth, shouting for leader Lin. A chubby, blonde guy gets the cloth yanked off his head and immediately starts calling out for Lin Xing. Another dude, equally confused, emerges from under the cloth, yelling about where they are and what's going on. Out of nowhere, Sua Tianqing is completely caught off guard, his eyes widening in shock. He spots the two sisters he helped earlier on his journey and wonders what they're doing here. Long Ting, adjusting his glasses with his middle finger, demands Lin Xing to give up right now. If Lin doesn't comply, all the hostages are toast. Hearing this from Long, Sua Tianqing and Lin Xing are both floored, consumed by a sudden, intense anger. They're both in total disbelief, struggling to contain their fury. The older sister, with her purple hair, cries out for Zwa. Her sister joins in, calling Zwa big brother. Both of them looking completely desperate. Inside, our main guy is puzzled about why the sisters are here, while Gao suggests Zua might have done something they're unaware of. Even Long Ting is taken aback, realizing they know Zua, and notes that bringing hostages turned out to be a smart move. Lin, who's in charge of the old city walls, is seriously pissed at Long, the hydroelectric boss, and calls him out for sinking so low. Long, with a bunch of hostages lying around, questions if Lin's really a good guy just because he set up a base with some rules. Ting, totally losing it, claims that in this world, having guns and men is what makes you right. Lin's guy, with his hand on old May's head, urges Lin not to give in. Out of nowhere, Long Ting shoots the old man, taking him out without a second thought. Lin Xing, seething with rage and gritting his teeth, vows to take Long Ting down. Long laughs right in Lin's face, mocking him for not being able to save his own and still trying to be a hero. Zua Tianqin, eyes wide in shock, suddenly remembers Long Ting from a past life. He recalls that Long Ting was the one opposing leader Lin. Seeing this, Gao asks his buddy if he just remembered something, demanding the base leader open the gates or he'll kill all the hostages. Sui remembers this guy is the infamous second Master Long. He recalls how they once unleashed a massive zombie horde on other bases and then had to go underground. Seeing the two sisters he saved before, now crying and begging for his help, Sui can't let them get hurt. He asks leader Lin to cover him, tells Gao Fei to gear up for a fight, and instructs Luo Lansha to stick with him. As he leaps from the balcony to launch his attack, Sui Tianqing is well aware of their large numbers. Leader Lin Qing is stunned, watching Sui's bold move from such a height, his jaw practically hitting the floor. Long Ting's men are in disbelief, watching Sui jump down, thinking there's no way he'll make it. Long Ting, intrigued and pumped by the scene, orders his men to capture Sui alive. One of Ting's super strong guys grabs a melee weapon, ready to slice Sui in half. Tianqing reacts fast, unleashing a powerful and unexpected palm strike. He smashes the guy's chin, shattering his teeth. The hit is so intense, it sends the big dude flying like he's made of paper. Watching this unfold, their boss, now clearly irritated, admits that dealing with Sui won't be a walk in the park. The red-haired guy with a scar tells his boss that things are looking pretty bad. When Scar returns and mentions they were searching for him, the boss asks about what went down on Wei Dong's side. While taking down several goons, Sui Tianqing tells Luo Lansha to stop fighting and focus on rescuing the hostages. Leader Ting is completely stunned, unable to believe the three of them took out his entire crew. Long Ting orders his men to fall back and make sure to bring the hostages. One of his henchmen, a real powerhouse, grabs a kid hostage. She tells him to let her go, but he just tells her to quit yelling. Using Luo Lansha, while showing off her knife skills, tells our hero that they're taking the hostages away. Sui yells out for Gao Fei. Out of nowhere, this big henchman holding a little girl with purple hair starts spinning and lets her go. Terrified, she cries out for her big sister Xiao Shui. Suddenly, two hands reach out and grab the little girl. It's Sui, who snatches her away from the henchman, and she feels relieved to be saved by her friend. Gao Fei, peering through his rifle scope, is frustrated and can't believe what he's seeing. He spots two of Long Ting's goons holding Xiao Shui hostage and trying to harm her. Gao realizes just how dangerous this place really is. Xiao Shui, the little girl's sister, mentions that Sui seems stronger now and asks Luo to look after her while he goes after the teacher. Tianqing, sprinting at full speed, tells Gao Fei to keep doing his job. One of Long's goons is ready to shoot the kid as soon as he gets the signal, but Ting tells him to hold his horses. Ting calls Sui special, leaving his henchmen puzzled about why the boss thinks so highly of him. Boss Long Ting is plotting something big and tells his crew to get moving. Our main guy sees the awful scene with teacher Luo and yells out for her. The teacher tells Sui not to worry about her and to focus on protecting his little sister. Enraged by the nasty situation, our hero lands a solid punch on one of the attackers. Out of nowhere, a bunch of Long Ting's guys start spraying bullets with their automatics. Sui's eyes go wide at the chaos, clearly caught off guard. He quickly starts dodging bullets, pulling off some slick acrobatics. After weaving through the gunfire, Sui lands smoothly and stays ready on the ground. Suddenly he spots one of Long Ting's trucks making a getaway, and it makes him furious. One of the goons warns his boss that sparing the boy might be risky, but Ting tells him to zip it. With a sly grin, Long Ting, the boss, drives off in his truck, confident that Sui will come after them. Bathed in moonlight and seething with anger, Sui Tianqing watches them leave, already plotting his revenge. Just outside the ancient city walls of Ji County, the morning breaks beautifully. Xiao Shui, the younger sister, sits on a small wooden bench, looking worried about something. She glances around nervously, and suddenly, Luo Lansha shows up with a smile and a tray of food, urging Xiao Shui to eat. The tray holds warm bread and a hot drink. Xiao Shui frowns, staying silent at first, clearly annoyed. Luo Lansha insists she needs to eat because she's weak, but Xiao Shui shakes her head, refusing. Luo acknowledges Xiao Shui's worry for her sister but reassures her they'll help, prompting Xiao to ask about Luo Lan. Xia, using a bit of persuasion, tells her she'll only take her to see Sui if she eats something first. Xiao Shui, in tears and throwing a fit, insists she doesn't want to eat and just wants to see her brother Sui. Out of nowhere, Tianqing appears and asks what's happening, and Xiao lights up at his arrival. Overjoyed to see her friend Sui, the little purple-haired girl runs to hug him, and our main guy mentions she should have gone looking for Gao. Then, Xiao shares that her sister, teacher Luo, knowing Sui's heart is already taken, decided not to pursue him. She adds that while they were scavenging for supplies at a convenience store, Long's goon showed up. Kneeling down to the little girl, our protagonist asks if she trusts what he's saying, and she nods, saying she does. He gently pats her head, encouraging her to eat and promising he'll find her sister for sure. Sui tells Luo Lanxia to join him in rescuing the others and leave Xiao Shui to be looked after. Luo decides to wait until the little girl eats. Sui tells them he'll hang out in the car for a bit. Luo Lanxia watches Sui head out, then shifts her gaze to Xiao Shui. As soon as Luo turns around, she spots the little girl angrily munching on the food she brought, clearly forcing herself. Luo Lanxia grins, feeling a bit smug for getting the girl to eat. Luo teases the little girl, asking if she's throwing a fit on purpose, and Xiao looks genuinely puzzled. With a sly tone, Luo wonders if being so clingy will make Sui save her sister, and Xiao admits it won't. Luo, working her charm, assures the girl she won't spill the beans to Tianqin. Xiao stays quiet, but her face screams frustration and anger. Trying to calm things down, Luo Lanxia promises they'll get her sister back and admits Sui's a bit of a softie. Xiao Shui, wanting to make her point, asks Luo if Sui went there to rescue her. Right then, Xiao, looking a bit envious, asks if Luo Lanxia is the woman Sui went to save at school. Luo denies it. With a curious expression, Luo asks if Xiao is jealous, but Xiao insists she's not. Luo Lanxia teases Xiao Shui, asking if she has a crush on Sui Tianqin, and Xiao quickly dismisses the idea. Finally, Luo stops teasing and tells Xiao the truth. Sui is still hung up on the girl he loves. Xiao Shui is left speechless, trying to process the news about Sui Tianqin's girlfriend. As Luo Lanxia turns to leave, she reassures Xiao that they'll bring her sister back soon. Just before Luo leaves, the purple-haired girl calls out to her. Luo turns around and asks what's up. Blushing, Xiao Shui thanks Luo Lanxia, even though her pride makes it hard. Luo lets out a relieved sigh and playfully calls Xiao a brat. Suddenly, we see a weapon being wrapped up. Inside the car, Sui readies his crowbar, wrapping it up, while Gao asks Luo about Xiao, and she says the girl's doing fine. Gao asks Luo if they stand a chance, and Luo explains that Long's crew is tough, so they'll need more people to take them down. When Luo Lanxia asks about their next move, our hero suggests they just hang tight. Gao Aofei is shocked and asks why they need to wait. Luo is just as surprised as Gao and repeats the question about waiting. They suddenly spot a silver car zooming down the road. Luo wonders if that's leader Lin's car behind them, and Gao questions their presence. Gao and Luo are puzzled about Lin's actions, but Sui says Lin Xing is smart and knows what he's doing. Out of nowhere, they slam the brakes in the middle of the road, and Lin does the same. In a calm and calculating voice, our protagonist notes that he's arrived. Lin's crew comments that it seems like Sui was expecting them and is destined for greatness. As he digs through his trunk, leader Lin mentions that their brothers will help them sooner, but they don't have much to offer in return. He pulls out a top-notch sniper from the trunk, saying they need the right weapon for the job. Gao is thrilled with the gear. While Gao is busy admiring the new weapon, Lin and Li decide to express their gratitude to Sui for saving them during Long Ting's attack. Leader Lin introduces them to Ali, calling him his best shooter. The tall, muscular guy greets his new teammates. Next, he introduces Yunhong Dai, mentioning she's the most skilled among them. She says she'll help them infiltrate Long's base. Lin Xing mentions they can't bring too many people on the mission. Sui asks if he wants them to rescue more people. With a serious and icy look, Leader Lin confirms that he does want more people rescued. Sui Tianqin tells Gao Fei to return the weapon to Leader Lin, saying they're not done yet. Turning back to Gao, he insists the boy give the sniper back to Lin Xing. The whole group watches, confused and shocked, trying to figure out what Sui is up to. Reluctantly, Gao hands the sniper back to Lin, who then asks Sui what's going on. Sui, totally confident in his plan, insists that 3 people are enough. He doesn't want to owe Lin anything, so he asks him to stay out of it. Lin and Ali protest, saying Sui's got it wrong and they're just trying to help. But Sui sticks to his guns, deciding it'll just be the 3 of them. Sui tells Lin that if he really trusts him, he should bring in all the elite from the base. Xing is puzzled and asks what he means by that. Tianqin, with a chilling demeanor, declares they're going to eliminate them once and for all. Lin Xing is so shocked by this that he's left standing there, mouth agape. As dusk settles in, we catch a glimpse of Long Ting's hydroelectric plant. 2 people wonder why the mission flopped, especially with the traitor on their side. A subordinate explains that Long decided to pull back. Fatty, who's third in command, suggests that if number 2 can't handle the pressure, he should step down because Fatty thinks he's better suited for the role. Old Man, who goes by the number 2, tells Fatty to back off and let him deal with his own stuff. Muscular, a guy dressed in a feminine style, tells Old Man to just admit defeat and stop acting like a loser. Old Man stares Muscular down, daring him to fight if he's got the guts. Muscular shoots back that he's not scared of him. Suddenly, Long Ting appears on a digital screen in front of them, telling everyone to quiet down and take a seat. As soon as they spot Boss Long Ting, the 3 bow and quickly sit as instructed. They immediately stop bickering and sit facing each other, ready to listen to their boss. Long Ting mentions they've lost a ton of ammo and about 30 elite guys, so he's decided to take out Wei Dong himself. He asks if anyone's got a problem with that. The 3 assure him they never disagree with Long thanks them and tells everyone to clear the room, except for Old Man, who needs to stay. Everyone else leaves, and Old Man remains seated to hear what Long Ting has to say. Fatty, totally fed up, grumbles that this was a complete waste of time. The muscular guy tells him to pipe down because they're being watched. Meanwhile, the old man tells Long that this plan is doomed to fail because it won't make anyone happy. Long Ting reassures him that Fatty and the muscular guy aren't reckless, and won't do anything against their boss. With a twisted grin, Boss Long tells the old man he knows exactly what needs to be done. The old man jumps up, ready to act immediately, but Long tells him there's more they need to discuss. Long mentions that Lin Xing and his crew, along with the skilled fighter Saw, are coming tonight. The old man notes how fast they are and worries that their defenses aren't ready. Ting calmly tells his subordinate not to freak out, assuring him there's a plan and that the old man just needs to follow his lead. With a wicked smile, Long Ting declares that this is going to be fantastic. Switching the camera view, he shows teacher Luo, Zhao's sister, tied up and unconscious. A man nearby mentions she'll wake up soon. So Long's like, "Awesome, let's get started." And he's all set to go. This oddball scientist nods, saying he gets what the boss wants. Slowly, teacher Luo starts to come around, her eyes fluttering open. She's hanging by her wrists, confused and trying to figure out where she is. She starts yelling to be let go, stuck in this empty room with just the TV on. Her hands are shaking from the tight ropes, and she keeps pleading for someone to untie her. Long's voice comes through the TV, saying now that she's awake, they can kick things off. Her bindings suddenly loosen from the ceiling. Out of nowhere, she drops to the floor, landing on her butt. It's a bit painful, but she's okay. She gets up, grumbling about the ache, and turns to the TV to figure out what's going on. Long Ting pops up on the screen, asking if she remembers him. She does and wants to know what he's after. He mentions he's not too interested in her, but the boy seems to care a lot. Luo tells him the boy's name is Zhu Tianqin. Long feels relieved to know the boy's name and asks if they're close. Luo, annoyed, refuses to answer. Long Ting, pointing a gun at a hostage, claims that saving a life is worth answering his questions. Frustrated, she tells him to confront her directly instead of dragging innocent people into his twisted games. Keeping the gun aimed at the hostage, he tells teacher Luo that he'll not only involve innocents, but also use them as leverage to blackmail her, then lets out a sinister laugh. Still frustrated with Long Ting, teacher Luo demands to know what he wants from her. With a crazed tone, Long says he loves seeing the faces of good people when they're being blackmailed. He claims to know their weaknesses but can't grasp why they sacrifice themselves for each other. Switching to the room with the hostages, he mentions there are 3 buckets there and he can hit a button to activate them. Teacher Luo is completely overwhelmed and shouts that Long Ting is a total maniac. He thanks her, taking it as a compliment, and asks if she can answer his question. She wonders what he wants to know. Smiling, he asks how Zhu Tianqin got his superpowers. Teacher Luo is stunned, having no idea these supposed powers even existed. Shocked, she questions Long about these superpowers he thinks Zhu has. Ting then says Zhu wiped out his entire group with just 3 people, which seems superhuman to him. She insists he's just a regular guy, but Long argues that, to him, that's anything but normal. Drawing her own conclusions, she wonders if leader Long Ting is after Zhu Tianqin's superpowers. Long agrees, insisting she's right, while she keeps denying any knowledge of superpowers, convinced Zhu won't fall for his tricks. With a cold demeanor, Long Ting points out that everyone has a weakness, and for Zhu, that weakness is teacher Luo herself. He brings up how Zhu Tianqin once took a bullet for her, implying he'll come back to save her again, which makes Luo furious. With a sadistic laugh, Long Ting realizes Luo doesn't know the truth about Zhu's powers and starts plotting something new. A door swings open next to her, and he tells her that if she can escape his maze, she'll earn a big reward. If not, she'll face punishment. Shocked, teacher Luo Xiaoyu glances at the newly opened door, feeling utterly confused. As sinister as ever, leader Long declares that her previous answer wasn't satisfactory, so he decides to punish Luo Xiaoyu. He slams a small red button, triggering some internal mechanism in the room she's in. The teacher's eyes widen in terror as she screams, realizing what's about to go down. Barrels filled with some flammable liquid crash to the floor, spilling everywhere. The hostages, looking rough and dirty, watch in shock as the liquid spreads all around them. Suddenly, they start screaming, and it seems like some of them didn't make it after that button got pressed. Luo Xiaoyu, lying on the ground, desperately pleads with Long Ting to stop, while the leader tells her to cut herself free with a knife. He throws a hint at the teacher, warning that if he's not impressed with her actions, he'll show her something even crazier. He orders her to hurry up and not make him unhappy. Still shaken by what she's seen, teacher Luo Xiaoyu says she's going and begins to get up. Meanwhile, Yunhong, Gao Fei, Zhua, and Luo Lan Xia are checking out the 2 exits of the hydroelectric plant. Tianqin spots that the mountain exits are swarming with guards, and if they show up, it's game over for them. Our guy suggests sneaking in from the top since it's dark, and the guards probably won't notice a thing. They ask Zhua what happens if they open the dam's gate. He says it would flood the whole area, and Lan wouldn't dare do something that wild. Over Yun's piece, leader Lin confirms was right. They hadn't hit Lan's base earlier because they were worried he'd flood the place. Frustrated, Yunhong Dai tells leader Lin to keep it down, and he snaps back that she can just lower her earpiece volume. Leader Lin points out a red door leading to the control panel. Zhua tells Fei to guard it and shoot anyone who tries to get in. Yun asks Lin and Ali to create a distraction, so they can slip into the hydroelectric plant unnoticed. Zhu Tianqin says he'll let Yunhong Dai take the lead, and she gives him a thumbs up to confirm. Our main guy reminds the crew that their top goal is to save the hostages and make the bad guys waste their ammo. When Zhu gives the go-ahead, the whole team gears up to storm the hydroelectric plant and rescue the hostages. Meanwhile, Long Ting's scientist buddy tells him they've spotted Lin Xing's car parked outside the hydro plant. Acting like he saw it coming, Long asks if everything's set, and his scientist confirms it is. With a wicked grin, Long Ting says he's finally got something entertaining to watch. In the forest, Long Ting's armed goons are on guard when Lin Xing's crew sneaks up from the bushes. Lin Xing locks eyes with his trusty sidekick, Ali, and they exchange a thumbs up, signaling it's time to hit the hydro plant. They grab their heavy-duty guns and unleash a storm of bullets. Long Ting's guys realize they're under attack, shouting warnings as many of them get hit and go down. One of Lin Xing's guys spots a talking monkey and can't believe his eyes. They rappel down, yelling that they're in position, and tell the henchmen to fall back and draw them into the forest. They come across a gray wall covered in graffiti, including a sketch of Long Ting, signaling they've hit their target. Spotting the word welcome in the graffiti, Zhou realizes they're expected, which annoys Luo with the taunt. Without missing a beat, Zhou Tianqing delivers a powerful kick, effortlessly smashing through the hydroelectric plant's door. The door bursts open, revealing several flights of stairs. Boldly, Tianqing leads his friends inside. Yunhong Dai follows closely, her face set in a serious and cautious look. She's careful to stay quiet, keeping a sharp eye on everything around her. But then, she steps on something that makes a noise louder than intended. Scanning the area ahead, they see it's vast and painted in a boring white. Zhou Tianqing takes charge with his crowbar, while Yunhong and Luo Lanxia stick close behind him. As they navigate the labyrinth inside Long Ting's hydroelectric plant, they hear his voice echoing through the loudspeakers, announcing he was expecting them. With a creepy grin, Long tells them that now that Zhu's here, it's time for a simple game. Zhou spots him on a monitor right in front of him. He aims his weapon at the screen, warning Long that if he doesn't free the hostages, he's done for. The base leader, puzzled, asks if Zhou was really threatening him, thinking Zhou hasn't grasped the situation yet. Out of nowhere, there's a massive crash as the wall crumbles to pieces. In a burst of rage, Zhou Tianqing, looking intense, smashes the wall with his crowbar, showing off his insane strength. Long Ting, with a wicked grin, says this is just perfect. The elevator panel lights up, showing they've hit the 3rd floor of the plant. Yunhong Dai mentions the control room is on the southwest side, and they'll need to pass through 3 blocks. Zhou gives a nod. Long Ting's voice booms through the speakers again, claiming he's been nothing but polite to our main guy, while Zhou thinks he's just being annoyingly persistent. The leader keeps going, accusing Tianqing of being rude and not even bothering to hear him out. Zhou, fed up, fires his simple gun at the loudspeaker, calling Long Ting a noisy nuisance. Furious, the hydroelectric plant leader is absolutely livid at what our hero just did. The 3 protagonists stand there, looking down with puzzled and confused faces as they try to make sense of the scene unfolding before them. Spotting Xiang Biao, Luo Lan's hamster, on the floor, our main guy asks why she brought him along. She replies that she thought he might come in handy. Outside the hydroelectric plant, a loud noise reverberates, catching the attention of everyone nearby. Zhou Tianqing and the girls in his group are startled by the noise and quickly glance up in its direction. As Xiang Biao squeaks, Luo Lanxia's eyes widen, noticing something odd in the air. A voice urges Long Ting to quit stalling and take action, and suddenly, he admits he's feeling unhappy. In a dark and grim tone, he orders the first cell to be opened, leaving his scientist subordinate shocked. Without his glasses, his eyes filled with hatred and madness, he insists his orders must be followed. Terrified by Long Ting's words, the mad scientist quickly agrees to open the cell. Luo Lanxia chases after her hamster, Xiang Biao, while Yunhong Dai shouts for her to stop and come back. As she runs, Luo Lanxia senses something strange in the air, a heaviness pressing on her chest, and her eyes widen. She wonders aloud why there are so many zombies around, leaving Yunhong Dai puzzled. Zhou Tianqing closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and feels uneasy about the situation. Activating his precise detection mode, he senses a horde of zombies nearby. He announces that they are surrounded. He shouts that the girls aren't used to fighting in the dark and tells them to head back to the elevator. Yun then questions Zhou. Tianqing, using his bare hands, pries open the elevator doors and suggests the group should split up. With his incredible strength, he starts forcing the elevator doors open using just his fingertips. He channels all his power into his hands, applying massive pressure to quickly pry the doors apart. Focusing all his superhuman strength, he makes an extraordinary effort to open the elevator doors with his bare hands. Zhou Tianqing tells the girls to stop hesitating and get into the elevator he just opened for them. Luo Lanxia insists that Yunhong Dai follow Tianqing's orders, and she agrees, stepping into the elevator with her friend. Luo Lanxia helps Yun climb up the shaft above the elevator, pushing her legs to make the climb easier. Holding a crowbar and with his eyes closed, Zhou thinks about how he hasn't had a chance to train recently. He jumps over the massive zombie horde, ready to unleash a powerful blow with his crowbar. The mad scientist, working under Long Ting, shows up and mentions that Zhou has reached the 3rd floor alone. The leader already knows this. In disbelief, he points at the screen, noticing our hero taking out zombies with his eyes shut. Long comments that this guy is definitely not normal. The scientist insists they can't let him reach their room because they can't handle him, and Long Ting says he needs the guy's powers. The leader of the hydroelectric plant orders his subordinate to release a new wave of zombies every 2 minutes until the guy can't handle it anymore. He checks in with Old Man, asking how things are going on his side since Cell 1 is almost ready. Old Man says he's nearly done. He mentions they've located Fatty, the 3rd in command, and gets a radio message to hurry up because the leader needs access to the 2nd cell. Old Man, the 2nd in command at Long Ting's hydroelectric base, nods knowingly while clutching the radio. He asks Long's other guys where Fatty is because he needs a word with him. They tell him Fatty's inside. Frustrated, the 2nd brother curses Fatty for fooling around with women when the base is under attack. The other subordinates shrug it off, saying there's nothing they can do about the 3rd brother's antics. Suddenly, Old Man, the number 2, pulls out 2 pistols, and his face turns dark and serious. He aims the gun at the two henchmen, who look puzzled and ask what he's up to. Meanwhile, we spot some contraceptives on a bed, some used, some not. Fatty, the third in command, is having a good time with some curvy women while chaos reigns outside. Old Man walks in and comments on Fatty's boundless energy. Irritated, Fatty snaps back, asking if Old Man can't see he's still busy with the woman. The old man points his gun at Fatty and quips that dying in a lady's arms isn't such a bad way to go. Fatty, who's number 3, glances over and his eyes go wide as he realizes the grim fate awaiting him. A sharp sound rings out, and just like that, the old man takes Fatty down with one shot. Clutching a USB drive, he declares that this is what he was after all along. He radios his boss, Long Ting, to report that Fatty's been dealt with, earning a congrats and an order to head back. Over the radio, after taking out Fatty and the others, he tells Long Ting he's on his way back. Meanwhile, up on the 3rd floor, Shang Biao is trying to chat with Sui Tianqing. With a cigarette hanging from his lips, feeling pretty chill, our guy asks Shang Biao what he's getting at. Luo Lanchu's hamster makes some weird noises again, and Sui comments on how gutsy it is to be here. In a bold move, Shang Biao snatches Sui Tianqing's weapon and bolts with it. Annoyed by the little creature, our hero curses his buddy Luo Lanchu's hamster. Taking a drag from his cigarette, Sui figures Long Ting is trying to wear him down. Sitting cross-legged among a sea of defeated zombies, Sui declares he wants to see who's really running out of steam. Tianqing spots a stunning red motorcycle and gets excited, thinking he's found the smiling. Feeling relieved and lucky to have stumbled upon it, Sui Tianqing finds the motorcycle's presence intriguing. Our survivor trudges heavily down the corridor toward the hamster, picking up the pace as he turns the corner. Tianqing starts calling out, trying to figure out where he is. Right in front of him, he spots the hamster looking lazy, with its weapon tossed on the ground. Crouching in front of Luo Lanchu's pet, our protagonist tells Shang Biao this isn't the time for messing around. Shang Biao, his friend's pet hamster, is waving and making noise, trying to get Sui's attention. Tianqing is struggling to understand what the little guy is trying to say, but he's making an effort to figure it out. Time passes, and suddenly the motorcycle's headlights flick on, illuminating the whole corridor ahead. Thick smoke pours out from the red motorcycle's exhaust, filling the air around it. Right after Sui Tianqing fires up the motorcycle, he speeds down the corridor on his red bike. With his eyes shut, our guy seems to be using his precise detection mode to spot the infected more clearly. A swarm of zombies shows up in front of him, all hungry and growling for human flesh. As he speeds up, Sui Tianqing curses from his motorcycle, mowing down and attacking the zombies with his weapon. Watching all this through the cameras, leader Long Ting starts to panic seeing Sui on his red motorcycle, and the scientist tries to calm him down. The mad scientist tries to keep his boss upbeat, pointing out that the woman is nearly at stage 2, which is a positive sign. Meanwhile, Sui Tianqing is on his red motorcycle, mowing down zombies with his crowbar, taking them out one by one. He speeds up and encounters a horde of zombies, his headlights momentarily blinding them. He lets out a sigh, feeling tired and bored because these infected are way too easy for him to handle. Leader Long Ting suddenly shifts to a dark, villainous vibe, saying this is excellent information. At the same time, teacher Luo Xiaoyu finds herself facing a deadly spike trap. She's still standing, but you can tell she's exhausted and hurt, with torn clothes and heavy, labored breathing. Just as she complains about how tiring this mission is, Leader Long Ting mentions it's only the first stage, with more challenges ahead. She yells at the base leader, telling him to do whatever he wants instead of making her play these pointless games. He insists they have a purpose, and as he rambles about his so-called brilliant games, he decides to show her firsthand. Suddenly, the floor beneath her gives way like a trapdoor. Her eyes widen in shock as she screams, realizing she's plummeting down. She lands in a tight, claustrophobic space with narrow walls lined with spikes. Teacher Luo Xiaoyu starts moving faster, taking hurried steps, completely out of breath and desperate. Her skirt is in tatters from the trials she's faced in this maze. The back of her clothes is shredded too, thanks to the spikes and other torturous obstacles she's had to overcome. Gasping for air, Teacher Luo scans her surroundings for an exit, but it seems hopeless. Above her, a massive cage starts descending rapidly, chained to trap her. She has no way to dodge and avoid being caught. Teacher Luo Xiaoyu falls to the ground, and Leader Long Ting approaches her with a mix of good and bad news, asking which she wants first. Still on the floor, feeling intense pain and clenching her teeth, the teacher closes her eyes. Struggling to rise, she grips the cage bars and tells him she doesn't care to hear either. Long decides he'll choose for her. With a big grin, Long Ting announces that the good news is Tianqing came to rescue her. Luo Xiaoyu retorts that even if Long Ting figures out the secret to her powers, it won't make him strong because he's inherently weak. Feeling insulted, Long snaps back, saying she has no right to belittle him, and that he despises people like her who never truly listen. Covering her ears defiantly, Luo Xiaoyu taunts Long Ting, claiming she's ignoring everything he's saying. Leader Long is totally taken aback by her gutsy comeback, his eyes wide and mouth hanging open in disbelief at her insult. Just as teacher Luo Xiaoyu starts calling out for Zhui Tianqing, Leader Long interrupts, saying he's got one last piece of news for her. With a twisted grin and a nasty look, Long Ting announces that everyone who came to save her is about to be wiped out. The teacher fires back at Long, saying he's the one who's actually going to be taken down. This hits the guy right in his pride, leaving him fuming and seriously ticked off. Luo Xiaoyu shouts at the villain, calling him so weak that he can't even take on Zhui without resorting to blackmail. Suspended from the ceiling are cages filled with innocent hostages, while below, A swarm of ravenous infected ones waits. Longting yells at the teacher, taunting her about how long she'll last and boasting that he's about to reveal his greatest creation. Suddenly, a bunch of powerful lights flick on from the ceiling. The lights are blinding, like spotlights aimed at the cages and the ground. Teacher Luo Xiuyu shields her eyes from the glare. The brightness is so intense that she struggles to open her eyes, gritting her teeth as she covers her face. With sheer determination, she forces her eyes open despite the overwhelming light. Her eyes go wide, and her mouth drops open in shock at the scene unfolding before her. Frozen in disbelief, she can't process what she's seeing. Boss Longting is over the moon with his handiwork and tells the teacher to take it all in. Over the loudspeaker, Boss Long invites her to enjoy the special game he's set up just for her. Teacher Luo Xiaoyu yells at Ting, demanding to know what he wants. He tells her to quit interrupting while he explains. He asks if she knows his favorite shows, then answers himself, quiz shows. In a dark and twisted way, he warns her that each question will seal her fate, and one wrong answer could cost her everything. He asks if the teacher finds this thrilling, and she calls Longting a lunatic. With a wicked grin, the boss thanks her for the compliment, adding that she has no choice but to play his game. Longting explains there are 20 questions. If she nails them all, the hostages walk free. But if she slips up even once, their fate is up to his mood. Inside the cage, a frustrated chubby civilian shouts, questioning what kind of rules Long is setting. Another innocent, also on the heavier side, wonders aloud about the point of these deadly games Longting is running. Over the loudspeaker, Chief Ting announces that Professor Luo must answer all the questions, and she asks what kind of questions they are. With a cheerful and friendly demeanor, the chief of the hydroelectric plant starts with the first question. Does Professor Luo like oranges? Professor Luo Xiaoyu is totally stunned, mouth open and eyes wide, struggling to process this absurd question. The irritated blonde guy questions what kind of question this is and who decides if the answer is right or wrong. Chief Longting, losing his patience, yells at the professor to hurry up and answer, making her feel super pressured. She wonders if this is some kind of prank or bad joke, while Longting starts a countdown. Looking down, terrified and in denial, the professor is clueless about how to respond as the clock ticks down. Mustering some courage, she decides to just go for it and answer as the countdown hits 1. In a panicked rush, she blurts out that she likes oranges. Chief Longting seems satisfied with her answer, casually mentioning that he also enjoys eating oranges. Professor Luo Xiaoyu breathes a sigh of relief, feeling a bit less desperate. But then, she's blindsided when Longting declares her answer wrong and says she failed the very first question. The chief's voice booms, declaring the answer was no, and the hostages in the cages start cursing Longting. They're furious. Out of nowhere, an axe crashes onto the cage of a blonde, chubby guy. He screams, totally freaked out. Chief Longting yells that the guy got lucky and won some kind of twisted prize. Wishing him luck and telling him to survive, the axe opens the cage, sending the chubby guy plummeting down, screaming his head off. He crashes onto his back, groaning in pain and panic as he spots a horde of undead closing in. The infected swarm him instantly, and despite his desperate screams for help, he can't fight them off. Chief Longting tells Professor Luo Xiaoyu that the hostage's fate is in her hands, and she looks both annoyed and disturbed by this. With a villainous grin, he admits he's a bad guy and says there's nothing he can do to change that. Long's right-hand man, the mad scientist, mentions some new developments, and Ting wants the details. The scientist shows Long a screen where 2 girls are escaping to the 2nd floor, prompting Long to order the guards to spring into action. Following orders, the mad scientist rushes off to alert the guards, while another subordinate enters, announcing everything is set. He hands Chief Longting a tiny pen drive. With a wicked grin, the unhinged chief celebrates, claiming there's now no chance for the invaders to win. Meanwhile, night continues to fall over Longting's hydroelectric plant. We see Luo Lanxia and Yuhong Dai, who asks the young girl if there are many people on the building's 2nd floor. The girl quickly and alertly responds that there are 10 armed people, and Yuhong Dai wonders if Luo Lanxia is strong enough to take them on. Luo Lanxia admits it would be tough and that being closer to evolving would make it easier. Yuhong Dai suddenly has an idea and, with her hand on her chin, starts to flesh out her plan. Chief Longting's 10 subordinates are on high alert, armed and ready to take down anyone who dares invade the hydroelectric plant. One of them, who's got a short fuse, snaps at another to quit slacking and stay sharp. The other jokes that he needs a woman to keep him focused. Just then, something outside catches his eye, and he starts staring, trying to figure out what's up. Beside him, another guy stands up, equally curious and wondering if it might be zombies causing the commotion. Suddenly, they're both shocked and thrilled to see the noise was actually from a stunning, mysterious woman showing up. Instantly, they're smitten and can't help but get all excited over this young woman who just appeared. They start questioning if she's just a kid or not, and we realize it's Luo Lanxia, who's putting on quite the show. Luo spins a tale about her parents being bitten by zombies, leaving her all alone, and she pleads for help from Long's men. Zhe Tianqing calls up Chief Linxing, checking in on his situation, and mentions that the enemies are putting up a tough fight. As Chief Linxing fires off rounds with his rifle, he asks if everything is under control on Zhe's end. Zoe assures him that things are smooth and mentions the 2 girls sticking to his plan. Lin comments that young folks sure love stirring up trouble. Zoe suggests something feels off and they should pull back, but Lin insists they can hold out longer and urges Zoe to focus on rescuing the hostages. Still on the line with Chief Lin, our guy warns him and his team to stay alert. Zoe Tianqing then switches frequencies to contact Gao Fei, checking if everything's cool on his side. Gao says nothing's up, but notes that all the subordinates are retreating through another exit. Zui asks which exit they're using. With his caliber 56 rifle aim, Gao Fei mentions a tree is blocking his view. Zui Tianqing acknowledges the situation. Holding a crowbar and heading for his motorcycle, Tianqing asks if Gao has found any hostages, but Gao says no luck. Zui mentions he needs to interrogate someone because progress is slow, and Gao Fei offers to help, but the main guy turns him down. He tells his buddy to stay sharp and warns him not to let them move the hostages. Gao Fei gives a nod and dashes toward the little girl. Long Ting's two henchmen look as fierce as lions on the hunt. As they get closer to Luo Lanxia, her face shifts to a sinister grin, saying she's got what she wanted. Another one of Long Ting's guys, hanging back, yells to the two that something feels off and they should be cautious. Chatting between themselves, one says he'll take the blame if things go sideways, while the other mentions he hasn't been unleashed in a while. One of them, looking at Luo Lanxia, asks if she wants to go somewhere with him, and she replies that she's hungry. With a nasty and disgusting look, the two exchange glances as if they can read each other's thoughts. He's got a big meal ready for her and asks if she wants to try it. Luo Lanxia acts like she's interested in his offer. He promises her the food once they head inside, and they start leading her away just as Yun Hongdai approaches. Suddenly, they get a radio alert about two women and a man breaking into the second building, and they're ordered to eliminate them. One of Long Ting's guys, a grumpy blonde dude, is shocked when he hears this on his radio. The two guys who are eyeing Luo Lanxia are also caught off guard by the news and just stand there, stunned. With a serious look and a firmer voice, Luo Lanxia remarks that this is really bad luck. She whips out her two guns, aiming them at the backs of the Long Ting henchmen, and warns them not to move or she'll shoot. The blonde guy, thinking they've already got this in the bag, tells his buddies to get ready to fire at her. Luo Lanxia looks genuinely shocked by his comment, her expression showing real fear. The goons start bickering, with one accusing the other of needing to save him before he gets taken out. The other guy snaps back, saying he got tricked. The blonde goon, looking all serious and menacing, warns that if they lose this spot, they can't face Chief Long Ting. Suddenly, Yun Hongdai sneaks up behind one of them, pressing something sharp to his neck, and calls him out as the leader. She threatens him, saying if he moves he's done for. Panicked, the guy tells his crew not to shoot and to do what she says. Everyone's just standing there, looking confused and a bit sorry for the guy, unsure of what to do next. They point their guns ahead, saying losing this place means big trouble for them too, and they apologize to Lee. Lee, totally shocked, shouts at them, demanding to know what they're doing. The blonde subordinate, annoyed, complains that betrayal is the norm here, and Yun warns that if they take her out, they're next on the chopping block. The henchmen gear up, loaded with heavy weapons, and start counting down before unleashing a barrage at the two women. Luo Lanxia and Yun Hongdai lock eyes in disbelief, wondering if they're about to get shot. Out of nowhere, Zui Tianqing bursts in on his red motorcycle, soaring through the garage window. He flies over the scene just before the bullets fly, crowbar in hand, ready to rescue his friends from Long Ting's goons. Luo Lanxia, feeling relieved, smiles and calls out Zui Tianqing's name with a sigh. Yun Hongdai smirks a bit, noting that our guy loves making a grand entrance. With a simple pistol drawn, our hero gives Long's men a cold, merciless stare, then swiftly takes them down, like a bowling strike, with a few well-aimed shots. He revs his motorcycle hard, the tires spinning and creating a thick cloud of smoke. Finally, he accelerates, weaving through the smoke with agility, gripping his crowbar tightly. One of Long Ting's goons is totally freaked out, eyes wide and jaw dropped, as he braces for whatever's coming next. Another henchman, who tangled with Luo Lanxia earlier, suddenly gets wise what is bad news for him. Luo Lanxia, the young girl, stands tall and confident, trusting that Tianqing will handle this mess with ease. Li, the hot-headed blonde goon, is also stunned, eyes wide and mouth agape, gripped by some mysterious fear. Yun Hongdai flashes a confident smile at Zui, like she knows he's already got this situation under control. Emerging from the thick smoke left by the motorcycle, Zui Tianqing checks in, asking if the two women are alright. Chief Long Ting's three henchmen throw their hands up and surrender, terrified of the guy who just showed up. Luo Lanxia turns to Tianqing, wondering what their next move should be with these three lackeys. Without missing a beat, Tianqing answers Luo Lanxia by grabbing his simple weapon and taking out two of them. The blonde, hot-headed subordinate is freaking out, shaking like a leaf, and begging Zui to let him live. With smoke still curling from his gun, Zui Tian tells Long Ting's guy he's got 3 questions for him. Zui wants to know where Chief Long Ting is, where they're keeping the hostages, and where the rest of the guards are. The poor guy is so scared he can barely speak, stuttering that he can't answer Zui's questions. Zui gives him a cold, hard stare and asks if he's really unable to answer. Desperate, the guy pleads with Tianqing, saying Long Ting will kill him if he spills the beans. Zui points his gun at the guy's head and warns him that if he doesn't talk, he'll be the first to go. The henchman is sweating bullets, gritting his teeth, and looks torn about whether to spill the info or not. Meanwhile, in some secret hideout, the mad scientist is yelling at Long Ting, worried the henchman might crack and reveal everything. Long Ting immediately lands a punch on the mad scientist, saying he figured it out before the guy even opened his mouth. Out of nowhere, the chief tosses a pen drive to one of his team members. He tells number 2 to unlock something right away, and as number 2 snatches the pen drive from the air, he confirms he got the chief's order. A bit stunned by the unexpected hit, the mad scientist asks if that wasn't the third brother's pen drive. Long Ting tells his scientist buddy that the third brother must have shared a lot with him, and the guy quickly nods. The chief mourns the third brother's passing and mentions he now controls the second building completely. The mad scientist's eyes widen in shock, clearly not knowing the third brother had been taken out. With lightning speed, Chief Longting starts typing something on his keyboard, but it's still a mystery. The mad scientist, still looking grim, is left speechless and doesn't know how to react to what his chief just said. The scientist is freaking out, telling Longting he can't seriously be thinking about unleashing the monster. Longting just wants to see if it's tougher than Zwa, the superhuman. The scientist, trying to be brave, grabs Longting's arm and pleads with him not to go through with it. In a panic, the scientist reminds him that it took 20 men to lock that beast up, and letting it loose is a death wish. Longting, all serious and boss-like, tells the scientist he doesn't get to decide what he does or doesn't do. Practically on his knees, the scientist begs Longting not to release the monster, tears streaming down his face. He's shouting in pure desperation, saying his own brother was killed by that thing, and he's begging Long not to make the same mistake. Longting, with a sly grin, comments on how emotional Xiao Feng is. He tells him to chill, promising Xiao Feng won't have to witness anything like his brother's death again. Relieved, the scientist wipes his tears and thanks Longting over and over. With a sinister grin and his gun aimed at Xiao Feng, Longting casually mentions there's no need for gratitude. A deafening gunshot rings out, showing Longting didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. Now that Xiao Feng, the scientist, is dead, Longting mutters that Xiao won't witness anything like what happened to his brother. Staring at the massive screen, lost in his madness, he tells himself he just needs to be patient a little longer. Meanwhile, Long's subordinate reports that they're not at the hydroelectric plant but in a watchtower on a nearby mountain. Zui Tianqing presses Longting's subordinate again, demanding to know the whereabouts of the hostages and guards. The subordinate reveals the hostages are in the third building's warehouse, moved there by Chief Longting. Our protagonist is left speechless, stunned by the news that Ting has repositioned the guards around the area. He concludes by saying Longting has ordered the immediate execution of those acting as decoys. Yunhong Dai is in total shock. Her eyes go wide, and she feels her blood pressure drop as she hears the news, exclaiming in disbelief. Luo Lansha is also freaking out as Zui Tianqing yells that Leader Lin could be in serious trouble now. In a panic, our guy tries to reach Lin Xing over the radio, frantically calling out his name over and over. With a dark and furious look, Zui is consumed by rage and fear as he curses Longting. Tianqing quickly tells the two women on the team to go help Lin while he handles things at the hydroelectric plant. Zui interrogates Longting's subordinate, demanding to know how many zombies he's got. Tianqing points his gun at the building and says he's already taken out all the infected there, leaving the man stunned. Getting more annoyed with Longting's lackey, he sizes him up, pushing him to answer the question fast. The henchman, feeling the pressure, spills that the zombies are stashed in the warehouses of the second and third buildings, used by Longting for defense. Zui Tianqing stays cool and collected, noting that this plan is totally Longting's style. He tells Longting's guy to take him to the hostages. The guy isn't thrilled but has no choice but to agree. As they walk, the guy mentions that the second and third buildings are linked, and there's only one door they can use right now. Chief Ting pops up on the big screen with a sly grin, saying Zui didn't let him down, especially after taking out hundreds of zombies solo. The henchman starts nervously stuttering Ting's name, while Zui aims his gun at the screen. Longting warns him to chill out. Chief Ting switches to another screen showing Professor Luo Xiaoyu and asks if she's Zui's girlfriend. Longting's voice booms through the speakers, saying he wants to play a game with Zui, but interruptions are ticking him off. After throwing some shade at the leader, Zui Tianqing demands to know what he wants to discuss. With a wicked grin, Long declares that the game is all about finding Professor Luo before she meets her end. Fed up with Ting's nonsense, our hero shoots the TV displaying his image. Turning back to Longting's lackey, the protagonist yells at him to keep going with his task. Lin stands there, eerily still, exuding a bizarre and unsettling vibe. Zui Tianqing points a crowbar at him, urging him to get moving. As Lin steps out of the shadows, it's clear something's up. His face is now covered in bulging veins, making it obvious he's infected. Zui Tianqing, eyes wide in shock, can't believe what he's seeing and lets out a scream. Lin, who used to be a weak henchman, suddenly twists his body and attempts a powerful kick at Zui, leaving him stunned. Zui quickly drops his weapons to the ground, freeing his hands for whatever comes next. He grips the infected guy's arms tightly, stopping him from moving or attacking, using more strength than usual. Tianqing realizes this henchman is way stronger than expected. But Zui, looking confident and like he's got a plan, seems to know exactly what to do. He twists the guy's arm, making him spin and expose his back. Zui knows brute force won't cut it, so he uses a precise move. Zui Tianqing spots something that changes the game. He sees this gross creature with a long tongue stuck to Lin's neck and knows it's a parasite. He explains these are super rare second-stage infected, sneaky enough to go unnoticed. With his past life knowledge, he knows they latch onto a host and take control. Zui also knows these parasites are weak but boost the host's strength, so he starts attacking the infected. After yanking it from the henchman's neck, he sticks his finger in its mouth and lands several hits, leaving the parasite badly hurt. But the creature quickly uses Lin's body as a springboard, trying to escape as fast as it can, sensing it's about to get killed. Out of nowhere, Zui Tianqing shows up right in front of the parasite, grabbing its head and stopping it from getting away. Telling the little parasite there's no escape, our guy crushes its head and takes out the infected creature with ease. Tossing the parasite aside, he remarks on Longting's power, noting how he even managed to keep this species of infected. As he looks down a long, dark hallway, Zui realizes that finding a parasite here is definitely not a good sign. Closing his eyes to focus, Zui Tianqing switches on his detection mode, tuning into himself and his surroundings. His detection mode has not only improved since his advancement but also became way easier to use. Now he can use it on the move and detect parasites, something regular human senses just can't do. He quickly picks up on a parasite darting through the room and snatches it before it can even think about attacking him. Even after taking down another parasite, Zui Tianqing still feels something's off about this place. Suddenly, a massive purple foot crashes through the wall, and each step it takes leaves the ground trembling. Picking up on more presences, Zui Tianqing turns to see where this infected beast came from. He spots a parasite clinging to the back of this monstrous purple creature, clearly controlling it. He realizes these parasites are using second-stage infected as hosts, making them even more powerful. Out of nowhere, one of these second-stage infected lunges at him, but Zui dodges just in time. Barely escaping the attack, Zui Tianqing is shocked by the sheer number of evolved infected here. He knows that besides the power boost from the parasites, this combo of infected creates a new mutation. Understanding the urgency, he knows he must take them out before they evolve further, as they start zipping around the room. But Zui's got the brains and agility, so he dodges by leaping over one of them, ready to strike down with his hands. Even so, Tianqing doesn't hit the infected's head like he planned. Instead, he nails the parasite in the neck, taking it out. He puts everything he's got into ripping the parasite out of the second stage infected, aiming to finish it off. Just then, he spots another second stage infected coming at him, winding up for a punch. With no time to dodge, Zui Tianqing takes the massive hit and is sent flying. He quickly regains his balance, landing smoothly and crouching to avoid a hard fall. With what looks like tomato sauce dripping from his mouth, he clenches his teeth, realizing how much stronger this infected got after evolving. One infected drops to the ground after losing its parasite host, but the other one is still standing. Seeing the infected fall, Zui notes that the parasite's weakness is that when they're defeated, their host goes down too. Face to face with another infected, Zui Tianqing is already plotting his next move, declaring it's his next target. The infected, now with purple skin and red eyes, has evolved into a more powerful form and lets out a deafening roar. Zui Tianqing is in shock, feeling nervous and startled, as he watches the scene unfold, fearing the worst. He notices that the second stage infected is mutating, observing its skin transforming right before his eyes. Along with its increased size, a hammer-like appendage starts forming from its flesh. With eyes wide in fear, Zui realizes he's facing a hammer-type infected. Seeing this massive, muscular infected with a hammer for a hand, Tianqing knows his luck has taken a turn for the worse. Zui thinks to himself that the presence of so many evolved infected in one spot signals something is seriously wrong. The third brother, in disbelief, asks his boss what kind of monster this is. Even Long Ting can't answer, but he notes it looks strong. The third brother wonders what they'll do if the boy gets killed, and Ting casually replies that they'll just chalk it up to bad luck. Watching the scene unfold on the big screen with a wicked grin, Long Ting remarks that Zui Tianqing has hit a snag. Over the loudspeaker, he suggests to our protagonist that it's time to make things a bit more interesting. Zui, trying to anticipate Long Ting's next move, says if he takes down the evolved infected, Ting will reveal the hostage's location. With a manic look, Long confirms Zui's guess and challenges him to see if he's brave enough to accept the deal. Zui retorts that people like Long think they control everything, but there's a lot out there beyond their understanding. With a sinister smile and wild eyes, Tianqing declares that if Long Ting wants to play games, he's ready to join in. Through his glasses, you can see the panic setting in as he realizes Zui might be just as unhinged. Zui Tianqing gears up for a massive strike, channeling all his power into his fists. Twisting his body to maximize the impact, our protagonist lands a devastating punch right into the infected's gut. Tianqing's aura is thick and intimidating as he gears up for another round of his devastating punches. He throws his entire body into the next strike, using every ounce of strength and momentum he can muster. In a whirlwind of motion, Zui Tianqing unleashes a barrage of hits on the monster, not holding back for a second. Yelling like a madman, he relentlessly pounds the second stage infected, whose tough exterior seems to withstand the assault. Just as Zui Tianqing pauses for a breath, the infected swings at him with its hammer-like limb. Glancing up, Zui Tianqing is momentarily taken aback by the monster's raw power as it aims a massive blow at him. The impact is catastrophic, with the giant's hand smashing into the ground and breaking it into chunks. But our guy dodges just in time, sliding across the ground and using his hands and feet to stick the landing. With a grimace, Zui admits that dealing with this hammer-type infected is no walk in the park. The hammer-type monster shows up after mutating from a parasite. This thing boosts its strength and defense, plus it has a hammer for hands. Long Ting, with a smirk, teases Zui about being stuck in that room for ages. Meanwhile, Tianqing wants to know how things are going with Gao Fei. Gao Fei just shrugs it off, saying nothing's up, and then Zui gives him more instructions. But before Gao can even start, the hammer-type infected bursts in at lightning speed, ready to attack. Our guy is caught off guard, totally freaked out by the sudden assault, and barely has time to react. With a massive, crushing force, the attack smashes through the wall and nails Zui. Zui uses the impact to leap out of the room, getting tossed out with all the debris. He lands at the edge of a forest. Gao Fei sees the chaos and checks if Zui's okay after that wild flight. Zui steps out of the smoke, assuring everyone he's alright, joking that he hasn't been turned into mincemeat yet. Gao wonders what's so special about this monster. Long Ting, all hyped up, tells his buddy that this monster is insanely strong, and the guy totally agrees. Chief Long Ting picks up a chunk of the meteorite with the abila and says it's even more powerful than the infected. He opens a small box to reveal a red meteorite stone, explaining that anyone who touches it either dies or becomes a monster. After closing the box, Long declares that if Zui Tianqing wants to play, then it's game on. Realizing his location is compromised, Long orders some folks to stay on guard while others follow him to the warehouse. He tells the third brother to keep Professor Luo hostage, eager to see how Zui plans to beat him in this situation. With a sinister grin, Long Ting suggests they hurry up and have some fun with him. Meanwhile, other hostages are dropped through a trapdoor into a pit full of infected, about to become their next meal. Professor Luo Xiaoyu is freaking out, begging for help and refusing to accept what's happening. The others trapped in the cages are losing it, totally shaken by the deaths around them. One guy is spiraling, terrified he might be the next one tossed down there, and starts panicking. The professor tries to snap him out of it, saying with hope that they can still make it out alive. But the pessimist in the next cage insists there's no hope, only a grim end. Professor Luo reminds them there are still 5 questions left and urges everyone to stay hopeful, promising they'll survive. Despite being rattled and vulnerable, he stammers but tries to hold on to hope. Determined to stay strong and reassure the others, she insists they need to wake up because they will make it out alive. From the cage above, another hostage comments on how optimistic Professor Luo is and says he admires that about her. When she suggests he should start asking more questions, Long realizes she's sharp and decides to make things more interesting. The professor is curious about what he means, so Long says he has one final question that will determine if they all make it out alive. Professor Luo, annoyed but intrigued, is tempted to agree but gets angry at Long's challenge, asking if she's up for it. She quickly gathers her courage and confidently accepts the challenge. Long Ting tells her she has to guess his current location. If she gets it right, they all walk free. She complains to Ting that it's impossible to know, so Long mentions he has some options prepared for this last question. The choices are the first, second, and third buildings, with the final option that none of these are correct. She closes her eyes, thinking Long Ting is too clever to hide the hostages in the main buildings. Opening her eyes, she decides he must be trying to deceive her with the last option. Long Ting urgently tells her that time's ticking and she needs to answer fast, which sends Professor Luo into a panic. As the countdown hits 3, 2, 1, Professor Luo Xiaoyu blurts out that it's the last option. He compliments her smarts but admits they're not in the main buildings, and she demands he let everyone go immediately. Long tells her she's jumping the gun and got the question wrong, leaving her shocked and confused. He clarifies that his question was about guessing his location, not just picking an option. Frustrated, she clenches her fists and calls Chief Long Ting a cheater. With a twisted tone, Long insists he doesn't see himself as a cheater. Suddenly, a trapdoor opens, revealing Long Ting with a megaphone next to the third brother. Looking up, Professor Luo Xiaoyu realizes Long was right above her the whole time. The chief of the hydroelectric plant locks eyes with her, saying she's still under his control. Meanwhile, Wu Tianqing is busy dodging the hammer-wielding infected and shouting instructions to Gao Fei. Gao Fei, as clueless as ever, is distracted and doesn't get the plan, so he asks Wu to explain it all over again. While still battling the infected, Wu says he can't repeat everything, but Gao just isn't catching on. Right then, Lin Xing jumps on the radio, saying he's got Wu Tianqing's plan down, and Wu checks if Lin's alright. Lin quickly reassures him that, thanks to the protagonist's help, he's fine now, and we see the group slowly coming back together. Dodging another swing, Wu Tianqing remarks that having Leader Lin around makes him feel safer. Wu Tianqing decides to leave the 2 clueless guys under Leader Lin's care while he goes after Long Ting. As he gears up for another round of attacks, Wu tells them to follow Leader Lin's lead because he's about to kick off his plan. Just then, the hammer-wielding infected looks ready to strike again, but our hero seems to have a plan of his own. Leader Lin Xing draws 2 circles in the dirt and tells the crew he's about to break down Wu Tianqing's plan. He points to the circles, saying they stand for the main buildings and the hydroelectric observatory. Lin Xing instructs Luo Lanxia and Gao Fei to head to the observatory and take out Long Ting if he's there. Luo asks what they should do if he's not. Lin Xing then reveals part 2 of the plan, hinting that Long Ting might have already left the scene. Luo Lanxia questions why they should go if Long Ting might not even be there. Lin Xing quickly explains that from the observatory, they'll have a clear view of the whole area thanks to its vantage point. He adds that with Gao Fei's skills, they'll pinpoint where the hostages really are. She wonders if they're not in the 3rd building. Zui jumps in, saying he's already checked and the place is empty, leaving Gao stunned by Zui Tian's upgraded abilities. He explains to Gao that he needs to aim the detection beam in a straight line to cover more ground. He adds that this technique demands a lot of energy. He also mentions that Lin Xing probably knows why Long Ting is so fixated on Zui Tianqing, and Lin gets what he's implying. Gao seems puzzled and asks questions, while Zui instructs him to meet Luo at the observatory and create a distraction during the attack. When Luo Lanxia asks what he's up to, Zui admits he can't defeat the hammer-type infected on his own. With a cold, determined look, Zui Tian realizes he must reach the 2nd stage to secure a victory. And Lan Sha is also present. Gao Ao Fei are stunned by what the protagonist just said. He tells them to let it go and just follow Leader Lin's orders, as he climbs the hammer arm, using it to dodge. Zui knows he's maxed out at the 1st stage, and intense battles are just what he needs to level up to the 2nd stage. He gears up for a massive strike, realizing there's no better opponent right now than this hammer-type infected. He lands a solid punch right on the left side of the 2nd stage hammer-type's face. Zui Tianqing moves with incredible speed, delivering dozens of rapid hits to the hammer type. Watching the chaos unfold, Chief Longting comments on the mess, while the third brother notes that Zui is getting bogged down by the infected. Out of nowhere, he hears his soldiers frantically calling over the radio, saying the observatory is under attack and can't hold out much longer. The third brother is shocked by this news, and Longting questions why he's freaking out. Grabbing the radio, Long tells the panicked soldier to keep fighting, or else he'll take them out himself. Shocked, the subordinate points out they don't have enough men to handle Lin Xing's elite troops, but Longting reassures him that he's got it all planned out. Longting explains that since Lin Xing brought all his forces here, the old city's walls are unguarded, making it the perfect time to seize them. The third brother is blown away by Longting's revelation about capturing the old city walls now. Meanwhile, at the observatory, Gao Fei watches with a cold, calculating stare, like a skilled hunter sizing up his prey. In the midst of a melee attack on Longting's soldiers, whom he takes down with ease, Luo Lansha questions Gao Fei. With his trusty caliber 56 rifle, Gao Fei confidently announces that he's found his target. After taking out several of Long's men, Luo Lansha swiftly exits, leaving the rest of the situation to Ao Fei. As one of his guys sprays bullets at Gao, he admits they can't hold out much longer, and Ting warns he'll take them down if they try anything. Suddenly, without a second thought, Gao takes down one of Chief Longting's men with a clean shot. Gao Fei admires his 56 caliber rifle, feeling pretty proud of that perfect shot. Longting notices the silence and figures his guy got taken out before he could respond. Longting tells his third brother they need to bail, but the guy's worried Zui Tianqing might catch up to them. Longting questions why his man is scared when they've got Professor Luo Xiaoyu as a hostage. With a wicked grin, Chief Ting is confident Zui Tianqing won't reach him, and if Zui does, he'll have to deal with a massive horde of undead ready to tear him apart. Meanwhile, our favorite survivor is going all out, smashing a hammer-shaped object into a face, trying to take it down. It looks like the second stage infected is about to hit the ground while Zui is still airborne. But just before it hits the ground, it slams its foot down hard, cracking the surface and showing off bulging veins from the sheer force. Zui Tianqing's eyes widen in fear, anticipating the next move from this evolved infected creature. Out of nowhere, it smashes the ground with its hammer-like hand, aiming to crush Zui. But Tianqing manages to dodge and slides backward, using his hands on the ground to keep steady. With one hand on the ground and feeling worn out from the long fight, Zui Tianqing mentions he's been battling for about an hour now. Noticing his body's lack of response, he wonders if it's finally time for him to evolve. He starts emanating a massive and powerful aura, feeling like his body is at the peak of the first stage, just needing one last push. His thoughts are interrupted by a radio call, where he hears that Gao and Luo have discovered something. Gao Fei reports that to the north of Tianqing, there's a yellow warehouse packed with guards, and Longting should be there. Our protagonist is deep in thought, convinced that the chief of the hydroelectric plant is hiding out in that warehouse. Suddenly, a jolt of pain snaps him out of it, and he freezes in shock. An evolved infected with a hammer-like hand slams him in the gut, launching Zui through the air. Gao Fei hears the impact over the radio and, worried for his friend, asks Luo what's going on. As Tianqing crashes into the forest and starts to regain his senses, Gao keeps checking in to see if he's alright. Another hammer forms in the infected's hand, and Zui notes that it's fully merged with the parasite, reaching the peak of stage 2. With fierce concentration, the protagonist tries to activate his tattoos to hit stage 2 during the fight. The hammer-shaped infected quickly tries to interrupt him, smashing a tree where Zui was, but he dodges just in time. While airborne after dodging, Zui realizes the hammer's speed has also ramped up significantly. Just as the infected gears up for another attack on Tianqing, he declares it's time to kick things off. In a flash, the second stage hammer-type infected slams our hero with another massive hit. While airborne from the impact, Zui Tianqing begins a countdown. As he finishes counting down, he bursts into a blinding light, stunning the monster before him. Like a missile, our hero charges at the hammer-shaped infected, sending it crashing into the forest floor with brutal force. After landing the powerful blow, his fist starts glowing with a dense, intense red aura. As soon as his feet touch the ground, a mist forms around Zui, marking his evolution. Zui Tianqing, now visibly stronger, has evolved to the second stage and grumbles about how annoying it is to keep doing this. After the protagonist's powerful strike, the hammer-type infected struggles to rise, groaning in pain. Out of nowhere, it stands up, readying another attack with its hammer-fused hands. However, Zui Tianqing casually slides his hand under the infected's weapon, halting the attack without breaking a sweat. Standing before the massive beast, he just lifts his hand and effortlessly stops the blow. His body radiates a reddish glow as Zui marvels at the power difference between stages. He notes that now, at the second stage, using the Ebola virus to boost his strength isn't as dangerous as before. As he gears up for the attack, he points out that those in the second stage rarely lose to infected below the third stage. Staring down the massive evolved hammer-type monster, he declares he's about to send it to the afterlife. With his body shining and a red aura surrounding him, Zui Tianqing unleashes a devastating punch right into the infected's chest. The force of Zui's punch sends it flying, crashing through trees as it hurtles away. After the creature crashes into a tree and gets stuck, Tianqing calmly approaches it. He channels his aura and the Ebola virus into his fist, declaring that the monster's defenses are useless now. Zui's arm transforms into a massive, reddish monstrosity, and he mentions it's the muscle enhancement of the second stage. Tianqing leaps high and fast, pulling back his monstrous arm for another insanely powerful punch. He slams the gigantic second stage infected into the ground with his incredible strength and Newton arm. Chief Longting is utterly stunned, clenching his teeth and widening his eyes at Tianqing's new power. Watching through the cameras, Longting is baffled by how Zui managed to take down the second stage aberration. The hammer-type infected's head is severely damaged, clearly taken out by our hero. Tianqing turns around, staring directly at the camera with a cold, almost psychotic gaze, like a hunter sizing up its prey. In total disbelief, Chief Longting wonders if the survivor knows they're being watched. He tells his subordinate to gather everyone quickly, but the guy points out they don't have many men left. The chief of the hydroelectric plant brushes it off and insists on calling all the remaining men right away. Without wasting time, Longting's third brother, his subordinate, rushes out to follow orders. Frustrated by his crumbling plan, he slams his fist on the table. Longting starts to lose hope, breaking into a cold sweat as he watches everything fall apart. Gao Fei desperately calls out Zui Tianqing's name, hoping for any kind of response. Luo Lansha asks Gao, who's up on the observatory, what's going on with Zui. Gao admits he has no clue since Zui isn't answering. Luo Lansha suggests they should go find their friend instead of just waiting for him to reply. From his vantage point, Gao Fei notices some weird movement at the mountain's base and thinks it might be Lin Xing. Gao Fei mentions he can't reach leader Lin either, but he sees a shootout happening and recalls Lin contacted them earlier. Gao Fei mentions he's going to think things over, but Luo Lansha cuts him off, insisting they're going to help their friends right away. Gao Fei, deep in thought with his hand on his chin, seems to be cooking up a plan. He comes up with a different idea than Luo Lansha's. They should focus on rescuing the hostages, leaving her a bit stunned. Gao explains that Tianqing is way stronger than he is, so he can handle the monster. Luo asks if they're just saving the hostages. Gao Fei confirms with a firm yes, and Luo Lansha gets pumped up, totally on board with her friend's plan. Meanwhile, Longting's third brother is seen flying through the air, clearly injured. Yun Hongdai points a weapon at him, demanding to know where his boss is, and he dodges, wondering how Yun figured out Long's plan. Leader Lin Xing suddenly appears behind the guy, pointing out that Longting's flaw is thinking he's in control of everything, shocking the subordinates with his unexpected arrival. Lin looks down at the guy and says their plan was doomed from the start because they fell right into a trap. Yun Hongdai threatens the man, saying she won't take him out if he spills where Longting is. The guy remembers her fierce reputation. The woman, annoyed at being called the Red Butterfly, warns him that if he says another word, he's done for. The guy stands his ground, saying they can kill him if they want, but he's never going to betray Chief Longting, no matter what. Lin Xing stops Yun Hongdai from finishing the guy off right there, suggesting they make a public example of him instead. Frustrated but agreeing with her leader, she decides to let the third brother live a bit longer. In a panic, Longting orders his men to chase down the second brother, but one of them says he's already at the mountain's base. The chief insists they need to get back immediately because they need the second brother's crew to stand a chance against Zui Tianqing. Longting's henchman, surprised by this news, asks what they're going to do about their defenses. He mentions that the bodies should keep them busy for a while. The chief warns that if this defense fails, he'll unleash more of those creatures. A bit shaken by what his boss just said, the henchman wonders if that plan will actually work. Longting, losing his cool, screams at his subordinate, insisting that of course his plan will work. Intimidated by his boss, the henchman quickly agrees, assuring him that the plan is solid. Longting demands to know why his employee is still there, and the henchman hurriedly says he's on his way out. Exhausted and trying to calm down, the chief of the hydroelectric plant takes a seat to catch his breath. He thinks to himself that if he waits for his second brother to return and they stay safe, they'll easily take down Zui. Despite this plan, Chief Longting can't shake his anxiety, sweating and feeling desperate. The haunting, empty stare of Zui Tianqing lingers in the chief's mind like a bad dream. The guy suddenly jumps up from his chair, questioning why he can't shake off Zui's terrifying look. Is he actually scared of him? As he mulls it over, sweat starts pouring down his face, and his eyes widen in disbelief. He slams his hand on the table, frustrated, wondering how someone as powerful as him could be feeling fear towards another person. Trying to calm himself, he reassures himself that everything's under control and will turn out just fine. He convinces himself that as long as he stays hidden and forces Zui to spill the beans about his powers, things will work out. Behind him, Professor Luo Xiaoyu, still gagged and injured, points out that Longting is terrified of Zui Tianqing. Mustering her strength, she insists that he's scared of Zui Tianqing and the unpredictability of the situation. Enraged, he yells at her, claiming he's never been afraid of anything in his life and that it's simply not possible. She declares that Longting has committed so many evil deeds that today will be his downfall. Annoyed, he retorts that Zui can't take him down. He boasts that even if Zui Tianqing shows up at his hideout, he has an escape plan and holds the professor hostage. Suddenly, something dawns on him, and he looks completely shocked, his eyes wide and his mouth agape, as he sighs and falls silent, lost in thought. Standing firm, he insists that trying to scare him with words won't work. Professor Luo Xiaoyu tries to intimidate him, asking if he's truly fearless. With a wild, crazed look, Chief Longting claims he's not afraid at all. Clenching his fist to stay composed, he starts trembling, trying to convince himself he's not scared of Zui. Outside, a henchman yells that Zui Tianqing has arrived, leaving him utterly stunned. The hydroelectric chief turns around when his henchman suddenly goes quiet in a weird way. Out of nowhere, our protagonist's massive red fist smashes right through the wall of Long Ting's hideout. With a monstrous arm and a look of pure rage, Zhe Tianqing tells Ting to get ready to meet his end. Facing a swarm of hundreds of zombies, our hero starts walking slowly towards them. Meanwhile, Long Ting is shaking with fear as he watches the man enter his hideout through the cameras. In a full-blown panic, sweating bullets, eyes wide, and mouth agape, he stammers that Zoe has arrived. The zombie horde charges at our protagonist, ravenous and ready to tear him apart. But Tianqing is perched on some pipes, watching from afar, and notices Long Ting's habit of keeping zombies around. He leaps down at lightning speed from his vantage point, saying it'll be a breeze to handle them. Watching through the cameras, Long Ting accuses Zhe Tianqing of hacking and cheating. He notes that the boy managed to free all the zombies he had been keeping locked up. Annoyed and injured from the torture, Professor Luo Xiaoyu tells Long Ting not to worry about it. Long Ting, completely losing it, hits the woman and orders her to be quiet. With a wild look in his eyes, he tells Professor Luo that if he's going down, she's coming with him. Hurt and upset, Professor Luo Xiaoyu watches, feeling bitter but knowing this will all be over soon. Her hands are tied tightly behind the chair, making escape impossible. Meanwhile, Zhe Tianqing is out there fighting off waves of zombies, using his mutant arm to take them down with ease. He notices 3 different, seemingly evolved zombies and remarks that Chief Long Ting still has some tricks up his sleeve. Sweating bullets, Long Ting, looking deranged, demands to know Zhe's secret to strength, promising to spare him if he spills the beans. With a cold, harsh tone, he asks the hydroelectric plant's chief if Long Ting is clueless or just playing dumb. Staring through the camera, he questions if Chief Long Ting has lost his mind, while Long mumbles to himself. Charging up his Iberian arm, he tells Long Ting that the one who should be panicking is him. He effortlessly smashes the 3 zombies with his evolved arm, sending them flying with ease. Zhe Tianqing knows that with his punch at full power, those second-stage infected don't stand a chance. Admiring his red fist with pride, Zhe feels satisfied, knowing he's regained his former strength. After taking down Long Ting's evolved infected trump cards, our hero declares that the local chief is next. In a state of sheer panic, sweating and trembling, Chief Long Ting realizes it's too late for him now. He keeps repeating that there's no hope left for him, while his soldiers report that Zoe has stormed the site and their bullets are useless. But then, out of nowhere, he seems to have some kind of epiphany. His eyes widen, and he lets out a relieved sigh. Professor Luo is absolutely stunned by Long Ting's unexpected reaction. From the back of the room, she notices Long Ting scheming something nasty against Zhe Tianqing. Determined, Long Ting stands up, places his hand under the table, and makes a decision. He declares that even if he's going down, he's taking Professor Luo Xiaoyu with him, and she shoots him a look filled with pure hatred. He grabs a piece of the glowing red meteorite, which brought the Ebola virus when it crashed into Earth's atmosphere months ago. Using a cloth to hold the meteorite, Long Ting moves it closer to her mouth, but she refuses to eat it, clueless about what it is. Forcing the professor to eat it, he insists she doesn't have to want it and makes Luo Xiaoyu swallow the meteorite. In a delusional, almost crazed state, Long Ting starts laughing wickedly, like someone who's lost their mind. He forces her to eat the meteorite, covering her mouth so she can't spit it out or avoid absorbing it. Suddenly, a massive light and explosion fill the room, sending both Professor Luo and Long Ting flying. Our protagonist bursts into the room in a panic, yelling for Professor Luo Xiaoyu, fearing the worst. He rushes to her side, finding her still seated, eerily quiet and motionless. Shocked, he can't hide his genuine surprise, his eyes widening at the sight before him. Professor Luo Xiaoyu starts glowing with a sinister red light, her eyes shining as she screams. Consumed by rage at Long Ting, our protagonist can't believe he forced her to eat a piece of meteorite. Ting is on the ground, laughing like a maniac. She mentions how those guys turned into monsters just by touching the stone, and can't wait to see what she'll become. With a nasty grin, Long Ting admits he's curious to see what kind of monster Luo Xiaoyu will turn into. Zhe Tianqing, filled with rage, declares that Chief Long Ting deserves to meet his end. He raises his monstrous red fist, determined to send Long Ting to another world. The chief warns Zhe Tianqing to watch out and look behind him, just as Luo Xiaoyu starts her monstrous transformation. Zhe Tianqing quickly turns his head in the direction Long Ting pointed, his eyes filled with despair and anguish. He sees Professor Luo Xiaoyu fully transformed into a terrifying creature, clad in black armor with a menacing red aura. Suddenly, our protagonist is sent flying by an attack, debris crashing down from the impact's force. Gritting his teeth from the pain, Zhe Tianqing is clearly distressed and terrified by Luo Xiaoyu's transformation. His feet barely touch the ground, hovering just above the surface for a moment. But he quickly forces himself down, landing with his feet firmly planted to absorb the impact. Smoke rises as his feet hit the ground at high speed, trying to stabilize after being thrown so far. Our guy stands his ground, facing the monstrous form that Luo Xiaoyu has turned into. Wounded and drained, Tianqing looks around with a hollow, stern gaze, not expecting this turn of events. Black armor is a rare mutation where the person keeps their mind but gains black scales. Zhe never thought the professor would end up like this. Zhe is figuring out how to remove the meteorite from Professor Luo Xiaoyu's chest, or else she'll keep rampaging. Someone in dress shoes takes a slow, heavy step. We see Long Ting, injured and weary, leaning on the wall for support as he walks, sighing from pain and exhaustion. Tianqing watches him approach, cold and fearless, noting how tough Long Ting is without showing any fear himself. Out of nowhere, Professor Luo Xiaoyu, clad in black armor, leaps with incredible speed and vanishes for a moment. She reappears right above our hero, bathed in moonlight and starlight. Transformed into a monstrous form, she attempts a fierce spinning kick, but our guy dodges just in time. He glares at her, clearly annoyed and still nursing wounds from his earlier hammer-shaped battle. From afar, he spots Chief Longting making a run for it, trying to hide among the trees. He apologizes to Professor Luo, then shapes his hand into a blade, ready to strike. In a swift move, he drives his hand through the black scales on her torso, leaving her wide-eyed and shocked. The strike is so intense that silence falls as Tianqing attempts to extract the meteorite piece from her body. With his hand piercing through the armor, he grips the meteorite piece with his monstrous fingers. With precision and speed, he pulls his hand away, finally extracting the meteorite shard from Professor Luo's Xiaoyu. The black armor collapses, her hand falling back like she's just fainted, completely drained. Holding Professor Luo, Tianqing notes that without the meteorite piece, she's finally calm. Gazing at his friend, Tianqing reflects on how he managed to avert a worse disaster safely. Our protagonist thinks that a normal person would have died from a chest wound like that, but the black armor will heal. Afterward, Tianqing mentions he needs to settle things with Longting. Meanwhile, the hydroelectric plant chief is sprinting through the forest at top speed. Frustrated and hurt, the local leader grumbles about how those people are monsters, and it really ticks him off. Hobbling in pain, Longting mutters that he must find number 2 and Scar. Only then will they stand a chance. Gao Aofei catches him off guard, telling Longting he's got zero chance of making it out alive. The psycho chief of the hydroelectric plant is stunned, eyes wide, as the young crew suddenly appears in the forest. Staring down Gao Aofei and Luo Lanxia, both ready to take him out, Ting just stands there frozen. Just as he's about to meet his end, he hears leader Lin Xing's voice behind him, flanked by his entire crew. Yun Hongdai points out the old man and Scar, both tied up, and asks Longting if he recognizes them. Lin Xing orders his men to tie up Longting, announcing they'll make an example of him with a public execution, and Yun Hongdai follows through. With a dark, sinister look, Ting lowers his head without a word. Then out of nowhere, he starts laughing like a maniac, without anyone provoking him. In a fit of crazed laughter, Longting yells that Lin Xing is counting his chickens before they hatch, way too confident. However, he's totally caught off guard when another unexpected person shows up, making him spin around in shock. Tianqing arrives, carrying the black armor, and Longting comments that now everyone is finally here. Gao Aofei and Luo Lanxia ask if Tianqing is alright and what happened to Professor Luo's Xiaoyu. He replies that he'll explain later. Our protagonist warns Lin Xing to watch out for Longting's sneaky moves, suggesting they handle the situation beyond normal logic. As Chief Longting starts taking off his clothes, Leader Lin aims his gun at him, telling everyone to back off and keep their distance. When Longting removes his shirt, a strange clock with wires attached to his body is revealed, and he warns they won't have time to escape. Pointing to the ticking clock, Ting threatens that if he dies, he'll drag everyone to the other world with him. Tianqing's eyes widen in shock as Longting pulls an unexpected move. He yells out, realizing it's a bomb timer, warning everyone not to touch him or it'll go off. Lin Xing's group is frozen in disbelief, taking in the scene and Tianqing's urgent warning. Longting flashes a wicked grin, saying it's too late to turn back now. The chief of the hydroelectric plant pulls out a gun, knowing they won't kill him, and sets off the timer on his chest. The ticking clock halts, quickly overshadowed by the bomb's activation sound. Out of nowhere, Longting's bomb detonates, causing a massive explosion that devastates the entire area. The hydroelectric dam is obliterated, releasing all the water and starting a massive flood. With the dam in ruins and only a few rocks holding back the water, it begins to spill and flood everything in its path. The water rushes in like an avalanche, destroying everything and leaving nothing but ruins behind. The whole forest where they are suddenly floods, like a massive tsunami just hit. Tianqing and Gao Aofei look absolutely terrified, probably the most scared they've ever been, as they realize they're about to be wiped out. With the professor, his friends, and Leader Lin, gets caught in the water's powerful current and is swept far away. The forest is being torn apart, with trees getting destroyed, leaving just their trunks stuck in the ground as the water wrecks everything. Members of Lin Xing's group are caught in the waves, struggling to stay afloat and fighting for their lives. Gao Aofei, flailing around and yelling for help with Tianqing, admits he can't swim. Our protagonist swims toward his friend, telling him to hang in there because he's coming to help him out of this mess. Luo Lanxia, clinging to a tree trunk, calls out to Gao Aofei to grab onto it too. Struggling to swim and catch his breath, Gao Aofei desperately tries to reach the girl and the tree trunk to save himself. Out of nowhere, a huge boulder starts falling behind Tianqing, and his friends shout for him to watch out. Shocked, he sees the massive debris from the dam heading his way and just freezes. Gao Aofei and Luo Lanxia call out his name as the boulder crashes down on him, making him vanish from sight. Eyes shut and underwater, it looks like the impact knocked him out cold. He keeps sinking deeper and deeper, way below the surface now. We spot Tianqing, totally unconscious. But then, a black and red-scaled hand from the black armor grabs hold of Tianqing's hand. Professor Luo Xiaoyu, in her black armor, grabs his arm and starts pulling him back up. Meanwhile, a truck is speeding through the streets of Ji County, clearly in a rush. Inside, Tianqing leans against the truck's wall, just waking up after a crazy day. Feeling suspicious and uneasy, he starts piecing together where he might be. A seemingly sweet and gentle girl, who is also a stranger, notices Tianqing waking up and comments on it. Tianqing quickly jumps up from the wall, asking the girl who she is and where exactly he is right now. She sweetly introduces herself as Lin Qichin and explains they found him lying on the road after the flood hit Ji County. At that moment, our guy starts remembering what happened before. Long Ting blew up the dam, and the stone made him sink. He asks if she saw anyone else, but she says no, then wonders if he got separated from his group. Thinking it over, he knows he needs to find Luo, Gao, and Professor Luo to see how they're doing. The girl, looking concerned, asks if he's worried about his group. After all, the whole situation was very chaotic and intense. Someone from the girl's group suggests he should give up searching for his friends, assuming they drowned in the flood. Li Wei scolds the guy, reminding him that was already had his share of bad luck, but he'll find his friends eventually. Puffing on a cigarette, Li Wei, looking all defeated, says everyone in this world has their fair share of bad luck. He puts a reassuring hand on Zhuo Tianqing's shoulder, telling him he's still got a lot to learn. Showing Zhuo a basic weapon, he insists that to make it out here, you need a gun and bullets, not just good intentions. Zhuo Tianqing stays silent the whole trip, just watching Li Wei and his friend without a word. The girl tells him to hush, thinking Zhuo was still sulking, while he says young folks need to dream big to survive. Right after her blunt comment, the truck starts acting up, and they feel it come to a sudden stop. Out of nowhere, Li Wei hits the ground from the sudden brake, but the girl and Zhuo manage to keep their balance. Annoyed, the guy questions the driver's skills, while the girl declares it's time to set up camp and eat. Sitting around a campfire in front of a truck, there are 4 people gathered with Zhuo. They're cooking up a big meal in a pot, pasta with some protein thrown in. Li Wei, the guy with scars, looks pretty annoyed and restless about the whole situation. Meanwhile, the girl who saved Zhuo is watching him with a mix of surprise and gentleness. The other 2 in the group are also silently staring at the newcomer with surprise. We see Tianqing devouring bowl after bowl of pasta, clearly enjoying the meal made by his rescuers. Li Wei, both irritated and curious, asks his friend how many bowls Tianqing has eaten, and she says it's been 5. This sends Li Wei over the edge. He closes his eyes, trying to calm down, but you can see the veins popping on his forehead from sheer anger. He points a finger at Tianqing, demanding to know if he's still not full after eating more than the entire group combined. The girl tries to defend the outsider, saying he was unconscious and that's why he's so ravenous, but Li isn't buying it. Li Wei stands up and tells his friend to get up so they can chat privately, away from the outsider. He takes a few steps forward, calls over the other 2 group members, and kicks off an emergency meeting. Another guy, being nice, tells Zhuo Tianqing he can eat more if he wants since they've got extra food in the truck. Finally, our main guy finishes the last bowl and seems stuffed, even letting out a satisfied sigh. He quietly celebrates, saying he's finally regained the energy he lost yesterday. While meditating and activating his tattoos, he mentions that second stage abilities burn a ton of energy, so he'll need more food. Staring at his tattooed hand, he says he needs to hit stage 3 soon so he can absorb energy and eat less. Exhausted from all the meditation, he deactivates the tattoos and wraps up his focus session. From a distance, Zhuo overhears Li Wei, the scarred guy, grumbling about needing to leave soon, even though Zhuo shouldn't be able to hear him. Li Wei is yelling, super annoyed, about how the kid hasn't done anything but stay knocked out and eat more than everyone else. Someone tries to defend the kid, saying he's still growing, but Li Wei argues there's no point in taking care of him. She insists it's too deserted to just leave him behind. Another group member, who's also pretty chill, suggests that having more people in the group is better. Li Wei is not having it. Li Wei, getting more and more worked up, shouts that they can give the kid their food next time. Out of nowhere, Zhuo Tianqing shows up like nothing's wrong and asks if the group even knows where they're going. With a cold and serious vibe, he tells them he heard everything they said and that, depending on the situation, someone quickly tells him not to get the wrong idea. They're not kicking him out of the group. Li Wei, being blunt with Zhuo, admits they have a base and aren't interested in people they see as useless, like him. The girl scolds Li, telling him to watch his words, while Zhuo starts pondering about the city Li mentioned. Zhuo then turns to the group, asking in a serious tone if Longhua has a power called Honi. Li Wei, confused, questions how Zhuo Tianqing knows such specific details. Narrowing his eyes, Zhuo thinks to himself that he had already suspected something like this. He remembers May 14th and the chaos caused by the Hongyi gang on that day. Ignoring Li's question, Zhuo declares he'll join them to Longhua but plans to go his own way afterward. The young girl pleads with Zhuo to stay, warning him about the zombie threat in Longhua. Annoyed, Li Wei snaps at Qin, saying their base doesn't take in people like Zhuo. The kind girl, a bit upset, insists they can't just abandon him to die. As Zhuo turns away, he decides to go solo, realizing that a trip to Longhua means reworking all his plans. But before he can leave on his own, Lin Qin gently grabs his arm to hold him back. She begs him to join them, assuring him they have plenty of food and that they can talk more once they reach Longhua. Still annoyed, Li Wei yells at her, saying he's only going to Longhua with them, and won't change her mind afterward. Qin extends her hand to the protagonist, saying they'll be companions from now on, and asks for his name. In a friendly gesture, our hero shakes her hand and introduces himself as Zhuo Tianqing. Suddenly, we dive into Zhuo's memory, where we see a black man with dreadlocks holding 2 swords, his shirt splattered with ketchup. 2 injured people call out to Zhang Zhenyu, urging him to stop wasting time and come over to them. That's where our video wraps up. Thanks for watching.